Ma Bojian spoke the most out of these few days to Sima Yu. But who did you cripple? I heard that he's teacher Hong's student under the Department of Weapon Refinement. That teacher is very protective, will you be alright? Shu Yuan asked anxiously. There's nothing to be afraid of. Shui Rong said casually. Is teacher Hong stronger than teacher Su? Teacher Hong will shield his student, wouldn't teacher Su do the same? It seems that teacher Su is the most protective teacher in the inner sect. Oh, right. Shu Yuan smiled. Teacher Hong is not stronger than teacher Su. Yu, when the time comes, just push teacher Su out. You'll be alright. Not bad. Maybe we can try that then. Who told him to throw me here? Sima Yu was not sure about their suggestions. She decided to put the matter aside for later. Somewhere in the inner sect, Su Jin raised the corner of his mouth. This guy actually crippled someone? He's pretty heavy-handed. Hong Fa, your student actually dared to touch my student. This account is not easy to settle. He took a bite from his spirit fruit and murmured. The courtyard door opened. A big and tall youth entered and caught sight of Su Jin laying sluggardly on the chair. He asked, Master, you told me that little junior brother is coming. Why hasn't he come yet? Xiao, what are you in a hurry for? That kid will come when it's time. Su Jin answered, are you concerned about him? Master, you asked me to arrange accommodation for him and let me take care of his affairs. Xiao said. Wait, it won't be long. Su Jin said. Master, did you throw him into the maze forest? A lazy voice transmitted from outside. Then another youth dressed in white walked in with his eyes half opened. The people in the courtyard didn't think his half-asleep appearance was strange. Presumably, he was always like this. Jiang Junjie, if you're not refining pills or sleeping, why did you run all the way here for? Su Jin looked at his eldest disciple. Every time he saw him, he wanted to refine some pills to destroy his face. However, every time he saw that the former was a little bit worse than himself and let him go. I just finished refining pills and came out. I heard that you came back, so I came to see old man Yu. Jiang Junjie touched his face and said lazily, but he emphasized 3 words, old man Yu, specially. Why are you all here? Is that the kid coming? A lady clad in red entered and saw all 3 of them. She thought it was the legendary little junior brother. The lady in red appeared the most normal of the 3 martial brothers and sisters at present. She appeared normal, talked normal and walked normally. It seemed that she was really normal. But what she said later completely exposed her abnormality. What? Where's the person? Really, I left my delicacy to run over here. I'll go back to eat. Han Miao Shuang, what else can you do besides eating? Su Jin felt a headache looking at his second disciple. Why did his students either love to eat or sleep? How could he have been cheated by them? Master, I can not only eat but also refine pills. Don't you know? Oh, my, I'm so hungry. I'm going back. Han Miao Shuang glanced at Su Jin and was ready to leave. Han Miao Shuang, besides refining pills, you're always eating. Why didn't you get fat like a spirit pig? Jiang Junjie still appeared sluggish. Jiang Junjie, besides refining pills, you're always sleeping. Why didn't you get fat like a pig? Han Miao Shuang returned his words before turning around to leave. Oh, right. When little junior brother arrives, let me know. I want to see what kind of person master accepted this time. Don't worry, he's not like you, very normal. Su Jin replied. Tisk, will you accept normal people as disciples? Han Miao Shuang obviously didn't believe it and left the yard without glancing back. Look at her direction, it was needless to say that she must have gone to find food. I'm going back to sleep. Jiang Junjie crossed over Su Jin and went upstairs. Only Xiao respectfully paid his respects. Master, I'm going to practice alchemy. Su Jin watched the 3 people leave and ruthlessly bit the spirit fruit in his hand. These guys, I'll let you be lazy. Wait till Yu arrive, I'll see if you could remain calm. Thinking of Yu, he thought of what she had just done. He was in no mood to eat his spirit fruit in his hand. He threw it behind him, but he didn't hear the sound of it landing. Master, I just cleaned the courtyard. Xiao, who originally intended to leave, was standing not far behind him. He held Su Jin's discarded spirit fruit. Su Jin got a headache from his plaintive little eyes. Xiao, you are an alchemist, not a janitor. Su Jin felt somewhat exasperated from these failures. I know. I haven't been indolent about alchemy. I just to take the time when senior brother and sister are sleeping and eating to clean. Xiao said. Su Jin rubbed his brows. Hurry up and go. My eyes hurt just from looking at you. What about little junior brother? He'll be here tomorrow at the latest. Then disciple will go prepare his room. Su Jin felt that he was at fault. How did these disciples interest him? With a stifled heart, he'd better deal with the things caused by Yu today. Sima Yu arrived at the elegant pavilion courtyard that night, the most unique courtyard in the inner sect. Yu, this is where teacher Su and his students live. We can't enter the courtyard without permission. We can only send you here. Shui Rong said. Thank you. Sima Yu smiled at Shui Rong. Shui Rong and Ma Bojian wished her well and left. She stood alone in front of the courtyard and didn't go in casually. It's not that she didn't want to, but that she saw traces of the array here. If she went in rashly, she was afraid of being trapped here. It was not a remote place. Although it was late at night, some students passed by here. When they saw her standing in front, they all sneered and walked away. It's another person who wants to be under Teacher Sue. This person is a new student at first sight. He doesn't see what kind of talent he is to also want to be favored by Teacher Sue. These new students are becoming more and more impetuous. They don't want to earnestly cultivate but want to enter under famous teachers. It's also time for the freshmen to know the rules of the sect. Those people talked and left, but the voice of the discussion still was carried by the evening wind. Sima Yu didn't expect that she would provoke such words when she stood there. She thought that everyone in the inner sect liked to cultivate, yet there were still many people who liked to gossip and chit-chat. Just as she was wondering whether to continue standing in the cold wind or venture into the array, a swaying silhouette came from behind. Previous chapter. Next, Sima Yu looked at the shadow on the ground that was elongated by the moonlight. The swaying shape didn't appear normal. Before turning around, the strong intoxicating scent of wine hit her. Who are you? Why are you standing here? Slurred questions came from behind in a drunken manner. Sima Yu turned around and saw a woman in a flaming red dress, drunk, holding a jar of wine in her hand, and looking at her with her head askew. I'm looking for Teacher Sue. Sima Yu answered. Looking for my master? Han Miao Shuang squinted at Sima Yu, then smiled and affirmatively said, You are Sima Yu, right? That's right. Yu greets senior. Sima Yu cupped her hands to Han Miao Shuang. What senior? It's senior sister in here. Han Miao Shuang waved. I was asking them in the daytime when you'll be arriving, and here you are, arriving at night. Not a bad speed, I must say. Come on, I'll take you in. But you must keep up with me, or I can't guarantee where you will disappear off to. Sima Yu glanced at the array with interest. She didn't expect the array to have both a maze effect and transportation effect. Yu will keep up with senior. Isn't it senior sister? Han Miao Shuang corrected her again. Teacher Sue is only my teacher, not my master. Although you're his disciple, you're not my senior sister. I can only call you senior. He didn't accept you as a disciple? This time, Han Miao Shuang was surprised. It didn't match his temperament. Did senior just come back from the barbecue? Sima Yu changed the topic with a smile. How do you know? Han Miao Shuang immediately became interested. Besides the smell of wine on you, there is also the faint aroma of charcoal. Sima Yu explained. Are you familiar with the smell? Han Miao Shuang grabbed her hand. She saw Sima Yu nodding, so she excitedly asked, Then you can make delicious food? A little. Sima Yu did not know how she was so excited. She pondered for a bit before replying. What can you make? Barbecue? Well, I can barbecue. Sima Yu answered. Not only barbecue, I can do other things. She didn't say that. Because she found Han Miao Shuang's expression was a little unusual, which was not the same as other gluttons. But what's wrong, she couldn't determine at the moment. Really? Can you make it for me? Han Miao Shuang said, as a new little junior brother, you should make some food, senior sister. That's settled. You go to the master first, and then I'll go find you later. When they happened to walk into the courtyard, Han Miao Shuang patted her on the shoulder and left very excited. Sima Yu saw that she was so excited that she even seemed to be sober. Does this person really love to eat? She murmured while looking at her back. She likes delicacy and alchemy equally. A youth suddenly appeared beside Sima Yu and startled her. Sima Yu stared with wide eyes at the big man with a height of at least 2 meters. She subconsciously asked, Who are you? Such a tall, strong and rough-looking man, compared to Su Jin's delicate face, it was totally two extremes. I'm Xiao Xiao. I'm Master's third disciple. I used to be the youngest. Now you're here. You're the youngest. Xiao Xiao said. Xiao, the Xiao Xiao, one. Sima Yu stuttered and her whole body did as well. With his appearance, how could he say his name easily? Senior Xiao Xiao, that was? She's Han Miao Shuang. She's Master's second disciple. She arrived over 10 years ago before me. Xiao Xiao answered. Her biggest hobby is to eat, whenever and wherever, as long as there is no alchemy, her hands will be filled with food. That exaggerated? Sima Yu was surprised. Wasn't that beyond the bounds of a glutton? You said that you are the youngest, and she is the second disciple. What about the eldest? Jiang Junjia? He'll come out as soon as he's called. Xiao Xiao said. Before Sima Yu even responded, Xiao Xiao had already began to shout. Eldest martial brother, little junior brothers here. No one responded. Fire. Fire. Someone is going to be disfigured. Xiao Xiao shouted again. Bang. A door on the second floor was flung open. Jiang Junjia went to the balcony and yelled at Xiao Xiao, Su Xiao Xiao, what are you howling here in the middle of the night? Do you want to live? See if I can beat you to death if you dare to disturb my sleep again. Eldest martial brother, you already slept for a whole day. Su Xiao Xiao said. It's only a day, and you're disturbing me? When do I go to bed for only 1 day? Jiang Junjia was furious. He wanted to beat him up. Little junior brothers here. Su Xiao Xiao said. Jiang Junjia finally saw Sima Yu in the back. Sima Yu also saw the appearance of this senior. His face looked prettier than a woman in the moonlight. A loose robe was tied at will, and his long hair was left loose at will. The half-dazed and half-awake eyes were rendered by the moonlight, enchanting. There's nothing more important than sleep. I'll see you tomorrow, little junior brother. If you howl at me again, I'll throw you out. Jiang Junja threatened. You can't beat me. Su Xiaoxiao honestly spoke. Refine pills. Jiang Junja left these two words and went back, leaving Sima Yuyu, who was confused, and Su Xiaoxiao, who was not happy. He wanted you to refine pills? Sima Yuyu asked. He said that he won't fight with me but compete with me in pill refining. Su Xiaoxiao answered. Senior Jiang loves to sleep a lot. Sima Yuyu asked curiously. Besides refining pills, he's always sleeping. Su Xiaoxiao said. Not only that, he hates being disturbed while sleeping. He's super grumpy when awakened. He loves sleeping so much. Sima Yuyu sighed. He likes sleeping as much as second elder martial sister likes eating. He won't let single second slip by. Su Xiaoxiao said. Sima Yuyu took a deep look at Su Xiaoxiao and asked, what do you usually do? Previously Xuerong and others said that Su Jin's disciples were very special. Now when she saw one that could eat and one could sleep of the highest grade, she suddenly wondered what was special about this guy around her. Refine pills. Su Xiaoxiao replied. What else besides refining pills? Clean the house, wash the clothes for the three of them, and polish the entire courtyard. Su Xiaoxiao picked some examples to share. In this world, there were people who liked to do housework. Sima Yuyu could see the spotless courtyard. She thought about how strong the obsessive-compulsive disorder might be. Cough, cough, senior's hobbies are all quite special. What about Teacher Su? She didn't see Su Jin and asked. Master left in the day but I do not know the reason why. He asked me to wait for you and bring you to your room. Come with me. Xiao Xiao said. I've prepared your room. By the way, Master said that you were frightened today, so you can have a good rest. He went to deal with it. Sima Yuyu paused her steps. Su Jin already knew what she had done today. He even said that she was frightened. He's sure that he's right? He must know what she did today, or he wouldn't said he'd deal with it. Now that he knew, how could he say that she was frightened? This is your room. Xiao Xiao led her to a small building on the side. He opened the room. Master and the rest of us live in that small building but the lodging is full. This one was used to put sundries. Now it has been cleaned up by me so it's definitely like a bedroom. The bedding, tables and chairs are all new. No one has used them before. Sima Yuyu walked in and saw a tidy room. Even she who loved cleanliness couldn't find any blemish. Thank you Senior Su. It's very late today. Take a rest first. Leave everything else to tomorrow. After Su Xiaoxiao finished, he left. Sima Yuyu went to the entrance and looked at the courtyard. There were 4 small buildings. One was Su Jin's and their house, the other was her house, and as for the other 2 she didn't know their purpose. But considering all the alchemists must live here, they should be related to alchemy. In addition, there were some flower beds in the courtyard, some of which were rare. There was a large land behind the courtyard, which probably holds medicine herbs. Although Su Jin was a little fussy, he seemed to be normal, but his 3 disciples, how can they all? She shook her head and closed the door gently. At this time, Su Jin was in the director's office of the inner sect, and Hong Fa was also there. He leaned casually on the sofa of the office, while Hong Fa glared at him angrily. The director in the office was a man with a mustache. Seeing the two of them like this, he rubbed his brow and felt a headache. Su Jin, you connived your student to commit violence in the maze forest, yet you are still so indifferent. Aren't you too arrogant? Hong Fa shouted. It doesn't matter that I am arrogant. It's just wrong that your student is begrudging. Why, the cause of the matter has been figured out. Your student was being obscene to my student. What's the matter if my student taught him a lesson? Su Jin played with his fingernails and didn't pay any attention to Hong Fa's anger. Besides, he wasn't killed. He's still alive. Hong Fa only said one word whereas the other retorted with many words, making him almost choke. His face turned unsightly. Su Jin, your student has done such a cruel thing, how can you say it so indifferently and easily? Wrong, I'm not indifferent nor at ease. I'm extremely angry. Su Jin seriously said. Hong Fa coldly snorted. He thought Su Jin was angry at Sima Yuyu. However, he almost spat blood when he heard his last words. My student is also soft-hearted. If another man dares to say that to me, I will not only cut his lower, but his neck as well. Humph, what kind of thing he is to think of my student in such a way. I have to teach him well in the future and be more ruthless when it comes to this kind of thing. It's a shame for us men. Su Jin scolded seriously. Su Jin. Hong Fa roared furiously. I'm not as old as you. My ears are still working. Don't shout so loudly. Su Jin picked his ears. Today's matter is that your student was wrong first, and he was crippled because he is not as capable as others. If I were you, I would not be yelling now. Instead, I would go back and guard your precious apprentice and see if I could take his thing back. If the treatment is early, maybe it can be taken back. As for whether it can be used or not, it depends on your ability. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll go back and have a beauty sleep. Good night, both of you. With that, he got up and exited, ignoring the two inside. As long as the sect did not come forward to punish, he would not care for other things. Hong Fa saw that he left and turned to face the director. Director, you must back up my student. That Sima Yu just arrived and this has already happened. Later. The director raised his hand and interrupted him, saying helplessly, Teacher Hong, today's matter is already clear. It's true that your student was wrong first, and there is no rule in the inner sect that forbids students to fight. The sect rules are as long as there is no loss of human life, nor cultivation wasted, it will not interfere. Your student is neither dead nor wasted, so there is no reason for the sect to punish him. As Teacher Su said, it's useless for you to spend time here. It's better to go back and look after your student. Since the director said so, Hong Fa knew that there was no way to get justice from the sect, so he left in fury. It's true that this little thing has caused such a problem before he even came to the inner sect. It seems that he's also a troublesome thing. In the future, some Su Jin will be busy, Master, you're gloating. Su Jin is too unrestrained. Don't you think is a delightful matter that someone will tidy him up? While the director thought about Su Jin later life, his mustache shook as he laughed. Su Jin returned to his courtyard and saw that Sima Yu's room light had gone out. Although he wanted to rush in and grab her ear and scold her for doing well, he gave up when he thought about his cosmetology. It's time to go to bed. Although Sima Yu was lying on the bed, she was awake. When Su Jin came in, she knew. She perceived that he had stopped in the courtyard for a while, and she thought he was going to find her, but he went back directly. The next morning, Su Xiaoshan knocked on her door. Little junior brother, someone's looking for you. Sima Yu opened the door and saw Su Xiaoxiao's fierce appearance. After a night, she miraculously accepted the contrast between his name and appearance. Who's looking for me? She just arrived in the inner sect. They said they're your brothers and friends. Sima Yu automatically knew who they were. Thanks Senior Su for telling me. Su Xiaoxiao hesitated and said, ask Master about this. None of us have any friends, so no one has looked for us before. I have never experienced such a thing before. I don't know if I can let them in. Then I'll go ask Master. Sima Yu took 2 steps before stopping to ask, where is Master's room? Junior brother, you shouldn't bother Master right now. He's terrifying when he just wakes up. Su Xiaoxiao reminded her good-naturedly. He has problems waking up. Master said that when one is sleeping nice and soundly, it is the world's most tragic thing to be woken up. That is why we do not call on him in the morning. Sima Yu's expression was exceedingly dark. Alright then, I'll go and look for my brother and the others first. I'll bring you out. Su Xiaoxiao knew that Sima Yu was still unsure of the arrays outside, so she led her around. Let me tell you about the rules of this array so you'll know how to enter it. Thank you, Senior Su. Sima Yu said gratefully. Actually, she had already been here with Han Miao yesterday, so she knew how to navigate around the place. However, since Su Xiaoxiao was so passionate about it, she felt she shouldn't reject his gesture of goodwill. She had even done her best to make it look as if she couldn't figure the way out so quickly, and even intentionally asked 2 questions. However, Su Xiaoxiao was still really surprised when she said that she already knew the way. 5th bro. Yu. Sima Yu Qi, Sima Yu Ming, Wei Zi Qi and Bei Gong Tang were outside in the courtyard and waved to her when they saw her come out. Big bro, 2nd bro, what are you guys doing here? Sima Yu walked over, then turned around to say goodbye to Su Xiaoxiao. Senior Su, you may head back first. Su Xiaoxiao glanced at Wei Zi Qi the others and said, come back once you're done chatting. Master will definitely look for you when he awakens. Understood, thank you, Senior Su. Yu, how are you doing? Really good. What's up? How did you guys find out that I was here so quickly? After ascertaining that she was really fine, the 4 of them finally heaved a sigh of relief. Last night, I heard about the situation with you and Ma Bojian. I even heard that you sent the disciple of Teacher Hong flying. We were afraid that something happened to you. We heard this morning that they had returned, so we ran over to scout for information. They told us that you were here, so here we are. 5th bro, what was going on? Why did you waste that guy? I heard that Teacher Hong is really powerful, and said that he wants the school to expel you. Later on, Teacher Su came out and suppressed everything. Sima Yu shrugged, that guy wanted me to service them and wanted me to follow them. After I was done servicing them, I could stay in the Thunderbolt group and seek their protection. That barbaric piece of trash, I'm going to kill him. There's no need to get mad, I wasn't the one who lost out in the end. It's no wonder the Thunderbolt clan released word that you would never be able to exist if you did. Any group that accepted you would also be taking them as an enemy. Hong Fa's students are also hollering about how they want to teach you a lesson. What's there to fear? Who dares to provoke me? If 1 comes, I'll kill 1. If 2 come, I'll kill both, as long as you're sure. Wei Zi Qi said, there are rules in the sect, so they won't act against you openly. We're just afraid that they'll plot against you. I'll keep a lookout. They've gone into closed-door seclusion. A teacher has his eye on Fatty, so has been handpicked somewhere else. We haven't heard any news about that. Ouyang has been in seclusion refining pills the past 2 days. Bei Gong Tang said, where did Fatty go? His teacher is an oddball as well. His teacher is the first armament master that the teacher had, so she set her sights on him and insisted that he become her disciple. You should know that the relationship between a teacher and his disciple is different from the relationship he has with a student. He's been carted over to his master's residence. Wei Zi Qi explained. That's not bad. That guy finally caught a break. Fatty Chu was rather talented and had a knack for crafting tools. However, he had never been taught before. Sima Yu initially planned to enroll him in the Divine Devil Valley, then get a teacher for him from the valley. Who would have thought that he would have found one on his own? In the beginning, the guy refused to go. He said that there was no future following a female master. In the end, he was forcefully taken to see her tools, and he ended up running over too eagerly on his own. What about little two? Which teacher is teaching him now? Little two was different from the rest. He was sent to the inner sect within a year. Wei Ziqi and the others shook their heads slowly, causing her to feel a little worried. Could something have happened to him? No, it's just that we have yet to obtain news about him. No news? Could it be that he's not in the inner sect? He is in here in the inner sect, but we asked a lot of people and they don't know who little two is. We only met a crazy guy who claimed to have met little two before. However, he didn't have any news of him. Sima Yuqi said, furthermore, that was when he had first entered the inner sect. How do you know that he's fine then? If all was well, why would there be a complete lack of news? Yu, calm down. Wei Ziqi comforted her. The crazy person said that he met him in the principal's office. There was no news of him later on. He supposes that his whereabouts have been kept secret by the school. You know as well that little two is different from us. That's why the possibility of that happening is pretty high. Who's the crazy person? Feng Yunbang, a guy who's in the top 20. It's because he loves looking for people to battle. Furthermore, he acts like a crazy person when he's battling. That's why everyone calls him crazy. How did you meet him? There was once he fought with someone and got pretty injured, and happened to come to us to buy pills. We just casually asked. Who would have thought that he would really have known? Bei Gongtang said. I have no interest in fighting a battle-crazed dog like that. Sima Yu said with a wave of her hand. The worst thing about being involved with a battle-crazed person like that is that he will come and hound you to battle him whenever he's bored. It's simply asking for trouble to hang out with these types of people. She looked over to the courtyard, saying, since teacher is not yet awake, let's go. I'll take you guys around for a look. You can familiarize yourself with the places so that you won't get lost, alright. The place where Wei Ziqi and the others were living in, was considered to be those kind of huge dorms. A few tens of people shared a single courtyard. Although each person had their own house, it was a lot different from where Sima Yu lived. Sima Yu actually saw two familiar people when she entered. Yen Er, Wu Hen. You guys live here too? Sima Yu asked with surprise. Tuoba Yen EW just happened to return from her closed-door cultivation. Yu? When did you come to the sect? I arrived last night. Us new students pretty much use these few houses. It just happens that they are your brothers and friends, so we stayed together. Yu, what are you? I came to see where my brothers were living and familiarize myself with the area. The Thunderbolt team is out looking for you. What are you doing here? Feng Wuhen said. You know about it too. It's such big news. The entire sect found out about it within the day. Furthermore, the Thunderbolt team has been going around talking about it, so everyone wants to see how things end up when you fight. Pfft. Sima Yu let out a laugh. If the leader of the Thunderbolt team isn't an idiot, then it means he has a grudge against that person. They didn't get it. Otherwise, why would he tell everyone about the fact that he was castrated? Sima Yu said, to a male, what do you think is the most embarrassing thing? However, everyone knows this now. If the leader of the team doesn't have a grudge against him, then it must mean that he's an idiot. Pfft. Now that she had explained things in this way, everyone understood. It really seemed to be the case. Cough. There's no need for you to bother about whether or not that guy is an idiot. With so many people in the Thunderbolt team, you'll end up on the worse end of the exchange if you fight them. I'll take note of it. What are you talking about? So, Feng Wuhen told her about how Sima Yu had wasted the guy. When Tuoba Yen Er heard it, she looked at Sima Yu with a face full of shock and couldn't help but burst into laughter. She actually laughed till tears spilled out of the corners of her eyes. Yu. You're a guy, okay. Didn't you think about yourself when you did it? Nope. Sima Yu answered honestly, because she wasn't a real guy. Alright, Yu. Let's take you back. Now that you're in the thick of things, it wouldn't be good if those from the Thunder. Alright then. Teacher should have woken up by now, too. Sima Yu said, Yen Er, Wu Hen, I'll come by for a chat sometime. Alright. Tuoba Yen Er and the others naturally knew where Su Jin's house was, so they didn't follow her. Bei Gongtang and the others followed after her to send her out. It wasn't too far away, and they were already pretty low-key, but the people from the Thunderbolt team still discovered them. Brother Xian. He's the one. He's Sima Yu. Following this, the group of them quickly rushed forward to surround them. That's Sima Yu? He looks really young. Is he really the one? Who's that? Sima Yu. Who's Sima Yu? You don't even know who Sima Yu is? Why should I? Don't you know what happened yesterday? Yesterday? I was in closed-door cultivation yesterday and only something either really big or small happened yesterday. Alright already, don't beat around the bush. Just tell me. Actually, it's nothing much. It's just that this Sima Yu castrated one of the students. What? He's too bold, isn't he? Not only that. He even beat up a group of a few tens of people. Are you serious? Hey, you better not doubt me. Sima Yuming and the others didn't have much of a reaction to the passionate discussions of those around them. Leader Xiao, what do you plan to do? Heh. You recognize me? Xiao Qi looked at Sima Yuming. It's easier since you recognize me. Hand over the person in your midst and we can let you go for the time being so you can just watch the show. My younger brother has just entered the inner sect and is unfamiliar. There are some things he can't do well yet, so I'll have to ask for Leader Xiao for your patience. He is your younger brother? After Xiao Qi spoke, the people beside him pounced on them. How? Sima Yu walked beside Sima Yuming and dusted her hands, saying, can we fight here? As long as you don't kill them. Alright. Sima Yu nodded solemnly. No killing, then. She could come up with a plan if she had a bottom line. You're bold, aren't you? You actually dare to beat up my men from the Thunderbolt team. Shao Qi was so frightened by Sima Yu's attack and he subconsciously took a few steps backward. Sima Yu stepped on the back of one of the ones lying on the floor. She looked at Shao Qi. Leader Shao, was it? Are you blind or do you just bully people blindly? It's clear that you're the one who led your men over here to beat me up, but now you're twisting it and trying to say that I'm the bold on? Could it be that after being beaten up, you still want to gift your face over to me for another punch? I'm not that stupid. Leader Shao, do you want to try receiving a punch? You. Shao Qi saw her ice gold gaze along with his anguished men and faltered. However, he couldn't back down either when he saw the group of people gathered to watch the show. Leader Shao, can I trouble you to head back and let those above you know that the sect is a place where people come to study, not to fight. If you do not bother my studies, we can live harmoniously. But if you insist on getting in my way and making me your enemy, I don't mind battling with you to the death. Sima Yu took Sima Yu Ming and the Sima Yu. Why does this name sound so familiar? Didn't the new student who took leave for a year have the name Sima Yu? Yeah, it seems to be him. He's actually a new student. Heavens. How is his battle ability anything like a new student? He isn't just a new student. He's even an alchemist. How does an alchemist have such strong battle capability? This person is way too scary. It'd be best if we stayed out of his way. He's right. The Thunderbolt team just insist on making an enemy out of him, but he's going to be a hard pill to swallow. Haha. I'm kinda looking forward to the future days. Shao Qi didn't get hit, but his expression was terrible. Let's go. You useless group of rubbish. Both groups had left, so those who gathered to watch dispersed as well. Mo Bin, did you see that? That guy is so strong. The blue-clad man pulled on the black-clothed man's sleeve excitedly. Mo Bin pulled his sleeve out of his hand and said faintly, I saw it. The student isn't bad, isn't it, isn't it? Tang Yen didn't mind getting tossed off as he beamed. I really didn't think that such a cute freshman would appear this time. Even the Thunderbolt team is afraid of him. TSK, I wonder if this is another case of the new generation surpassing the former. Whether or not it is none of your business. Let's go. Mo Jin turned around to leave as Tang Yen chased after him. Do you think he will participate in the later 3 matches? Didn't you hear them say that he was an alchemist? He should be participating in the alchemist battle. It'll be good if he participates in the one for Spirit Masters. I really want to see how many people he can surpass. The top 200, I guess. It's already amazing for a freshman to reach the top 500. It's possible. But he might suppress his strength. Mo Jin felt like the possibility was high. How could he possibly win me? I gave him a heavy. How do you know that he doesn't come looking for us? Does he? Tang Yan's eyes opened wide. How come I didn't hear anything about it? A long time ago. Mo Jin said, we settled it a long time ago. If he lost, he couldn't come and bother me for 100 years. The result was an unquestionable loss. Tang Yen saw the look in his eyes, saying that he was really stupid. He felt that he was really stupid as well. The next time that crazy guy came to bother him, he would definitely only fight after setting down this condition. The two of them walked around the garden, drawing the attention of many around them. Isn't that Mo Jin and Ting Yen, placed 5th and 10th in the whole sect? They actually came out. Heavens, it's really them. Stop being infatuated. Sima Yu, Bei Gong Tang and the others walked to the main gate of Su Jin's house as a red silhouette suddenly dashed out. Handsome lil bro, where did you run off to? I was looking for you for so long. Student Han, why are you so anxious? It was only when they came inside. I came to find you in the morning but you weren't around. What can I help you with? Second senior, I just cleaned the courtyard. Shao, if you keep making a racket, I'm going to throw you out. Jiang Junzhe was even more straightforward as a mysterious object came flying out the window, aimed directly at Su Shao. Su Shao subconsciously dodged to the side and Sima Yu took a look. A lone pillow lay pitifully on the ground. Sima Yu looked at the courtyard, which had exploded in a second, and could almost see a black crow was flying above her head while cawing. She walked over and picked up the pillow. Hefting it in her head, she looked at the huffing Su Shao. Student Su, what's going on? Su Shao glared at Han Miao Shuang, eyes wide as if he wanted to swallow her whole. However, thinking about the two sleeping people, he still forcefully lowered his voice. I don't know where she got a spirit beast from, but she tossed it on the ground and let its blood flow everywhere. Shao, isn't it because I couldn't find another place? It seems to me that you casually found a place to toss it before running over to find junior brother. Isn't it just bleeding a little? Why are you so angry? I told you before that you're not to bring in those half-dead things into the courtyard. Sima Yu finally understood. This Han Miao Shuang had run off to heavens knows where last night and fought with a spirit beast. Cough, could it be that you want me to roast it for you? She spoke when she saw that the two of them were getting in. Yes. Han Miao Shuang glared at Su Shao before turning around to beam at Sima Yu. Student Su, kindly send this up for Student Jiang. I'll help you tidy the courtyard. Previous chapter. Although Su Shao wasn't too pleased, he still took the pillow and kept it into his interspatial ring. Let's go, I'll go with you. Sima Yu saw Han Miao Shuang smirking in the corner, and knew that she had intentionally riled Su Shao up. Senior, we can go off as well. Hee, let's go. Sima Yu couldn't help but shake her head. They came to an empty plot of land behind the courtyard and she knew why Su Shao was mad. Little junior brother, how do you find this bull? I specifically picked one that wasn't too old, so the Sima Yu pursed her lips, saying, Senior, you can't be expecting me to roast all of this. I was thinking of that, but if you really did, I wouldn't be able to finish it. Actually, meat off this bull isn't that delicious. Why don't we just have shabu hot? She clearly knew that she liked eating, so why did she bother talking so much? As expected. Little junior brother, you even know how to have spirit beast shabu shabu hot pot? How do we do that? Yu sighed secretly and even said with a smile, we just have to make a broth and dip them. Will that be yummy? Yu really wanted to say that it, then help me make the soup. Su Xiao was extremely Sima Yu was a person of, Han Miao Shuang was even more little junior brother, you really know how to cook, don't you? Haha, I know just by looking at your equipment that you're going to be a fantastic cook. I haven't been cooking much lately. She didn't have much time to cook these 2 years, that must mean that you used to. Making the soup. As the soup was boiling, she came, Han Miao Shuang took a piece of it and was, Su Xiao had been captivated, smells so good. The fragrance wafted out from inside the pot. The place just beside the courtyard belonged to Su Jin. They saw 3 of them gathered around a pot in the courtyard happily while eating. Sima Yu looked at the 2 of them who were eating so happily and sighed inwardly. Xiao, are you done sweeping the courtyard? Master, I'll continue cleaning the courtyard later. I'm going to eat little junior brother's cooking first. As for Han Miao Shuang, she didn't even raise her head as her eyes and hands were wandering around wantonly. Su Jin watched his 2 disciples and had not yet decided whether or not he wanted to go down to try it out when Jiang Junjia beat him to it and dragged his half-awake body down the stairs. Let me try. Su Xiao wasn't mad as he took out a chair and placed it somewhere else before continuing his battle with the delicacy. Sima Yu took out a pair of chopsticks and a bowl, handing it to Jiang Junjia. That guy watched what Su Xiao and the others did and knew how to go about eating it. Little junior brother, only after eating your cooking do I know now how distasteful the things I've ever eaten are. Why did you not come earlier? Delicious. Delicious. It's truly not bad. Hey you brats, why didn't you invite me if you were eating? Teacher Su. Sima Yu stood up and offered her seat up to him. The 4 of them completed the table seating perfectly. Little junior brother, cut another portion of meat for me. Sima Yu wandered helplessly over to the side to cut out another 2 portions of meat. Then, she thought for a bit before taking out some chicken and spirit beasts. She chopped them up and added them to the pile. Then, she took out some more vegetables from inside the spirit pagoda and added them to the plate. These guys ate portion after portion, and what initially began as a simple shabu hot pot for Han Miao Shuang, turned into a massive feast for the 4 of them. The 4 of them ate from morning till the afternoon, and they only stopped when they could eat no more. Xiao, go clean up. Yu, come here. Sima Yu was happy for someone to clean up instead, so she placed her things down and walked over. Su Jin took out a toothpick and placed it in his mouth, saying, did you cause trouble again when you went out today? Sima Yu blinked. Wasn't this guy sleeping? There are a lot of students outside now. This hasn't happened before. Who are they looking for except for you? Su Jin said. Sima Yu closed her eyes and sensed for a bit. As expected, many students gathered outside. Didn't you already deal with the problem? How can there be more matters? She had some doubts about Su Jin's efficiency. I've dealt with the teachers and the sect of course, or else how can you still sit here now? If not, you will probably be thrown out by Hong Fa. Su Jin snorted. As for the students, of course you have to deal with them. I can't fix everything for you, otherwise, how would you ever gain experience? Go and deal with those guys for me. It's their own choice that they chose to stand out there. Sima Yu didn't go out, instead she pulled out a chair and sat down beside him. Teacher, should you tell me, how are you going to teach me as a teacher? The alchemy room is over there. If you don't understand, just ask me. Su Jin pointed to a row of small houses in the courtyard. No classes. There is no fixed classroom in the inner sect. Everyone just creates one, especially those spirit masters. Besides the dormitory, there's a cultivation pagoda. We alchemists are almost the same, we have an extra alchemy room. If you want to go refine pills in the alchemy room, you can. Su Jin had a suit-yourself look. What kind of place is an alchemy room? Sima Yu asked. Like you can make refined pills in my small alchemy room. But if you don't have a teacher to guide you, disciples can too, you can find one in the alchemy room. However, those alchemists will go to the alchemy room if they have nothing to do and answer questions for students. Su Jin answered. Will you go? I of course, don't want to go. Su Jin appeared helpless. That old guy wanted me to go at least twice a week. Headmaster Yuan. It's him. Su Jin sighed, those people are really stupid. Unlike Xiao and them, they understand easily. I have to be absolutely clear with them, which always wastes a lot of my time. But you still explain clearly every time. Han Miao Shuang chimed in as she gnawed at spirit fruit. If I don't teach them well, the old man will ask me to be the head of the department. I don't want to. Su Jin said proudly, although I go there every week, it's better than being the head of the department. Many alchemists who has masters can also practice in the alchemy room and discuss alchemy with other alchemists. Xiao said as he cleaned on the side. Sima Yu didn't expect that the teaching mode of the inner sect would be so open. She thought that she would be locked in the classroom every day. Little junior brother, when will you make other food us? How about having a barbecue in the evening? Han Miao Shuang came over, smiling flatteringly. It's past noon. Sima Yu continued, by the way, I said that I haven't hailed teacher as master, so I'm not your junior brother. You can just call me Yu. She had not hailed Su Jin as a teacher, so she was not their junior brother. Although she had 2 masters, Feng Zhixing and the old man devil, they were different. Therefore, the former couldn't be designated such. But Su Jin was also a master in alchemy. She couldn't hail others as a master without the consent of old man devil. This was respect for old man devil. Su Xiao and Han Miao Shuang turned their heads to look at Su Jin. Su Jin took out a sound stone and threw it to Sima Yu. Sima Yu puzzledly grabbed it. There was spirit power inside. Dear apprentice, I know you won't admit this guy Su Jin as a teacher. But that guy didn't believe it. The voice of the old man devil transmitted from the sound stone, I'm glad to be a master of a good disciple like you, but I've often been outside and I haven't taught you many things. Once your alchemy has broken through the 6th rank and entered 7th rank, it will be difficult to advance. It's better to have someone around to teach you. And although this guy is a little worse than me in the past, he is also a good alchemist. So, you should consider him as the second master. Remember that he is the second master. Oh, who is that? Stop right there, dash. Old man devil shouted in the end and then no more sound came. After hearing the recording, Sima Yu got up and kneeled in front of Su Jin. Disciple greets second master. Get up. Su Jin was very dissatisfied with the name of second master, but he couldn't help it. Old man devil seized the place of the eldest master many years ago. Hehe, like I said, you must be our little junior brother. Su Xiao frankly smiled. Sima Yu got up. Second master, why do you have a message from master? I met him some time ago. Su Jin answered. When? Where? How did you meet? Divine Devil Valley hadn't heard from the old man devil for a long time. How could Su Jin meet him? Inner regions, Rainbow Villa. Master, I need to leave for a bit. Jiang Junja huddled in his chair and dozed off. When Sima Yu hurriedly ran off, he slightly raised his eyelids. Who's his master? I didn't expect him to already have a master. How's his alchemy skills? Not worse than you. Su Jin uncourteously said. Jiang Junja's eyebrows jumped. His eyes were wide opened. He's familiar with everyone he knew, so what was he interested about? Master, are you serious? Little junior brother is not that old. Han Miao Shuang did not believe Sima Yu's alchemy level was comparable to them. I think he would like to discuss alchemy with you. Su Jin said. Little junior brother is only 20-30 years old. His alchemy level is on par with us. Your talent used to be special back then, but against him, you have to accept the fact. So, we need to have a good discussion with little junior brother. How are you doing with the various refining methods? 8 common medicines and 4 complicated medicines. 6 common medicines and 3 complicated medicines. Su Xiao rubbed the back of his head. I've the least. 6 common medicines, only 2 complicated medicines. How about green lotus pill? What's your shortest time? 5 hours. Su Xiao answered first this time. I'm about the same, 4.5 hours. Jiang Junja said. Did he refine this pill before? Su Jin rolled his eyes at his 3 disciples and said, You 3, either eat or sleep, or nest in the courtyard as a janitor, don't you care about the matters outside at all? The examination of the inner sect this time was to refine a green lotus pill. Master, don't keep people in suspense. Tell me, what was little junior brother's result? Previous chapter. He was late at that time. By the time he arrived at the examination hall, it was only 3.5 hours till the end. Su Jin said. How could it be? Han Miao Shuang cried out in astonishment, 3.5 hours to refine the green lotus pill? Master, are you sure of the time? Is your master such a casual person? Su Jin glared at her and continued, he could refine the green lotus pill in such a short time because of his various refining methods. When I saw him, he can refine up to 10 kinds of herbs at a time. 10 kinds. Han Miao Shuang and Su Xiao both sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Jiang Junja's eyes became serene and clear. Elder Martial Brother can only refine 8 kinds of herbs at the same time. He can do 10. Is his level of alchemy higher than that of Elder Martial Brother? Su Xiao exclaimed. It doesn't mean that way. Su Jin said, there is no direct relationship between various refining methods and levels. Junja has practiced for so many years. The difference is in age. Even if he didn't surpass you, I don't think he's far from you. Humph, you guys don't practice all day. You either eat or sleep all day long. Humph, look, you've been overtaken. I've decided. Han Miao Shuang jumped from her chair scaring Sima Yu who happened to walk into the courtyard. Senior sister, what have you decided? Sima Yu walked over and asked. I decided to watch you refine pills. Han Miao Shuang announced as she put both her hands on her waist. Sima Yu looked at everyone else. How did their view of her suddenly change when she just went out for a bit? Han Miao Shuang went over and put her hand around her neck and asked, Little junior brother, be honest, what's your alchemy level? 7th grade. What's wrong? Sima Yu glanced puzzledly at Han Miao Shuang. How old are you? Su Xiao asked. Soon, I'll be 30. 30. On the earth, I'm an old leftover girl. But here, with a lifespan of thousands of years, I'm just like a baby. Han Miao Shuang was speechless. She patted Sima Yu on the shoulder and said, when I was 30, I was just promoted to be a 5th grade alchemist. At that time, I thought I was very powerful, but now it seems that I was too arrogant. Fortunately, you are my junior brother, or I will want to pat you to death. No more rambling. I have to practice well. I'm so jealous of you. Senior sister. Sima Yu had nothing to refute. Where was her jealousy? I've decided. After she finished, she actually headed to the alchemy room. I'll go as well. Master, I cleaned the courtyard. I'll also go refine. Sima Yu observed the courtyard suddenly emptied, but she didn't expect that her presence would stimulate them to go practice alchemy. She looked at Su Jin. He must have told them something about her for them to be like this. Did you contact the Divine Devil Valley? Martial Uncle has been anxious about Master's whereabouts, yet he couldn't contact him. Why did Master go to the inner regions? He had to deal with something. Oh, if there's nothing else, I'm returning to my room. How could there be nothing? Sima Yu followed Su Jin out. Those who were gathered outside did not dare to approach her when they saw her. Su Jin was the most difficult and special teacher in the inner sect. He and Hong Fa were known as the two freaks in the inner sect. No one dared to offend them. When she saw their appearances, Sima Yu took a deep breath and swaggered on out. Su Jin directly led her to the director's office. When the director saw her, his eyes twinkled. Then he smiled and threw a box to Su Jin, which he gave to her. She opened the box. She saw that there was a thin book, a token and a rare spirit stone in it. The spirit stone is your cultivation resource and the token is your identification. As for that book, you should study it carefully after you go back. The director said. Sima Yu took out the book, turned to the title page, and seeing the 4 big characters on it, she couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth. Inner sect rules. Does everyone get this? No, only individual students. And Sima Yu had been included in the troublemaker group by him. Sima Yu also guessed the same. She rolled her eyes in her heart. She was obviously innocent. Those people of Thunderbolt team started it first. Although he was crippled, he also asked for it. How could she become a problematic student? Old Mao, are you only sending him off with a spirit stone? What about the other things? Su Jin directly demanded from none. Mao Sanquan waved his hands at Su Jin in dismissal. You know those things can only be used when the freshman first arrived. He missed the opportunity, so those things have been sealed. Since they're sealed, they can be opened again. Su Jin insisted. But the blood lake is of no use to him. Why do you want to violate the sect's rule? Mao Sanquan refuted. As for the cultivation pagoda, you know it has been used up by the freshmen. Su Jin glanced at Sima Yu. He could also tell that her body was stronger than normal people. The blood lake was most likely useless to her. As the best student of the sect, shouldn't the sect express itself when entering? Those people who either soak in the blood lake and isolate themselves in the cultivation pagoda. They can't give her nothing. Su Jin was perverse. Even if the blood lake is useless to him, it's always good to be able to soak in it. Don't you think so, old Mao? Didn't I give him the spirit stone? It's only 1 spirit stone. Can you even accept this? Are my students short of spirit stones? If you want to give one, then give a better one. Su Jin walked towards Mao Sanquan's desk and sat on it. He didn't have the image of a teacher, rather he appeared more like a gangster. Toward Su Jin's appearance, Sima Yu could not help but hold her forehead, hang her head very low, and pretend she didn't see him. However, Mao Sanquan was used to his behavior. With a forced smile, he took out a small box from his interspatial ring and threw it at Sima Yu. This is my personal compensation. Sima Yu opened the box and saw a blood-red spirit stone inside it. It was valuable at a glance. If she absorbed the spirit power contained in it, she calculated it wouldn't be any less effective than her closed cultivating in Cultivation Tower for a month. Su Jin glanced at the spirit stone and saw that it was pretty good. Then he smiled and said, Old Mao, you really have many good things. Yu, since it was given to you by Director Mao, you can keep it. Yes, Sima Yu stored everything away. She turned towards Mao Sanquan and said, Thank you, Director Mao. Practice hard, and the world will belong to you young people in the future. Mao Sanquan preached. This student will. Sima Yu respectfully answered. Alright, if there's nothing else, quickly disappear from my eyes. Mao Sanquan urged as he waved his hand in dismissal at Su Jin. Director Mao, I have something to ask you. Sima Yu started. Mao Sanquan was surprised, but he still smiled. Ask me? Go ahead, what's the matter? It's like this. I have a little brother. He entered the inner sect a year ago. But my big brother told me there's no news of him. So, I would to find out about his whereabouts. Sima Yu spoke. What's his name? Mao Sanquan asked. Little Tuesday. Little Two? Mao Sanquan's eyes flashed in astonishment. He is your little brother? He's not my blood-related little brother. He has been living with us since we rescued him from the bad guys a few years ago. We all think of him as our little brother. Sima Yu said. He's not in the sect as of now. Mao Sanquan said. Don't ask me where he is. I don't know. Vice President Fan is in charge of this matter. In charge? What happened to Little Two? Sima Yu worriedly asked. Don't worry. There's probably nothing the matter with him. Mao Sanquan answered. Director Mao, what happened to Little Two? While he was cultivating in the blood lake, I don't know the reason, the spirit beast's blood in his body recovered completely, and his body can't bear the power. Mao Sanquan explained. So when he left, it was really dangerous. You don't know his situation as of now? Sima Yu asked. Before that, the vice president has sent back news that his situation has stabilized, but this year no news has been sent back. Mao Sanquan replied. No news means good news. Su Jin interjected. I met that little guy before. His body was alright. He probably won't easily succumb. Sima Oyue was choked by his straightforward words, but her subconscious believed his words. Alright, let's go. Let's not bother old Mao anymore. Su Jin got down from Mao Sanquan's desk and departed. Oh right, President Yuan will be back in a few months. Su Jin stopped his steps when he heard Mao Sanquan's words. He shrugged and said, after going out for so long, he will come back at last. What has he figured out? Mao Sanquan seamlessly glanced at Sima Yu, then cast his gaze afar. He said quietly, there is something he has to come back to deal with, so he has to come back. In short, you've been cashing in recently. Don't let him clean you up as soon as he comes back. I know. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Su Jin waved impatiently as if he was upset about the news of President Yuan returning. Sima Yu left with him. Seeing that he was a little depressed, she couldn't help but ask, your relationship with President Yuan not good? Su Jin shook his head. If it wasn't a good, he would have already left. How could he promise to stay here for so many years? Your relationship with President Yuan is really good? She asked again. Su Jin nodded, then immediately he shook his head again. He looked up at the sky in a 45-degree angle, and sighed sadly. Originally, he had said that he would take Sima Yu around, but now he wasn't in the mood. He took her directly back to the courtyard and said she could do anything she wanted before going back to his room, leaving her confused. Little junior brother is back. Perfect, we can discuss alchemy issues. Han Miao Shuang came from the alchemy room and saw Sima Yu standing in the courtyard. She waved at her. Sima Yu walked over. Second senior sister, aren't you refining pills? Yes, I was refining a batch and it failed, so I haven't continued. Han Miao Shuang said, what are you doing standing in the courtyard? Second senior sister, I have something to ask you. Alright, go ahead. How is Master and President Yuan's relationship? Very good. Han Miao Shuang nodded. Then why did his mood change when he heard that President Yuan is coming back? A sunny day turned rainy. He's wholly depressed. He said he would take me around the sect, but he didn't go at last. He brought me back. Sima Yu said. President Yuan is returning? When? Han Miao Shuang blinked her eyes in curiosity. Director Mao didn't say. Sima Yu answered. No, second senior sister, that's not the point. The point is why did the master become like this when he heard that President Yuan was returning? That, leave him alone. He is troubled by himself, and it'll be good if he's troubled. Han Miao Shuang said, you can show me why I failed every time I practice this pill. What is master troubled with? Sima Yu didn't understand. Every time when President Yuan wants come back, master will be more happy. But President Yuan will take him out to go fix every time he comes back, and then catch him doing a bad job, and then say he should not be arrogant, should care about the students, do not always quarrel with the teachers of the students, so every time he hears that President Yuan is going to come back, he's always like this. He wants to come back again and also don't want him to. Just pretend you don't see it. Han Miao Shuang picked up the herbs and said it casually. Sima Yu smiled. She was worried about him just now for naught. It turned out he was depressed because he was troubled by this. When she thought of little two, she began to worry again. She wondered about his situation. Little junior brother, stop thinking too much. Come and see where is it that I'm wrong. Han Miao Shuang saw she was in a dazed, so she urged her. Oh. Sima Yu came over to her pill furnace. She carefully sniffed the pill furnace. She asked in surprise, second senior sister, how do you make your pills every day? Right. What's wrong? Han Miao Shuang nodded. I'm very curious. How have you lived till now? Previous chapter. Next. Han Miao Shuang was scared for a moment from Sima Yu shout. She didn't understand why she was angry. Little junior brother, where is the problem? Sima Yu took out the herbs. Refine this one more time. Then I'll tell you where went wrong. You really can see it. Han Miao Shuang looked at Sima Yu with disbelief. She smelled the residue of her refinement and knew the problem. It startled her too much. Refine it first. It'll clarify my conjecture. Sima Yu said. Alright. Han Miao Shuang restarted the refinement while Sima Yu watched her refinement methods on the side. She didn't expect that she would know various refining methods, but her divine sense was not strong enough, so the quantity of each refinement was not large. Although Han Miao Shuang liked eating very much and her personality was a bit delirious, once she began to refine pills, her demeanor changed. This was similar to Fatty Chu. At the beginning of refinement, Sima Yu didn't say anything. When Han Miao Shuang began to fuse, she watched her closely and from a distance. As expected, half an hour later, the furnace began to emit restless sounds, then a loud explosion resounded as the furnace lid was blown away. While Han Miao Shuang condensed a protective layer at the instant the explosion occurred, she had also quickly backed away. During the blast, Sima Yu observed the furnace and the alchemy room were covered with a light rippling effect. They were well protected. Sima Yu witnessed Han Miao Shuang's action of condensing a protective layer and jumping out of the explosion range. Thankfully, she had reacted quickly. Han Miao Shuang sneered, this experience has become more and more conditioned. The furnace is actually alright. She walked over. The furnace had been restored to its original condition, making her curious. There are arrays carved on the furnace, and there are arrays in the room. Once there is an explosion, the arrays will automatically activate. Han Miao Shuang explained, little junior brother, have you figured it out? I've been stuck here for a long time. If you can't think of any problems, I'll have to go to Master. You never went to find Master? Sima Yu asked in surprise. Didn't Master go out a while ago? After coming back, I haven't seen him all day. Han Miao Shuang said, generally, when we encounter this situation, we'll try to find the problem by ourselves first, and then find elder martial brother. If we can't even solve it, we will go find Master. So it's like this. Sima Yu nodded. How is it? Have you discovered where the problem is? Han Miao Shuang asked again. In fact, your problem is very simple. What is this? Sima Yu picked up a light yellow flower and asked. 3 seeds flower. How about this? Sima Yu picked up a stalk. Fern soil root. Are these 2 herbs in conflict with one another? Han Miao Shuang examined the 3 seeds flower and fern soil root and looked at her puzzledly. One is of the wood property while the other is of the soil property, so these 2 don't conflict. The problem isn't with the herb type property. Sima Yu explained. These 2 kinds of herbs should be complementary. When they are together, they will improve each other's efficacy. Then why? Han Miao Shuang was more confused. The problem is that. Sima Yu held up the fern soil root. Fern soil root? Why is it this? Many 7th grade pills require this. Han Miao Shuang said. That's right, but 3 seeds flower is rarely used. Sima Yu said. Fern soil root has a mild property and plays an auxiliary role in many pill refinement. It can achieve a high pill rate. But not in this case. Because of the 3 seeds flower? There's one thing that 3 seeds flower is the same with fern soil root, which is that they can change their properties. Sima Yu informed, after the 3 seeds flower is refined, its wood property will be reduced and its water property will be increased. As for fern soil root, the soil property also contains fire property. If the extraction time is too long, the soil property volatilizes, leaving behind fire property. When water and fire meet, and there is no blending. It's not strange that the furnace blew up. Han Miao Shuang slapped her own forehead. So that's why. Some medicinal materials will change some of their properties in the process of refining, which I did know before, but now it seemed I actually forgotten all about it. Thank you, little junior brother. If not for you, I would still be doing useless work. There is not much denaturation of this medicine, and there are few cases of the 2 at the same time. It's normal that senior sister didn't think of it for a while. Sima Yu said. Han Miao Shuang glanced at the herbs and excitedly smiled, all is good now I know where the problem lies. She rushed to clean up the residue in excitement and took out another batch of herbs to start refining. This time, she added another medicinal herb, which was used to reconcile the conflicting attributes. Sima Yu watched from the side. Han Miao Shuang was worthy as the title of Su Jin's favorite student. As soon as the problem came to light, she immediately knew how to deal with it. Moreover, every step was very rigorous and perfectly dealt with, so the first time the pill refinement succeeded. Han Miao Shuang looked at the 2 pills in her hand. She shook her head in disappointment and said, I'm still a little bit worse when fusing. Otherwise, I can refine 3 pills. Senior sister, this is the first time that you have successfully refined it, and the fusing is also approaching perfection. I believe you can refine 3 the second time around. Sima Yu said with a smile. Han Miao Shuang was no longer troubled. Anyway, she was not Jiang Jun's kind of super genius and she was not competing with anyone. Senior sister, I'm going out. She already observed enough. She could estimate Han Miao Shuang's ability. Little junior brother, what are you planning to do? Looking at senior sister's alchemy, I also want to refine some pills. I'm going back to refine 2 furnaces of alchemy. Sima Yu said. Don't, it's all practice anyway. Why don't you practice here? We can discuss what you have. Han Miao Shuang said quickly. Sima Yu looked at her blinking eyes and knew that she wanted to see how she could make pills. Now that they were under the same master, she didn't stop looking at her just now. It should be alright if her refinement was revealed to her. Then she nodded and said, alright then, I'll practice here. If there's something wrong, senior sister can point it out to me. What does little junior brother want to refine? Or you can refine the one I just did. I happen to the medicinal herbs. Han Miao Shuang said. Senior sister, that's a high-level 7th grade pill. I can't make it now. If I can make it, the final result will be a waste of 1 stove of herbs. Sima Yu rejected her immediately. Han Miao Shuang thought similarly. Sima Yu, no matter how powerful she is, she couldn't break through the 8th grade so quickly. The pill she just made couldn't be made without the ability that was close to 8th grade. What are you going to refine then? Sima Yu walked around the room to where the herbs were placed and saw that these herbs, together with what she had in hand, could make a fundamental pill, so she took them out. This fundamental pill was a 7th grade pill with simple refining process, but it requires strong mental power. And this pill can be taken by both humans and beasts. Last time, the Shui Qing man was cured by this pill. Since there were medicinal ingredients here, she could refine them and take them with her. Anyone who was seriously injured in the future could use it. Are you going to refine the fundamental pill? Han Miao Shuang saw the herbs she chose and understood what she was going to refine. This fundamental pill is not so easy to refine. No, you're the 7th grade alchemist. Sima Yu was frightened by her scream. Senior sister, you scared me. It's you who scared me. Han Miao Shuang refuted. You are actually a 7th grade alchemist. At the beginning, the green lotus pill in the examination refinement was a 6th grade pill. They all thought that she would be a 6th grade alchemist at this age. Most of the other people who entered the inner court were over 100 years old. But she didn't expect that she was a 7th grade alchemist. 7th grade. How many alchemists have only reached 7th grade in their whole life, and she was only in her 30s? Senior sister, I am a 7th grade alchemist. You don't have to be so surprised. Sima Yu said. Isn't that surprising? In the past, we three always thought that our talent was the best, and eldest martial brother had been the most powerful one here. However, he didn't enter the ranks of 7th grade until he was more than 100 years old, and I didn't become a 7th grade alchemist until I was more than 130 years old, while Xiao Xiao is more than 150 years old. Your talent. Han Miao Shuang felt deeply stimulated today. Compared with her, they were leaps away. Su Xiao Xiao, who had just finished refining the pill, was attracted over by Han Miao Shuang's scream. When he learned that Sima Yu was already a 7th grade alchemist, his agape mouth could almost hold a fist. Jiang Junjia just came out of his alchemy room when he heard the commotion on this side. His feet subconsciously brought him over. Senior sister, I also attained some good fortune to be promoted. Sima Yu said. Strictly speaking, she didn't really become a 7th grade alchemist at the age of 20 or 30 because she spent a lot of time in the spirit pagoda. It seemed that she spent so many years outside, but the actual time is still a little more. And she started under the guidance of Mo Sha. Mo Sha was also a famous alchemist in the 3 realms and was recognized by them. Although her talent was pretty good, her experiences from 3 lives, in addition, the secret soul art, cultivation method allowed her spirit power to be stronger than others, which was very important to alchemy and array formations. Without all this, she would not have achieved her present achievement at this age. No matter what the reason is, the final result is that you have such achievements now. Han Miao Shuang said. That's right. Su Xiao Xiao endorsed this argument. Have you refined the fundamental pill before? Jiang Junjia asked. Yes, 3 batches of herbs were used, and only 1 success. Sima Yu answered, so I want to practice more and be more proficient. Little junior brother, go and refine it. We'll watch from aside. Su Xiao Xiao said. Xiao Xiao, do you remember that you refined this pill 10 times before you succeeded? Han Miao Shuang said. Su Xiao Xiao scratched his head with a flush of red on his face. Yes, I also got scolded a whole lot by master. Look at little junior brother. Succeeded after 3 attempts. Han Miao Shuang slapped his shoulder. Xiao Xiao, work hard. Didn't you only succeed after 5 to 6 attempts? To complain about me. Su Xiao Xiao retorted. The process of refining fundamental pill is not too complicated, but it needs high mental power control, and it will not work if the mental power is insufficient. So even if some alchemists have been in the ranks of 7th grade for a long time, they may not be able to refine fundamental pill. Jiang Junjia leaned against the door and said, Xiao Xiao's weakness is his mental power, so that's why he failed so many times. Su Xiao Xiao scratched the back of his head and said sheepishly, I have been cultivating my mental strength according to my master these years, and it's much better now. Little junior brother, are you ready? Start when you're ready. We can't wait for it. Han Miao Shuang urged. Sima Yu counted the herbs while they were talking. Hearing Han Miao Shuang urging her, she smiled and said, Senior sister, you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. As she said this, she placed the herbs in place, took out her own furnace, lit a fire on the bottom and began to preheat. When the temperature of the furnace was sufficient, she began to refine the herbs. Her refining methods were different from them. Although they all were refining, she was faster and her refinement was purer. Time passed, refining, fusing and binding pills were carried out in an orderly manner. With previous experience, she successfully refined pills this time, but she did not have the same environment of refining pills from last time, so the refined pills were not as good as the last time, and did not lead to pill tribulation. But the quantity increased by 1. She glanced at the pills in her hand. She realized that not all pills would attract pill tribulation. Little junior brother, your refining method is very special. In many places, it is more detailed than what we have dealt with. Su Xiao Xiao said excitedly, Little junior brother, can I often watch you refine in the future? Yes. Sima Yu replied. Anyway, when they watched her alchemy, they were very quiet. It didn't matter if they were here or not. Thanks little junior brother. Su Xiao Xiao happily said. They practiced alchemy from Su Jin, so their methods were similar. Now, such a newcomer had arrived, it had exhilarated them. Your percentage of success has always been 100%? Jiang Junjia asked. Generally I would succeed and I seldom fail. But it's not 100%. Then that's really high. Han Miao Shuang exclaimed. After watching her refining pills, they were convinced by Su Jin's foresight. The strength of this little junior brother was really not boasted. It's a little comprehensible. I'll go and have a look. Jiang Junjia left. I also feel that the places I didn't understand before seem to be more clear now. I'll also go. Su Xiao Xiao also left. Sima Yu cleaned up her furnace and said to Han Miao Shuang, do you want to continue refining or go back to rest? Han Miao Shuang glanced at her furnace. Her stance of going to eat meat wavered. I'll continue practicing alchemy. Alright, I originally wanted to invite you to barbecue. Since senior sister is busy, I'll go myself. Previous chapter. Next chapter. When Han Miao Shuang heard that there was something to eat, her eyes glowed and immediately changed her words. I've been refining for a day today. It's almost dawn now. It's better to have a rest and eat something. I'll have the strength to continue tomorrow. The food she had today was so delicious, so she thought that a barbecue wouldn't be bad. Thinking of the barbecue, her mouth watered. Sima Yu looked at her greedy appearance and smiled. We can't make food in the courtyard. No problem, I have a place. Han Miao Shuang secretly smiled. Half an hour later, they arrived at a valley. This place is pretty good. Sima Yu observed the serene valley. It's a good place to eat unnoticed. Where are we? This is the mountain behind the sect. Few people come here at ordinary times. I come here whenever I want to prepare something to eat. Han Miao Shuang said. Why do you come here instead of where you live? Sima Yu started to take out the tools for barbecue, which attracted Han Miao Shuang's eyes. I used to make food in the courtyard, but after Xiao Xiao came, I rarely do so. You know, he has a habit of cleanliness. If I get it too dirty, he will be furious. It's like this morning. Han Miao Shuang said helplessly. Later, I often go out to eat. Sometimes when I want to make something, I couldn't find a place. After all, there are many students in the sect. So I found this place. This is not far from the sect. Aren't you afraid of being discovered by other students? Sima Yu asked. They won't. Otherwise, I wouldn't choose this place. Han Miao Shuang said confidently. Is senior sister sure? Of course. A little further up is the forbidden area of the sect, so few people usually come. All the people who came here are unusual. They don't dare tattletale about me about my eating here. Moreover, you don't tell others explicitly that you have been to the forbidden area? Han Miao Shuang said with a smile. Seeing Sima Yu take out many kinds of meat and putting them aside, she was surprised and said, Yu, how can you still have so much meat with you? I used to spend a lot of time with my big brother and friends. I often like to make food. Sima Yu chuckled. They're so fortunate. Han Miao Shuang enviously said. Because we've been together all the time, they can also cook, so I don't cook food every time. Sima Yu explained. How is their cooking? Their skills are really good. But there are only a few people who are that good, while others are alright. Next time, bring them over to play. Han Miao Shuang smilingly said. Alright. Sima Yu agreed quickly. It was a good thing Bei Gong and the rest met her. That's awesome. In the future, you can find them to make me food when you are not free. Han Miao Shuang clapped her hands. So it's decided. Sima Yu felt that she had accidentally sold them. Senior sister, you like eating so much, can't you cook? I can only barbecue. Han Miao Shuang said. Therefore, every time I catch a prey, I would come here to barbecue. Besides that, I don't know how to. Then what about when you want to eat? Go eat outside. I used to look for food everywhere. Later, Memory Restaurant opened. I often go there to eat. I also got their membership card. They can give a discount every time. Han Miao Shuang said happily, little junior brother, have you ever eaten in the Memory Restaurant? If not, I'll take you next time. Sima Yu saw her excitement that she wondered whether to tell her that she owned it right now. Senior sister, why do you like to eat so much? She took out the iron skewer and began to skewer the meat. Han Miao Shuang came to help her. Her movements were really practiced. In fact, it is an imprint left by childhood. Han Miao Shuang said, I was only in my teens at that time, and I hadn't reached the height where I didn't need to eat. Once I was locked up in a small dark house for 7 or 8 days without food or drink. When I came out, I was on the verge of death. At that time, I was so hungry that I never let go of the hunger feeling, even after I didn't need to eat. So later, I like eating. Every time I am full, I feel happy. Sima Yu gazed at her smile. She could sympathize with her feeling from childhood and understand why she liked eating so much. Senior sister, do you often go out to eat? Right. Most of the times, I would go to Memory Restaurant. Han Miao Shuang said. Although we have more opportunities to go out than other students, we can go out once a month, and it's not enough. So I have to do it myself. But I really want to eat the dishes of Memory Restaurant. What does senior sister like to eat? Braised lion's head. Saliva chicken. Han Miao Shuang automatically replied. Then you don't want to have barbecue meat? I want. Han Miao Shuang retorted. Barbecue is now available. Braised lion's head and saliva chicken are what I want. Alas, it's a pity that there's a long time later. I don't know how long I'll have to wait before I can eat them again. But now that you're here, I don't have to eat barbecue all the time. Sima Yu skewered the meat. The charcoal on the grill had been heated and the flame was hot. While she put the skewered meat on the grill and then put all the seasonings aside. Little junior brother, you have many seasonings. I only have half as much as you. Han Miao Shuang lamented. If you want to make something delicious, the seasoning is indispensable. Sima Yu said. I'll send you some later. Okay. Han Miao Shuang quickly nodded. With the passage of time, the flavor of the barbecue slowly spread about. Seeing Sima Yu putting the same seasonings on each of them, Han Miao Shuang felt that her mouth watered. Sima Yu placed the barbecue meat on the plate, and Han Miao Shuang impatiently took the plate. She picked up a skewered meat and smelled it. Little junior brother, it smells delicious. It must taste better. She bit the top of the meat, and the hot temperature made her exhale uncontrollably, shouting that it was hot, hot. Senior sister, no one's going to fight over them with you. Eat slowly. Sima Yu placed the uncooked skewered meat on the frame to barbecue again. At the same time, she took out a piece of meat, onion, ginger and garlic in waiting. She turned the barbecue meat twice and went to chop that meat, and then looked at the time before turning the meat again. After Han Miao Shuang finished the barbecue in her hand, she saw Sima Yu cutting the meat and asked, Little junior brother, what are you cutting the meat for? To make braised lion's head. Didn't you want it? Sima Yu said. You can make braised lion's head? Han Miao Shuang shouted. Yes. Sima Yu answered. Help me turn the barbecue meat. I'll go stew the chicken first. Are you going to make all my saliva drool? Han Miao Shuang felt she was blessed this evening. Who's there? Sima Yu spoke sharply, looking behind Han Miao Shuang. Han Miao Shuang also sensed someone and turned around to stare at the shadow not far away. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Sima Yu placed the things in her hand down. She stared into the distance. Who's lurking there? She and Han Miao Shuang did not act rashly, because they sensed that the strength of the other party was even higher than them. They waited for a while. There was no movement, but they did not dare let down their guard, because they did not see that person leave. Sima Yu's eyes moved and stopped looking over there. She told to Han Miao Shuang, Senior sister, it's time for the barbecue to be seasoned. Oh. Han Miao Shuang gave the barbecue meat to Sima Yu. She picked up the seasoning and brushed the meat with them. The fragrance spread all over the valley. After barbecuing for a while, Sima Yu put the barbecued meat on a plate. Here you are, senior sister. Han Miao Shuang brought the plate to one side to eat. Sima Yu was not in a hurry to continue barbecuing. She took out a jar of fruit wine and threw it to Han Miao Shuang. Han Miao Shuang opened the seal and the fragrance of fruit wine wafted across her. Wow, very fragrant. Han Miao Shuang took a sip from the fruit wine jar and sighed with satisfaction. Little, how can you have that memory restaurant fruit wine that they don't sell? Because I brew it. Sima Yu took out a processed chicken and placed it in a pot. She added in water and covered the pot. Then she lit a fire at the bottom. Han Miao Shuang wanted to ask more, but Sima Yu gave her a look, and she swallowed her words back. Instead, she remarked, Little junior brother, good wine really complements with barbecue. Can you barbecue me some more? I won't barbecue any more tonight. After you ate these skewers, there won't be more. Sima Yu said. I also want to eat. As soon as her voice fell, a tender voice came from the shadow. Immediately, a small silhouette rushed over, sat beside Han Miao Shuang and snatched her plate. Han Miao Shuang stared at the little girl next to her and was stunned. Who are you? Sima Yu didn't expect a little girl was hiding over there. When she saw her wolfing them down like she hadn't eaten for hundreds of years, her heart softened. Slow down, or you'll get burned. Woo. The little girl ignored her, kept bowed her head and ate the barbecue meat. She didn't feel that the barbecue was hot at all. Until she finished eating, she looked up at Sima Yu with expectant eyes. No more. Sima Yu understood her gaze. She pointed at the raw meat. If you want to eat, you still have to barbecue it first. You barbecue. The little girl bared her teeth. Or I'll eat you. You want to eat me? Then no one else can barbecue for you. Sima Yu retorted. Then I won't eat you. You barbecue. The little girl removed her fierce look, transforming into a lovely doll. But I don't know you at all. Why do I have to barbecue for you? Sima Yu teased her. The little girl thought with her head askew. She suddenly took out a forearm-sized stalk. She handed it to her. I will use this carrot in exchange. Is that all right? That's a carrot? Sima Yu raised the corner of her mouth. It was obviously a crystal ginseng from thousands of years. I don't know what this is. It looked like a carrot. So I called it a carrot. The little girl said. At that time, many people wanted it. What about it? I'll use this to exchange. Barbecue for me. When Sima Yu saw her innocent eyes, she felt she shouldn't have teased her. Then I'll accept this. I'll make food for you. She patted the little girl's head. The little girl was about to bite her because of her actions, but when she thought of biting, no one would make food for herself, and then she resisted. Exchange. She put the crystal ginseng into Sima Yu's hand. She didn't want to take advantage. Sima Yu returned the crystal ginseng in her hand and said, This thing is very precious. You will suffer a lot if you exchange it for food. I only have this, the little girl said. Take it, I have a lot more. You have many of this? Sima Yu and Han Miao Shuang were both astonished. There aren't many of them, but I have other ones. Little girl said. Then can you let me see you other carrots? Sima Yu asked. You don't want this one? The little girl pondered. She thought Sima Yu didn't want this, so she took out a bunch of herbs, which were all rare, and put them on the table. Choose which you want. When Sima Yu saw what she took out, she spoke in surprise. Why do you have so many herbs? I found them myself. There are so many in the mountain. I can easily find many of them by going. The little girl said. Do you want this? What do you use the herbs for? Sima Yu took her hands back, indicating she didn't want her things. To eat. The little girl took out a crystal ginseng and bit a piece before spitting it out. It's not tasty. You eat this? Han Miao Shuang widened her eyes. Yes, in the past, I used to eat this. Sima Yu looked at the little girl with a puzzled face. She doesn't know her identity. She could swallow the medicine directly without being hurt by the strong medicine. Considering that she was so young, she had more powerful skills than herself. What's your name? Little Seven. Little Seven, you and Sister Miao Shuang go play first. I'll make braised lion's head for you first. Sima Yu said. Braised lion's head? There's no lion here. You'll know in a while. By the way, little junior brother, I didn't finish what I said. How do you know the unique dishes of Memory Restaurant? Because I taught them. You taught them? Could it be that Memory Restaurant is yours? Not really, it's a friend of mine. I taught him these dishes at the beginning. Later, he opened the Memory Restaurant and used these dishes. Sima Yu said, but the Memory Restaurant in Heavenly City is mine. Later, when you go to Memory Restaurant to eat and give me my name and the food's free. Huh, it's really yours. Han Miao Shuang cheered happily. When I go, don't charge me. The things in your place is extremely expensive. Sima Yu smiled, you go, I will definitely not charge you money. Okay. Sima Yu thought about it, took out some spirit fruit in front of them and said, eat this first, the food will be done in a moment. Alright. Little junior brother, your spirit fruit is quite fresh. Han Miao Shuang happily picked up the fruit, and Little Seven said nothing and took the fruit directly. She is a big sister, why do you call her little junior brother? Little Seven asked while munching on the spirit fruit. Sima Yu moved her hands. Han Miao Shuang seemed to have forgotten to bite her spirit fruit. Little Seven, what are you saying? I am a male. You are not, you are a girl, not like those stinky men. Little Seven said affirmatively, those men stink, and the fragrance on your body must be from a female. Little Seven is not mistaken. Little junior brother, you're really a female? Will you keep my secret? Or else, this food will be gone. Oh my god, you're really a female. The spirit fruit in Han Miao Shuang's hands dropped to the ground. She looked at Sima Yu in disbelief. She blinked and quickly nodded, you rest assured, I won't reveal it. How about Little Seven? Sima Yu looked at Little Seven. Will you always cook for me? Sima Yu raised her eyebrows. This little fellow was threatening her. I don't have that much time to get you food. Just cook for me when you have time. Alright. Sima Yu smiled. Since you promised me, don't go back on your words in the future. Big brother. What? Han Miao Shuang turned to look at Little Seven. That's settled. Sima Yu understood her meaning. She was rest assured as she went to cook for them. Sima Yu soon made braised lion's head for the two, and used a whole chicken make saliva chicken. Seeing that the two had not eaten enough, she also barbecued the remaining meat. When she saw two pairs of glossy eyes she made them beggar's chicken, a large diving rabbit, and they were finally full. Sima Yu looked at the two with one hand propped on their stomach contentedly, while she looked helplessly in the direction of the forbidden area. It seems that the purpose of inviting Han Miao Shuang to dinner tonight was not achieved. Big brother wants to go to the forbidden area? Little Seven asked out loud while watching Sima Yu who had been watching the forbidden area. Big brother has been looking over there. Little Seven said, if Big brother wants to go, Little Seven can take you there. You can take me? Isn't it the forbidden area so no one can go in? TSK, who says no one can go in? I saw so many people went in. Little Seven muttered. You saw someone go in? Yes, many people, often several waves a night. Little Seven said casually. How does Little Seven know? Because I often watch from here. Little Seven answered. But recently, there aren't that many people. How did Little Seven see them? I often come here to find food, so I often see them. Little Seven said. Then do you know who are the people that went in? I don't know. They went in and didn't come out. Some came out and some don't come out. Little Seven said, but I don't care who goes in. But if Big brother wants to go in, I can help you. Does little junior brother want to go to the forbidden area? I don't want to go, but I was a little curious about this forbidden area. Sima Yu said, I don't know what good things are in this forbidden area. Han Miao Shuang was not suspicious about Sima Yu's words. She said with a smile, there's nothing good in this forbidden area. Senior sister knows? I went in with master once and saw the things inside. Han Miao Shuang said. Are there many treasures inside? Sima Yu asked. Those treasures aren't much of a rarity either. Han Miao Shuang said, some of the things are not as good as master's. I heard there is an earth's eye in the forbidden area. Sima Yu asked after some apprehension. Earth's eye? What's that? Han Miao Shuang asked. Senior sister never heard of it. I heard many people in the sect know about it. Sima Yu asked. Han Miao Shuang shook her head. Although we three have been in the inner sect for a long time, we don't know a lot about the sect. The earth's eye is not in the forbidden area. Little Seven suddenly said. You know? Of course, is there something in the sect that I don't know about? Little Seven proudly raised her face. I often run around in the sect, and I've heard a lot of things. But I don't like those people, so I don't like to be with them. You're also a member of the sect? Humph. Little Seven harumphed proudly. Sima Yu laughed. This was at Sundra little girl. Big brother, do you want the earth's eye? Little Seven appeared strange. When she saw Sima Yu silence, she slapped her chest. If Big Brother wants it, little 7 will get it. You? Han Miao Shuang examined little 7. You have a method? Why do I have to tell you? Little 7 ignored her and turned to face Sima Yu. Big Brother, do you want it? I want to, but the Earth's Eye must be in a very hidden place, and it's very dangerous. How can I let you go? Sima Yu sat beside little 7. Seeing her crystal clear skin, she couldn't help but reach out and pinch her nose. I am very powerful. Little 7 brushed Sima Yu's hand away. I know, little 7 is very powerful. Sima Yu repeated. But you're still small, I'll find a way about it. Why does Big Brother want to use the Earth's Eye for? My little brother's body isn't well. I need a little bit to cure him. How much is a little bit? 8 ounces. Only 8 ounces. Little 7 heard a breath of relief. It's not even 1 caddy. It can't hurt the Earth's Eye, you also know that? Of course, no one in the world knows the Earth's Eye better than me. You're not allowed to take risks. Why? Because you're young. I'll find a way myself. Humph. Little 7 saw that Sima Yu didn't believe her. She pouted her lips. You should obediently stay in the sect and cultivate. Sima Yu pinched her nose. Little 7 unhappily turned away. Wait till I obtain the thing for you. See if you dare to look down on me. Little junior brother, if you need the Earth's Eye, you can try to ask Master. Han Miao Shuang suggested. I'll ask Master. Sima Yu said. I'm not in a hurry. I have time to investigate. Humph. Little 7 coldly protested. Seeing that little 7 was still angry, she rubbed her head. She got up and stored away the pots and pans. Alright, it's getting late. We should return. True. It's time to go back. Han Miao Shuang got up. Alright, little fellow, we're going back. I'm not little. Little Sima Yu and Han Miao Shuang prepared to go back to Parting Garden. When little 7 saw them go, she also followed. Little 7, you've been out a whole night? Aren't you going back? Together. Little 7 grabbed Sima Yu's clothes. Together? You want to go with us? Little 7 nodded. You're not from our courtyard. You can't go with us. I want. Little 7 grabbed Sima Yu's hand and wouldn't let go. She was determined to go back with her. Sima Yu looked down at her hand and then at Han Miao Shuang. She said awkwardly, Senior sister, how about? It's up to you. Master likes you so much now. It's nothing to take someone back. Then you can go back with me. 3 people returned to the courtyard. Su Xiao was already cleaning the courtyard. Third senior brother, morning. Su Xiao was holding a broom when he saw them entered. He smiled. Did you go out to eat again? You already know. Our alchemist's nose is very sharp. I smelled some fragrance that you didn't have yesterday. Su Xiao said, who is this little doll? She's little 7. She's probably be staying here later. Sima Yu said. Master, he's most likely still asleep. I find him later. Little 7, this is third senior brother Su Xiao. If you are going to stay here later, you can find him to play. I don't want to, Stinky. Little 7 turned away. Stinky? Su Xiao smelled himself. He just took a bath. He didn't smell. But little 7 still disliked him. I haven't slept for so long. I'm going to sleep. Han Miao Shuang yawned as she headed towards her own place. Little junior brother, is this little fellow visiting or staying here? Su Xiao asked. What's wrong? If she's staying here, I need to prepare a room. Su Xiao answered. Sima Yu glanced at little 7 before replying to Su Xiao. Let's talk about it later after I asked Master. If Su Jin doesn't want little 7 to stay here, she couldn't impose. Alright, Master slept early yesterday. He'll probably wake up earlier today. Su Xiao reminded. I got it. Little 7, we're going back. Sima Yu took little 7 to her room and gave her a lot of food to eat. She allowed her to play by herself on the side. Afterwards, she took out herbs and started to fiddle with them. Little 7 was a strange child. She treated Han Miao Shuang with cold indifference while was heavily reliant on Sima Yu. Sima Yu attributed that to her contracted spirit pagoda, which had a unique attraction to her spirit. Little 7. How old are you? Sima Yu fiddled with herbs for a while. Seeing that little 7 was still eating, she came over and put her food down. When little 7's food was taken away, she was a little unhappy. But she still obediently answered her question. I don't know how old am I? I forgot. How old am I? Little 7 knocked her head. Forgot? Sima Yu saw little 7's distress. She subconsciously attributed to her injury before, so she forgot some things of the past. Don't worry, if it's been forgotten then it's forgotten. You probably not very old from your appearance. Sima Yu said. But I don't know your identity. You're so powerful at such a young age. Eat. Little 7 stared at the dried meat that Sima Yu took away. Little 7, you already ate a lot. Be careful of growing a belly. Hungry. Little 7 patted her stomach. The round belly had shriveled again. You're hungry again? Sima Yu looked at her in surprise. She's really hungry. How could she eat so much? Little 7 nodded. She took out another ginseng, took a bite, frowned, and placed it in Sima Yu's hand. Exchange. Sima Yu put the dried meat in little 7's hand and patted her little head. Eat it. When you are full, go to see my master. Let's see if he'll let you stay, otherwise you'll have to go back to where you live. Little 7 pondered her head askew before nodding. Almost noon, Sima Yu felt some movements in Su Jin's room. She put down the book in her hand, and said, Master is up. Let's go meet him. Little 7 jumped from the chair and followed her out. Su Jin had just woke up and sensed that Sima Yu was coming. Before she could knock on the door, he let her in. He saw a 6 to 7-year-old child following her. His eyes flashed in surprise. Why was she with this little fellow? Master, you woke up so early today. I woke up a little earlier than Jiang Junjia. Su Jin said. Why did you bring this little fellow? Master, this is little 7. I met her last night. She wants to live with us. Is it all right? Su Jin stared straight at little 7. How dared this little fellow trick his disciple? However, seeing her shrinking behind Sima Yu and threatening himself with cold eyes as if she'd eat you if you refused, he started to tease. Good disciple, our parting garden is not a place anyone can stay in. He raised an eyebrow at little 7. Little 7's mouth turned, as if she was going to cry at once, and her little hand holding Sima Yu tightened. She shrank behind her, leaving her head to look at him obliquely. Master, little 7 is just a child. How can you frighten a little doll with bad words? Sima Yu shot Su Jin a glance. Little 7 raised her chin at Su Jin from behind. Su Jin was speechless. How did he frighten a little doll? He only said some normal words. Master, little 7 said that she often looks for food alone in Back Mountain, and no one takes care of her. Little 7 is still small, and the Back Mountain is so dangerous, so let her stay here. Little 7, you won't cause trouble in the courtyard, will you? Sima Yu looked down at little 7, little 7 immediately changed to a terrified face and obediently nodded. When Su Jin saw how Sima Yu protected her, he felt helpless. He waved his hand for them to go as a sign of agreement. Thank you, master. Then we won't bother you. Rest well. Sima Yu took little 7 away. As little 7 went out, she glanced at Su Jin complacently. Old fellow, don't misguide my good disciple. Su Jin transmitted secretly. It'll depend on my mood. Little 7 transmitted her reply before leaving with Sima Yu. Sima Yu didn't know of their secret conversation. She took little 7 downstairs to find Su Xiao. She told him she wanted to prepare a room beside hers for little 7. She asked him where to move the things inside. Su Xiao immediately volunteered to clean the room. Seeing him taking the initiative, Sima Yu agreed for him to come. While little 7 munched on snacks at the door, she watched the two of them clean the room for her. After the room was prepared, Jiang Junjia had woken up. Towards extra little doll, he only lightly said, don't cause a disturbance in the courtyard while I'm sleeping. Stinky. Little 7 turned away from him. Jiang Junjia raised the corner of his lips. He wasn't going to argue with the little doll. He turned away and headed to the alchemy room. Sima Yu laughed in the room. This little fellow was disgusted with male, describing all men as stinky. She decorated the room pink, and even the bedspread was also in pink. When little 7 saw this, the corners of her mouth curled up when she wasn't paying attention. She beckoned little 7 over, in which she went over and wiped the clean sheets with her oily hands. She grinned at her masterpiece. Sima Yu shook her head. You don't like this color? Little 7 nodded. What color do you like? Little 7 pointed at her clothes, which was azure in color. Sima Yu rubbed her head. She changed all the pink things. The sheet and bedspread were changed to azure. Little 7 finally smiled happily. After cleaning up, Sima Yu sat on the bed, pulled little 7 beside her, and said, Little 7, you should be obedient in the courtyard at normal times. Senior brothers and sister are used to being quiet. We can't quarrel with them, okay? Little 7 nodded. There's an array at the entrance of the courtyard. I'll teach you how to leave in a moment. After that, you don't need to have someone take you. I know you often stay outside for several days. Take this. If you can't come back, you have to tell me, alright? She placed a Sun Mother stone in little 7's hand. Little 7 was unsure of the purpose of the Sun Mother stone. Sima Yu taught her patiently. Do you know how to find me? Sima Yu asked. Little 7 happily nodded. She stored the Sun Mother stone in her space. Sima Yu didn't see any interspatial ring on her hand. She must have other spatial containers. Little 7, I'm going to refine pills. You obediently stay and play in the courtyard. Sima Yu placed more food on the table. Alright. Little 7 become obediently after seeing the food. Wine. Children shouldn't drink too much wine. As she said this, she took out several jars of wine. Then she went to refine pills. While little 7 sat in the room eating food, Su Jin strutted inside. Little 7 glanced at him and continued eating. Little Yu treats you so well. I haven't eaten any of these. Su Jin strolled over and picked up the snacks on the table. Old fellow, what are you doing following my treasure disciple? Try and call me old fellow again. Little 7 grinned, revealing her two little tiger fangs. Even if you wear a little doll's clothes, it can't hide your spirit that's advanced in age. Su Jin wouldn't be frightened by her. He mercilessly exposed her weakness. Little Yu thinks that I am only a child. Little 7 wouldn't argue with him. You deceived people that you're a child. Be careful, I might expose you. Su Jin cruelly said. I've always been like this. Little Seven shrugged, expressing no care. When you arrive in the sect in such grandeur, aren't you afraid of being eaten by others? A lot of people have came recently. Su Jin leaned on the chair and took a bite on the spirit fruit. That depends if they have ability. Little Seven sneered. Right, no one who bothered you has survived. You can finish them off with one bite. Su Jin wasn't worried about that guy at all. Little Seven rolled her eyes. She threw a snowy white meat to Su Jin. It appeared a little like Lingji. Yu wants this. Little Seven said. Su Jin looked at such a large thing and exclaimed, you're reluctant to give others even a nail cap. Now, how can you give him so much? You are so willing. I like. Little Seven snorted. You're so nice to my treasure apprentice. Apprentice. You're giving him so much of this. Tell me, what's your motive? Su Jin stored away the things. Why do I have to tell you? You don't want to live here? Su Jin raised his brows. Little Seven stared at him for a long time before compromising. He can help me evolve. Help you evolve? You haven't evolved for a long time? Su Jin said. Little Seven nodded with a dignified face. It's been a long time since the last evolution. He's human. How can she help you evolve? Are you going to eat him? Su Jin looked at her warily. If she really were going to eat Yu, he wouldn't agree no matter what. I won't eat her. I feel comfortable around him. Little Seven said. This can allow you to evolve? Little Seven shook her head. Then why did you say he can help you evolve? Intuition. Little Seven said, intuition tells me that evolution can happen around him. I don't want him to know my identity now. If you let it slip, I'll scratch your face and disfigure you. Su Jin touched his face. I don't talk to people who are jealous of my beauty. After that, he got up and left. Little Seven watched outside for a while and continued to eat the delicious food on the table. When Sima Yu returned from alchemy, Little Seven was still eating the food on the table. She carried her down. Have you been eating all this time? Little Seven nodded. Are you not full? Tasty. Little Seven smiled back. These things tasted much better than the herbs she ate. Sima Yu took out a handkerchief and wiped the oil stains on the corners of her mouth. She said, you can't eat it all the time. What if your tummy gets spoilt? Oh, although Little Seven wanted to eat, she didn't want to make her unhappy. Yu, come here. Su Jin shouted from his room. Do you want to go together? Sima Yu asked. Little Seven left her embrace and shook her head. Then stay here. I'll go see what's the matter with Master. She pinched Little Seven's nose. When she came to Su Jin's room, she saw him lying on the chair and asked, Master, do you want to see me? I heard you're looking for Earth's Eye. Su Jin directly asked. Sima Yu was stunned. She didn't know how he knew. But Guliang and the others knew she was looking for this, so it's no surprise that he knew. Yes, she admitted. Su Jin was satisfied with her honesty. He threw a case in front of her. Someone gave it to you. Sima Yu caught the case and opened it. A large piece of white meat was inside. This is Earth's Eye. Su Jin lightly said, but it almost made Sima Yu forgot to breathe. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Sima Yu's shocked appearance was rare. But presently, she was completely stunned. What are you waiting for? Isn't that what you want? Su Jin asked. Master, where did you get this thing? Is it real? Sima Yu held the Earth's Eye. She wasn't able to respond for a while. Wasn't Earth's Eye the treasure of the sect? Weren't a lot of people eyeing it? Wasn't it said to be hard to obtain? Why did she obtain it so easily? Could this be fake? Could Su Jin be bluffing her? Seeing Sima Yu's suspicious gaze, Su Jin frowned. This little guy didn't believe him. Of course the things I give you are real. Su Jin saw that Sima Yu didn't believe him. Sima Yu also looked at him with innocent eyes. He wanted to kick her. After Sima Yu heard him, she happily stored away the Earth's Eye. Master, where did you get this thing? Sima Yu smilingly looked at Su Jin. The only thing that was lacking at the moment was a lackey to massage his legs and shoulder. Someone sent it. Su Jin answered. Who sent it? Sima Yu asked. Such valuable things are not sent by ordinary people. How should I thank that person? What's there to thank? That fellow was willing. Su Jin said. That isn't very nice, is it? After all, it's also an important person. How can we just take other people's things like this? There's no need to worry. Su Jin impatiently spoke. Then all right. Sima Yu smiled. All right, you can go. Su Jin urged her. Master. Sima Yu did not move from her original position. Is there something else? Master, do you know Little Seven's identity? Sima Yu hesitated before asking. What? Little Seven looks like a little girl of several years old, but her strength is more powerful than mine. I once suspected that she was a transfiguration beast, but I didn't feel the spirit beast's breath on her. Since she's a student in the sect, I think the master should know. Sima Yu said. I do know. Su Jin replied. Then which faction is she in? How can she often wander in the mountains? Why does she have such high cultivation? Don't worry about her identity, just stay with her. In time you'll know. By the way, that little fellow is always hungry. Give her more food, and don't worry about stuffing her to death, Su Jin said. Well, you can go. Oh. Alright. She went back. Although Su Jin didn't say Little Seven's identity, he said it was alright. That meant it was alright. Although Little Seven was pleasant, she speculated about her identity. Previously, if not for this, she would have looked for a day when her disposition was better. Now Su Jin said there was no problem, she could forego this step. When she recalled Little Seven, she was also reminded about Little Tuesday. Both of them were gifted children. When she saw Little Seven, she would think of Little Two from time to time. This was a reason why she liked Little Seven. When she returned to the room, Little Seven had finished eating the food on the table. She looked at her eagerly. You ate it all again. You ate more than my little dream. Sima you couldn't help but sigh. Who is Little Dream? Little Seven curiously asked. Someone who could eat like her. My contract beast. Sima you answered. She resembles you, like a little doll. Humph, don't like. Little Seven pouted her lips. Little Seven, you'll follow me in the future? Sima you suddenly asked. Little Seven nodded. If you want to be with me, you have to accept the people around me. You don't have to like them, but you can't fight with them. I don't like the people around me who aren't being nice. If you can't follow me. Sima you said solemnly. Alright. Little Seven said helplessly. I promise I won't eat them. Sima you was amused by her words. She reached out and poked her forehead. She chuckled, why is it always eating? Humph, bad guys should be eaten, Little Seven humphed. A lot of people who target me are eaten by me. But Grandpa doesn't let me eat them, but those people are very annoying. I really want to eat them, but I can't. Alas, it worries me to death. Little Seven slapped the table. Table with a troubled expression. Sima you found it funny. Suddenly, her expression changed. She told Little Seven, stay here, I'm going outside for a bit. I'll go too. Little Seven also stood up, as if wherever you went, she would too. Little Seven, I'm going outside because of a matter. I might have to fight. At that time, you might get hurt. Sima you said. Although I don't like fighting, people can't hurt me. Little Seven clenched her little fist. Sima you glanced at her appearance. When she thought her martial arts were stronger than her, she nodded and took her along. After they left, Su Jin from upstairs shouted from his room. Xiao Xiao, someone is bullying your little junior brother. What? Xiao Xiao was cleaning up the debris after his refinement. He left everything and came out. Master, who dares to bully little junior brother? Creak. Han Miao Shuang's door opened. She stood with her hands at her waist, shouting, who dares to bully my little Yu? They had lived together for one day. Little junior brother had turned to little Yu. You'll know when you go see. Su Jin lazily answered. Alright, we'll go and see. When Han Miao Shuang stepped out, she dragged Su Xiao Xiao's clothes, leaving the courtyard. Sima Yu and Little Seven ran to Sima Yuming's residence. Before they arrived, they heard noises in the courtyard, along with the fighting and shouting. Hearing a roar inside, she quickened her pace and pushed open the entrance and entered. Beat them to death. Go. Yo, didn't I let you bend your heads earlier? But you didn't listen. Now you're getting beaten up. You're not qualified to hit us, Fatty Chu punched the other party's face. Fatty, give them a good beating. Bei Gong Tang shouted on the side. What's so great about the Thunderbolt team? If you dare to come to our place and behave wildly, you'll have to take a beating. You dare to beat us. Do you know the consequences of provoking us? Humph, I don't care what kind of Thunderbolt are you. Today, I'll beat you up. Brothers, let's attack together. This year's freshmen must be taught a lesson. Sima Yu observed a chaotic situation when she entered. Whoosh. A person was thrown out by Fatty Chu, which flew in the direction of Sima Yu. As soon as she picked up her clothes and jumped, she kicked that flying man back, crashing into the Thunderbolt team. Everything became quiet. All the people in the courtyard stared at Sima Yu. The faces of some of the members in Thunderbolt team turned sour at the sight of her and some were confused. On the other hand, Fatty Chu and her friends were excited to see her join them. Yu, you're here. Fatty Chu exclaimed as he KO'd his opponent that he was currently fighting and smiled at Sima Yu. So you are Sima Yu? A stiff-faced man in black clothes, who previously simply watched the fight, coldly asked Sima Yu. Who are you? Sima Yu asked as she walked over and kicked the person lying on the ground who blocked her way. Bien Luzheng answered with his arms folded, staring at Sima Yu. His gaze was extremely cold. Who is Bien Luzheng? Sima Yu looked at Bei Gong Tang. One of the deputy heads of the Thunderbolt team, ranking number 100 on the billboard, Bei Gong Tang said. Oh, so he is one of the deputy heads. Sima Yu nodded sarcastically. Never heard of it. But looking at you, you do not look much different from those people of your team. I wonder how are the people, who were taken captive 2 days ago, doing? When she saw Shui Rong and Ma Bojian, she stepped forward to salute, smiling, "Why are you here?" "I heard that those people from the Thunderbolt team's people came. I was afraid that they are causing trouble for your friends, so I came to check." "I didn't expect that they really did attack," Shui Rong said. "What's going on?" Sima Yu looked at the people lying on the ground. "They came to us to cause trouble. They wanted us to submit to their group, but if we don't, they will force us to join them," Wei Ziqi said. "They asked you all to join them?" Sima Yu was shocked by such a question. Then, she turned to look at Bian Luzheng. "Did all your heads get damaged?" Yu, they wanted us to join their group, so then, they can get their team members to beat us up," Fatty Chu said. "They said it themselves. There is a team that force others to join?" Sima Yu joked, looking at the people of the Thunderbolt team. "The Thunderbolt team is the first big group. It is your honor for us to allow you all to join our group. However, you guys hesitate to do something until forced to do even more, and y'all even dare to hurt my people. Considering today's matter, how should we resolve this?" Bian Luzheng stared at her. "How else can you solve it? Just get out of sight quickly, or else we will beat you all to leave." Sima Yu said. "Who are you to even dare to order us like this?" The members of the Thunderbolt team crawled back up and pointed at Sima Yu. "I'm not ordering you all, but asking to leave." "So what? You don't want to leave by yourselves but to be beaten to leave by us?" Bei Gongtang answered back. "If you guys do not join our group, it will be hard for you guys to get a foothold in the inner sect. You guys offended us, except us, what other groups would want you guys? If it wasn't that we saw you guys are professionals, do you really think you guys could still be here?" a man said. "Today, we are giving you guys a huge chance by inviting you guys into our group. There is no need for this opportunity. Join your team." "Yes," Shui Rong affirmed. "We want to ask you guys if you guys would like to join our Cliff Mountain team." "Shui Rong, are you and your Cliff Mountain team ready to go against us?" "So what if we do? When you guys encounter us, the Thunderbolt team, which time wasn't you beaten down? You still want to fight us? You are indeed imagining the wildest thing. Right now, we don't know who is beaten." Sima Yu glanced at them. "We are not going to join your team. If you all don't want to be terribly beaten up, get out of here right away." The faces of the people of the Thunderbolt team turned very ugly. But seeing that Ma Bojian brought way more people with him, they had to leave unwillingly. As soon as the people of the Thunderbolt team left, Ma Bojian waved his hand, and the people of the Rocky Mountain also left. Yu, why are you here?" "I noticed that the people of the Thunderbolt team came to find trouble, so I came. I thought you would be at a disadvantage. I did not expect that Shui Rong would bring people here to help us." Sima Yu beckoned. Several scarlet bees flew down from the roof, turned around in a circle, and flew away. Bei Gongtang and they just noticed that she had sent the scarlet bees to follow them since she left last time. "Little junior brother, who dares to bully you? We're here to help you." Han Miaoshuang came in while drinking, but did not see anyone bullying Sima Yu. He stared blankly for a moment and asked, "Little junior brother, where are the bullies?" "They were beaten by the people of the Cliff Mountain team and left." Sima Yu replied. "Senior sister and third senior brother, why are you guys here?" "Master said that someone bullied you, so we ran over here to see. Since it's alright now, Xiao, we're going back." After, the two left. Yu, your master as well as your senior brother and sister really care about you. They are all nice." "Nice," Sima Yu said. "Why are you here?" "They just happened to come out of close cultivation. I heard about your situation and just happened to come and ask Bei Gongtang and his people. I didn't expect that just shortly after I came back, the people of the Thunderbolt team already came." "Hey, Yu, who is this little doll?" "She is little 7, from my courtyard." Sima Yu said. "Everyone, go back to your rooms," Sima Yu suggested. "That's right. Everybody, don't all stand here. Deputy Chief Ma and Miss Shui, please come in, please." A group of people entered the room. Fortunately, the rooms here were relatively large. "Today, I want to thank your team for helping us solve our difficulties, but I'm afraid that the Thunderbolt team will cause trouble for you. See, we and the Thunderbolt team have always been at odds with each other." "It is not only this time," Shui Rong said. "But what we said before is true. Would you guys like to join our team?" Everyone hesitated. Bian Luzheng usually could not say anything good, but today, there is a sentence that is correct. In the courtyard, if you do not join a team, life will be very difficult in the future. So your Cliff Mountain team isn't afraid? We have always been competing with them. With or without you guys, this result will not change. Why does the members of the inner sect have to join the team? Sima Yu did not understand this issue, because the sect's cultivation resources are limited. The best way to obtain resources in a highly competitive environment is to work together. Over time, these cultivation resources are divided amongst the team. Those who are unwilling to join must depend upon themselves, using their own strength, to fight against so many teams. This is very unlikely. Sima Yu finally understood. She saw everyone's gazes were unwilling. So joining a team wasn't the best choice. "Thank you Miss Shui for your invitation to join Cliff Mountain. We entered the inner sect for a long time and haven't joined any team. So we need to reconsider this matter. I'll give you a reply in a few days." "Alright. Let's go back today. You can go straight to Cliff Mountain to find us after you think about it. You don't want to join a team?" "Yes. We didn't join any team after entering the inner sect for so long. What's bad about joining a team? We heard from the new students that they will be bullied by the old students when they join a team. They do more work and get less points." "Points? What are these?" You've been to the inner sect for several days. How do you not know anything? The points are used for cultivation. Bei Gong Tang explained, no matter what we want to use in the sect, we have to exchange it with points, right? For example, we want to use the cultivation pagoda, 1 point a day, and 100 points can only cultivate in it for 100 days. If we want to get herbs from the sect, we also need to use points for exchange. How do you get points? Every student has 5 points every month, and the rest depends on contribution. The more you contribute, the more points you get. For example, alchemy and refining tools, or catching spirit beasts for the sect. Then joining a team is to earn points together, but you can't get much back. Everyone nodded. Well, that's a little unpleasant. That's why we didn't join those teams. Sima Yulin said. Then don't join. Sima Yu said. Mo Bo Jian and them are pretty good people. I don't think they'll treat you badly. As for the other teams, we're not even afraid of the Thunderbolt team, how can we be afraid of them? Yu, how about we establish a team? Right. We can establish our own team, it's feasible, Sima Yulin nodded. Third brother, what do you think? Sima Yu asked Sima Yuran. In fact, we're already very much a team. Everyone cultivates and accepts missions together, Sima Yuran said. We only don't have a name, let's establish a team. Fatty Chu said. I'll oversee weapon refinement. I'll oversee beast training. I'll oversee arrays. Since everyone approves, it's settled then. Sima Yula said. Sima Yu didn't speak. Seeing how excited they were, she laughed. But how can this team be established? Is it troublesome? Not troublesome. Just go to the teacher in charge of the teams and put it on record. Wei Ziqi said, give them the time of the establishment of the team, the name of the team, the name of the head of the team, and the number of people in the initial stage is enough. It's that simple, it's that simple. So what we need to do now is to figure out the name of the team, who will be the head of the team, and determine the number of people in the team. Yu, how about you be the leader? Sima Yu shook her head. Anyone can be the leader, I won't. Why? Troublesome. Sima Yu said coldly, when I'm the leader, there'll be a lot of things to do, and I don't want to deal with them. I'm not good at it. I'll be a team member. You can be a nominal leader and assign things for others to do. Wei Zi. Sima Yu still shook her head. No, I think it's best if elder brother, Yulin or Ziqi is the leader. Since the fifth brother doesn't want to, don't force her. We all know her temperament. I think what she said is right. It's best for elder brother, Yulin or Ziqi to be the leader of the group, and others can also be deputy leader. Right, this guy is the laziest. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter who is the leader. We are all so familiar with each other, and we don't need to appoint a leader. Sima Yula said, later, someone else will need to manage the team when others join in. So we still need the leader and the deputy head to lead us. I think elder brother Yu Qi should be the leader. Ouyang Fei said, Yulin and Ziqi are the deputy heads. I approve. Sima Yu was the first to express her agreement. I also agreed. The minority is subordinate to the majority, and there are many people in favor. That's settled. Before Sima Yu Qi and Sima Yulin spoke, they were pushed to the position of leader and deputy leader. Now that the leaders of the group have been decided. Let's discuss the name of the team. Fatty Chu said, what should our name be? It must be more overbearing than Thunderbolt. Lightning team, how about it? Lightning? Pretty good, sure. Anyway, I can't think of a good name. I also think it's good. Then let's call this. Everyone was not very good at naming. Lightning was really overbearing. They were also too lazy to think about other things. Now it's time to determine our count. Are we the only ones? Does everyone in the sect join teams? Not necessarily. Sima Yulin said, some people are very stubborn and would not join any team. Some teams aren't maintained well. After dissociation, the rest of them may not have joined other teams. Some of the top 50 in the billboard don't join the club because they have resources from the sect. Let's talk about these later. We have 10 now. Little Seven was laying in her embrace. When she heard the count, she coldly snorted. Sima Yu lowered her head and observed Little Seven's pursed lips. She smiled at once and rubbed her hair. 11, will include Little Seven. Which department does this Little Seven belong to? Little Seven turned her head away. Write her under alchemy. Sima Yu said. Little Seven, in the future, you'll be in our team? Yu, what about Little Two? When Sima Yu heard Little Two's name, the smile on her face gradually faded away. Little Two is not in the inner sect. Sima Yu asked. Not in the inner sect? Didn't he come to the inner sect earlier? He's not in the inner sect. Don't worry, listen to me. Sima Yu said. Something happened to Little Tuesday. He wasn't taken away by Vice President. What happened? Little Two's blood power suddenly awakened, and his body couldn't bear it for a while, but the aura left by Little Two is still there, indicating that his life is not in danger. Where is Little Two right now? Sima Yu shook her head. Director Mao said he didn't know. We'll find a way to find out about him once we've dealt with the matter at hand. I think that since he was taken away by a vice president of the sect, there is no danger to his life. I think he should be in no danger now. Wei Ziqi said. Ziqi is right. I hope so. The team matter is settled. Elder brother, you can go to the teacher's office to prepare an application, and then you can tell Shui Rong and them on the way, in case they are still waiting for us. Okay. Sim Yu Chi replied. I won't manage the team matters later. Sima Yu said, I may go out in a few days. You just arrived in the sect. What are you going out for? I've got the Earth's Eye. I'm going to discuss with Teacher Gu, and then I'll find the Fenger and let him know about the whole matter. Sima Yu said with a smile. What? You've got the Earth's Eye? Everyone exclaimed and looked at her in disbelief. We haven't found any news of Earth's Eye in the inner sect for several months. How can you get it in the next few days? It's too amazing. Sima Yu also felt lucky and said, I didn't find it, but my master gave it me. Master? Teacher Su? Yes. Sima Yu said, he said it was given to him by someone else. Although I think this reason is far-fetched, I don't want to investigate how he got it now. In short, it's better to save Fenger. That's great. If you can cure you little brother, you fixed a major issue. Sima Yu also thought so. So. At present, her urgent task was to deal with Fenger's problem. As for revenge, it was necessary for her to accumulate steadily, rather something that can be accomplished in a short while. Only after Fenger gets cured could she cultivate at ease. When do you plan to leave? Sima Yuming asked. In a few days, after we deal with the affairs of the team. Sima Yu said, and Fenger is not in Heavenly City now, so I will contact him to come back. Thinking that Shimin Feng was about to break away from the control of that power, she was in a particularly good mood, and others were also happy for her. After chatting with them for a while, she left with Little Seven. This time, she was in a good mood and wandered around the sect. Little Seven, do you know a lot about the sect? Sima Yu asked. Little Seven nodded and then shook her head. What do you mean by nodding and shaking your head? Sima Yu chuckled. I know the terrain here, but I don't know the people. Little Seven said. After she was transformed, she often ran around the sect, so she knew every part of the sect. But she didn't like to communicate with people, and she didn't care about their affairs. Sometimes she listened to those people, but she doesn't know what to say. Let's go see the sect's cultivation tower. Sima Yu rubbed her head. Alright. I know where it is. I'll take you. Little Seven took Sima Yu's hand and led her through the largest square. They arrived behind the library. A pagoda that was not particularly tall appeared in front of her. There are 3 floors below the tower and 7 floors above it. Most people practice from the first floor to the 4th floor from the ground up, Little Seven said. What about the bottom 2 floors and the top one? No one cultivates in there. There is. I heard the most talented train on the top while those with the most strength train at the bottom. Little Seven answered. What floor does Little Seven cultivate in? I won't come here to cultivate. Little Seven was Tsundra. Huh. Sima Yu was not surprised by Little Seven's words. Little Seven's strength was not something attainable normal people. Let's go back. She looked at the students coming and going, and didn't plan to go into cultivate. She turned around and saw a group of people coming her way. She didn't know anyone else, but Xiao Qi, who was hiding behind. He left a deep impression on her. Are you Sima Yu? Sima Yu folded her arms on her chest and said casually. How was it, Xiao Qi, haven't you learnt your lesson? Sima Yu, you hurt people of Thunderbolt team. Do you think that's it? Xiao Qi brought a lot of people this time. He was not afraid to shrink behind and spoke firmly. So what? I don't want to be pestered by you all the time. Get someone who can manage things. We'll finish it once for all. How bold. It's not a matter of tone, it's a matter that you are annoying. Sima Yu said, you have a lot of people to send and I'm not wasting my time with you. Come on, get someone who can talk. How do you want to solve it? Sima Yu saw that his figure could rival Xiao Zhao's. You crippled our member. You want an easy solution. Go castrate yourself. You know, this is not possible. Let's not say if she would like to, she didn't have one at all. How could she castrate herself, then commit suicide? That's even more impossible. She hadn't lived long enough. Why would she commit suicide? Then what do you want to do? In fact, it's really simple. Let's fight. You win, I'll listen to you. I win, get your members out of my sight. Previous chapter. At her words, the whole square quieted down before the people present began to shout. The new student who had been here for a few days was challenging Thunderbolt team's leader to fight. How about it? Do you dare to fight? Lu Mingyuan looked at Sima Yu. Unexpectedly, he was provoked by a younger generation. He snorted, your guts aren't small to dare to challenge me. Thanks for your compliment. I never been timid. How would I not dare? There are so many people here. It's a deal. Let's go to the arena. Sima Yu took Little Seven and followed them to the arena. The people in the square were all sensation. Go, let's go see the bustle. Hee, I'll go inform everyone in the cultivation then get going. Don't be late. Where do you think this new student gets his guts to Don't underestimate this kid. Such an arrogant freshman. Isn't it so? Does she think she's invincible after fighting several people in the inner sect? If she lost, it won't only be a beating. Go, let's. In the cultivation pagoda, many people stopped cultivating when they heard Sima Yu was challenging Lu Mingyuan. In Sima Yuming and their courtyard, Tuoba Yenner had hurried back. Bei Gongtang and Wei Ziqi were not as worried as Tuoba Yenner. Don't worry. She won't do anything that she's not confident in. Okay. Wei Ziqi went in to inform others. They heard that Sima Yu was going to duel with Lu Mingyuan. No one was worried about her, but they were all very interested. Yu versus Thunderbolt Lee. It seems she's using this one chance to resolve this matter. Probably, let's go see. I wonder how Yu is going to beat him up. We'll know when we see. Tuoba Yenner saw their calm appearance. She, 60th. Upper Divine Overlord level power. Then there's nothing to worry about. Tuoba Yenner's worry soon dissipated. When they arrived at the arena. As soon as they found a good position, they heard people around them discussing Sima Yu's matter. Look, that freshman didn't reveal their rank. It must be concealed by some method. This situation is seldom and rare. That Lu Mingyuan is an Upper Divine Overlord powerhouse. Not necessarily. Everyone turned around and saw Tang Yen sitting in. Mo Bin, who was sitting beside him, did. Tang Yen, you think the freshman will win? I only said it was possible. Tang Yen, you're always in closed cultivation. You don't believe my force. What you said is too unlike. Humph, I believe she can. Sima Yu looked at Lu Mingyuan and said, arrogant kid, today I'll make you a beast. After Lu Mingyuan finished speaking, Sima Yu's movements weren't not slow. You're an upper-level divine overlord. You're right. Otherwise, why would I stand here with you? I didn't expect that your strength to be equal to mine, but although Lu Mingyuan was shocked by Sima Yu's strength, he saw Sima Yu easily defended against his fire knives, but he didn't pause. These knives were only a cover for him. He punched towards Sima Yu's stomach only to be unexpectedly stopped a few centimeters away. Lu Mingyuan saw a small hand holding his fist. He looked up to see her smiling eyes. I'll give it back to you. You'd better understand your opponent before you make a decision next time. I'm not a normal spirit master. In addition to spirit master, I also train my body. Since you meet me today, you'll lose. Sima Yu said with a smile, then Lu Mingyuan's hand was turned over when she exerted strength. Then with a wave of her right hand, she punched him and knocked him down. She immediately followed, but the opponent's movement was not slow. Although he was punched, he still turned over quickly, dodged Sima Yu's kick, and stood up at the same time. Once again, they stood facing opposite of each other. He wiped the blood on the corners of his mouth and looked at Sima Yu warily. He didn't expect himself to fail miserably in this round. The other party not only has the same strength as himself, but also trained their body, and was better than himself. His advantages were useless in front of her. The audience were shocked at the results. She actually injured Lu Mingyuan. The views of the many people were changed. Humph, little Chu, come out. Lu Mingyuan coldly snorted. He placed Sima Yu at equal levels. He wasn't going to expose his weakness. Since his spirit power and physical strength weren't able to quickly take her down, he was going to summon his companion. Hiss hiss. A huge python appeared in the arena and almost occupied the whole arena. A third-rank sacred beast was a. You think you're the only to have a sacred beast? Tang Yen glanced at Fatty Chu. Halcyon, come out and play with the little snake. After Halcyon appeared, the python on the opposite side. Halcyon, be careful to not play him to death. Halcyon flapped its wings. Lu Mingyuan was dazed when he saw his python was captured. Captain Lu, it's fatal to be dazed. Sima Yu kindly remind. Lu Mingyuan was choked by Sima Yu's words. His heart was vexed, and he called out another sacred beast. His family quietly asked him to make a contract with it when he last went home. No one else knew about it. He didn't expect himself to expose it in advance today. Compared with this exposure, it was more unbearable for him to be defeated by a fresh. This Lu Mingyuan actually has two sacred beasts. It seems he prepared it for the 3 convention. I wonder what she will do. It's not easy to deal with Lu Mingyuan and his sacred beast. She hasn't panicked. Sima Yu looked at the second sacred beast and chuckled. 1,000 resonance, come out and play with it. 1,000 resonance with 8 tails spread apart. It didn't give the opponent. Captain Lu, is there any more? Lu Mingyuan looked at the smile on Sima Yu's face and found it offending. He condensed his spirit power to attack her. Sima Yu flew to meet him. They fight from the ground to the air and fight back from the air to the ground. It has to be said that Lu Mingyuan still had some fighting power. The two-person spirit power and physical strength fought the other. Everyone was stunned by the dazzling duel between the two. The Thunderbolt team felt a chill in their hearts when they saw that she could fight with the leader for such a long time. So, she really was showing them mercy. Although others looked at them as if they were evenly matched, Lu Mingyuan knew that he was not having it easily. He had tried his best, but the other party was still had something to keep up. Bang, dash. Sima Yu kicked Lu Mingyuan, making him fall to the ground. When he turned over, a long sword had been put on his neck. You lost. Lu Mingyuna was unwilling to lower his head and concede his defeat. Then you must remember the agreement and restrain your members. Sima Yu said and looked at the people under the platform. Members of the Thunderbolt team shrunk their necks at her gaze. They thought the other party was easy to bully. They didn't expect they would be someone to look up to from afar. She stored away Ling Long, and walked down from the arena. At the same time that she stepped down, Lu Mingyuan's 2 sacred beasts were dropped beside him. Their life weren't in danger, but they were dispirited after falling into their opponent's hand. Yu. Bei Gong Tang and them were already at the exit for her. I don't think the people of Thunderbolt team would dare to bother us anymore. Don't worry, they dare not fight us with you today. Let's return. Alright. Sima Yu looked down and smiled at her. We have been out for a long time, our little 7 is hungry. We'll be going back. Elder brother, we're going back first, and I'll leave it to you. No problem. Little 7, let's go. Today's victory, I'll make little 7 a lot of good food. People left one after another, leaving behind some who were in deep thought. Did you see clearly just now that the child beside Sima Yu? It's really her. Mo Bin also felt a little incredible, but nodded his head and said, you didn't see wrong. It's her. Why is little 7 with Sima Yu? It seems that Sima Yu doesn't know the identity of little 7. She doesn't know now, she will soon. Mo Bin remarked, I believe that the 3 conventions will be very exciting in the near future. Sima Yu took little 7 back to the parting garden. All along the way, people were talking about today's battle. When they saw her, they were secretly pointing at her. Many people were idolizing her. However, this bustle was blocked outside the array of parting garden. As soon as they entered parting garden, they saw the quiet courtyard. You're back. Su Jin was fiddling with herbs. When he heard their footsteps, he asked without raising their head. Master. Sima Yu paid her respects to Su Jin. Have you dealt with it? Su Jin placed down the herbs and asked. All dealt with. Sima Yu walked over to Su Jin. Master, some of the herbs have yet to mature. You can see. Su Jin glanced at her. But you know, some herbs are best used when they're immature. Immature? Su Jin picked the underripe peach-like fruit. Look at this Bodhi peach. When it's mature, it can be used to refine the shatter pill. It's widely used. Even if you take it directly, you can protect your heart and improve your spiritual cultivation. But do you know that this thing is picked when it's not mature? It's the opposite of medicine. It can disturb people's mind. There's such an effect. Sima Yu looked at the Bodhi peach and smelled it again. It's really different from the pleasant fragrance after ripening. It smelt a bit bitter. It's not just that. Su Jin said with a smile, some of these herbs have better effects than those after they are mature, some have the opposite effects and some are similar, so we have to pay attention to understand them. Unknown qualities of everything in this world always appeared when we think we know them well. Sima Yu nodded and agreed with Su Jin. The world's vast, how can someone claim they know everything? Hungry. Little Seven pulled Sima Yu's hand. Little Seven can play with Master in the courtyard. I'll go make you food. Although Little Seven didn't want to be with Su Jin, Sima Yu treated herself as a child. In order not to let her doubt, she nodded obediently. After a few steps, Sima Yu realized that there was no kitchen here. She made a detour and went to the backyard. The space there was huge. After Sima Yu left, Su Jin continued to fiddle with the herbs. Little Seven went over and stuffed a herb in her mouth. She commented, your things are so rudimentary. Eat one, you have compensate me one. Su Jin stretched out his hand. You have a lot of turnips. Just give me two. Dream on, they're my food. Little Seven wouldn't give her things to Su Jin. You human are always like that. Only an idiot like you wouldn't want my turnips. Impossible, she's an idiot. Your turnips are good stuff. She doesn't want any. Su Jin felt sorry for Sima Yu. She should want more of her turnips. Take as many as she can. Humph, look at yourself, my Yu is a good person and not greedy for these things. Little Seven looked at Su Jin contemptuously. Su Jin easily ignored her disdain. My idiotic disciple didn't want your turnips. Could it be you said you'll give her turnips and she really thought they were turnips? How can it be? Little Seven's face questioned his silliness. I placed the thing in her hand 2 or 3 times. She didn't take them and return them to me. Su Jin touched his chin and thought, it seems that my disciple is really stupid. I will teach her well later. It's true that I don't know how Old Man Devil taught her before. She's an idiotic to not accept good things. You don't have the skill. Little Seven harumphed. Are you going to stay with her forever? When Old Man returns, will you still dare to stay her? Su Jin stared provokingly at Little Seven. How wouldn't I dare, even though Little Seven said this, she wasn't as confident. You don't stay put in the place they prepared for you. If one day, you get captured to be eaten, it's too late to even cry. Su Jin reminded. This is the sect. Who dares to capture me? Little Seven didn't listen to him. She took a bite off a herb and spit it on the ground. How can it be so bitter? Who told you to keep eating? Su Jin pitted his herb. This fellow only ruined things. If not for eating, what use are these for? Little Seven threw the herbs into Su Jin's arms. You're eating those herbs only to improve your strength. You don't really want to eat them. Su Jin said, since that's the case, have you ever thought of refining them into pills to take? The refined medicine is not so bad. That's possible? Little Seven's eyes shined. These things are hard to eat. But I have to eat them. Every time I eat them, I feel a lot of pain. Although Yu makes tasty food, it doesn't satisfy my needs. If you can refine them into pills, I can just swallow them. That's what stupid people are like. Why didn't you become smarter when you were such a little doll? Su Jin joked. There, Little Seven bared her teeth and threatened. Do you believe I'll eat you? You can try. Su Jin wasn't scared. Humph, wait till Old Man comes back, see if you can still act like this. I won't be affected. At the most, when he returns, he'll scold me couple times. Unlike me, you left your body and wandered around like this. I think you'll be heavily punished. We'll wait and see. I'll find you to refine some pills for me to eat. Little Seven ran off. Sima Yu was holding a spoon, while Han Miao Shuang eyed brightly. When Yu starting cooking, she already smelled the fragrance. Her feet didn't listen to her and ran over here. Little Seven? What do you talk with Master? Wait a little more. It'll be done soon. Sima Yu beckoned Little Han Miao Shuang laughingly joked, little junior brother, you treat Little Seven better than us. Sima Yu wasn't angry. She smiled, you're all adults, Little Seven is a child. Are you getting jealous over a child? If you like it, I'll give you a large jar. You can drink slowly. Little Seven strolled over and sat beside Han Miao Shuang, I'll give you a jar of vinegar. You too, you're in cahoots. Little Seven seemed to like Han Miao Shuang being attached to Sima Yu. She wasn't angry and grinned. An adult and a child were very satisfied with their food. After Han Miao Shuang finished eating, she went to refine pills. Can you refine my turnips into pills? Your turnips? Sima Yu was stunned. She immediately understood she was referring to her herbs. She asked, why do you want to refine pills for? If you want to refine them, you must complement it with other herbs. I want to eat turnips. But turnips aren't tasty. Sue, your master said it can be refined into pills. That way, I won't have to continuously eat. Little Seven said. After you eat those herbs, you won't feel hungry. Right? Sima Yu asked. Little Seven nodded. Sima Yu looked at Little Seven. Her serene eyes make the latter lower her head. After a while, she heard Yu's voice. I can refine the herbs into pills. Sima Yu said. But today is already late. How about tomorrow? All right. Little Seven nodded and happily smiled. Tomorrow morning, as soon as Sima Yu exited her cultivation state, she heard Little Seven knocking on her day. Receiving an affirmative, she entered and dragged her to the alchemy room. When Sima Yu arrived at the alchemy room, she saw a mountain of herbs. She raised the corners of her mouth and asked Little Seven, "These are yours?" Little Seven nodded. Besides the turnips are these grasses. Refine them for me. How long can you eat them for? Little Seven thought with her head askew. 10 days. 10 days? You can finish these herbs in 10 days? Sima Yu stared in astonishment at Little Seven. She really wondered how her body hadn't been broken from eating so many herbs. I still have a lot of turnips. But I think you'll get exhausted. So I only brought these. Little Seven said. Sima Yu suddenly felt that she was forced to refine so many herbs for her every 10 days. I don't want to eat so many, but I'm hungry. Little Seven embarrassedly lowered her head. Sima Yu suddenly felt guilty. She quickly rubbed her head. No problem, it's not refining, which requires some fusing. It's not troublesome. It shouldn't require so much time. Little Seven raised her head and a smile replaced her embarrassment. Sima Yu's mouth flinched and felt her eyes were blurry. Alright, I'll refine pills for you, and you can go out to play. I'll watch. Unbeknownst to her, Little Seven took out a chair. She sat in the corner of the alchemy room. She put her legs under the crossbar of the chair and placed her hand on her knees. She watched Sima Yu busy about. Sima Yu didn't mind her and started to deal with these herbs for her. She knew that if these herbs are taken directly, they tasted heavier, bitter, and not delicious. It was much better to extract the essence and refine pills than to directly eat herbs. Little Seven gave a lot of herbs, which were very precious. Fortunately, she was very familiar with refining them. By noon, she had refined all these herbs and made them into pills. In the process of her refining, Little Seven kept her position and watched her work. When she saw that she was finished, she jumped down from the chair and took out a pill and threw it into her mouth. It's one of my turnips smell. It doesn't taste bitter. Little Seven happily said. When I was refining, I added some scarlet honey in them, so the taste is a little sweet. Sima Yu said, store these pills well. You can take them when I don't have time to cook for you. Little Seven happily nodded and ate another one. This pill is different from the herbs. Every pill contained a lot of herbs. You should be careful not to eat too much at one time. Yu gave her all the pills and warned. Little Seven nodded and stored all the pills away. Sima Yu and they moved quickly. They went to find the teacher in charge of teams to register on the second day, and the lightning team was created. After Sima Yu handed in the names list with Little Seven's name written at the end, the teacher's face flashed in surprise. He asked, "Is this Little Seven a little dull?" "Yes, teacher." Sima Yu replied. The teacher suppressed the exclamation in his heart and said calmly, "Okay, I have already registered your team, it's officially established today. Sima Yu, the head of the team, you can make remarks and register if there is any change of the leaders in the future." "Yes, thank you teacher." Sima Yu, Wei Zi and they paid their respects before leaving the office. The teacher looked down at the list of members again and murmured, "This Little Seven is being naughty again." People of other teams soon learned about their establishment. Cliff Mountain sent Shuirong and Ma Bojian to congratulate them. Others didn't say anything. Shuirong asked about the list of their members, and learned that they were only 11, but half of them were professional masters. She exclaimed that was not sure whether their lineup was strong or weak. Soon after Shuirong returned, the list of lightning team members was spread out. Normal people were not interested in their members. Only those in the top of the list would be surprised. Mo Bin, this Little Seven is that Little Seven? Tang Yen looked at the name list in his hand. It's most likely her. Mo Bin said. I wonder what the reactions of other people are. I'm looking forward to it. Tang Yen said with a smile, hee, if they know that Little Seven has appeared again and had joined a new team. I don't know if they will rush there. Anyway, the 3 conventions are about to start, and those guys should appear one after another. Then there will be a lot of fun to watch. What about you? Do you want to go? Mo Bin looked at Tang Yen. We've always been together. I'll go if you go. Tang Yen opened his big fan and gave Mo Bin a wink. Your eyes are cramped again. Mo Bin rolled his eyes. Tang Yan's eyes flared. Mo Bin showed no reaction. He retracted his gaze. You really don't want to go? Why not? Mo Bin retorted. Also, with Little Seven, you will definitely go. Tang Yen said, these 3 people in front of you will also go. It's not sure if they'll join. Only Little Seven is interesting. Mo Bin sighed. However, the strength of this team is not weak. A Sima Yu who is stronger than Lu Ming Yuan, 2 alchemists, an array master, a beast trainer, a weapon master, plus little 7, this team. You forgot, Sima Yu is also an alchemist, and also the most dazzling freshman among freshmen. Mo Bin reminded. Previous chapter. When Sima Yu was taking the alchemist's examination, she used various refining methods to finish 6th grade pill in 3.5 hours. It caused a frenzy in the inner sect, especially those alchemists wanted to see her. But before she entered the inner sect, she asked for a year's leave. Later, when she came to the inner sect, she appeared in the public's eyes with strong strength, making people forget her alchemy for a while. Tang Yen patted his head. Yes, besides that 2 alchemists, Sima Yu is an even more powerful alchemist. What do you say about the origin of these new students? There were so many professional masters at the beginning of their establishment in all fields. They're all her relatives and friends. Mo Bin sighed. So I'm curious what kind of environment they grew up in. I think those in top 50 know about little 7. After all, they were all there. That's why those teams are more afraid to provoke the lightning team. Not to mention that today's fight will make people wary of her, but that with little 7's presence, the heads of other team will tell their subordinates not to provoke them. Smart people won't look down on her because there are few people in her team now. It's said that the lunatic is coming back. When he knows about Sima Yu, it'll be lively. You have to see if little 7 is with her then. We'll wait and see. As surprised as Tang Yen and Mo Bin was, the head of various teams were also. At first, they learned that a small team had been set up, and everyone wanted to show off their might. But when they saw little 7's name, they became silent. Finally, they said, don't cause trouble with them. Without saying anything further. After Shui Rong left, Sima Yu and they had been waiting for other teams to find fault with them, but no one showed up after waiting for a day, which made them very confused. But they didn't think it had anything to do with little 7. Sima Yu spent several days quietly in Parting Garden. She had already contacted Shimin Feng. She calculated the time she needed to request for leave. Su Jin was a man of great temper, but his temper will bring his disciples a lot of convenience. For example, if she wanted to ask for leave, she didn't need to go to Director Mao at all. She could leave with Su Jin's token. She went out of the outskirts of the inner sect, all the way east, through a mountain range, to a transmission array. There was only one pavilion here. 2 people were guarding the pavilion. Seeing Sima Yu coming, they asked, going out? Yes. Reason for leave? None. She didn't even finish when she was interrupted. No reason for leave, then you cannot leave. Today isn't the day to apply for leave. Go back, go back. Sima Yu handed Su Jin's token to them. I have this. The person accepted the token. Su Jin's token. You're his disciple? Yes. Identity token that person requested. Sima Yu was stunned for a moment, and then realized that he wanted her token. She quickly took it out and handed it to him. The person took it and put it against his forehead to check her identity. Then he returned both tokens to her. You can go. Many thanks. Sima Yu entered the transmission array, and that person immediately activated the array. Very soon, she arrived in the outer sect. The transmission array connecting the outer sect and the inner sect was a small courtyard beside the array system. Usually, only one person was guarding. When they saw the array lit up, the guard was curious about who can come out when it's not a holiday. One should know that in the inner sect, as long as it's not a time for missions, it's very difficult to ask for leave. And on missions, they wouldn't take the path to the outer sect. The guard was relieved. It was Su Jin's disciple. No wonder he could come out at will. Sima Yu saluted to the person and left this courtyard. She had lived in the outer sect for 2 years, but she was not familiar with it at all. In those 2 years, she spent nearly 1 year in the devil world. She spent most of her time either cultivating or researching materials for Shimin Feng. She seldom walked around the campus. She asked 2 students before catching sight of familiar place. She sighed when she saw Go Lang's office. Originally, she had also said she would attend array classes when she had time. But she never did, so she was not able to find her way to the previous place. Go Lang was not in the office. He was teaching a class. Sima Yu waited downstairs for a while and saw him coming with a group of students. Some of them were from previous research groups, and some of which she didn't know. When they saw Sima Yu, some students greeted her. She smilingly replied. Go Lang gave his book to the person beside him. He instructed, go up ahead and wait for me. Yes, teacher. The students bypassed her and went upstairs. Go Lang came over and asked, why did you come today? Teacher Go, I got to the Earth's Eye. Sima Yu excitedly said. What did you say? Go Lang doubted if he heard correctly and looked at her in surprise. It's true. Sima Yu affirmed. Go Lang looked around and made sure there was no one. He grabbed her hand excitedly. How did you get that so quickly? Master gave it to me and told me someone else did. Sima Yu explained. Her answer rendered Go Lang dumbfounded before she added, I also think my master's words are unreliable. No matter how he got it, it's in my hands now. Then what are you here for? I already contacted Fenger. He's probably at home now. I came here to invite Teacher Go to come together. Sima Yu said. I don't know if Teacher Go is willing. Do you want to go together? Go Lang didn't expect Sima Yu to invite him. Sima Yue nodded. Teacher Go, you came up with this method. Don't you want to see its effect? Besides, I think it's better to deal with any situation with Teacher Go on the side. Alright, wait a moment, I'll get the students to return. Return. Go Lang said. Teacher Go, it's not in a hurry. I'm here to inform you today. It will start tomorrow. Sima Yu said, come to my house tomorrow. Alright, when will you start? 1 in the afternoon. Sima Yu said. Alright, tomorrow at 1 in the afternoon. I'll be there on time. I'll go back first. Tomorrow, we'll go cure Fonger. I won't delay Teacher Ge's time. Sima Yu cupped her hands. After leaving the sect, she directly went home. Before she knocked, the door was opened. Yu, you're back. We're about to contact you. Bei Gong Tang quickly grasped her hand. What's wrong? Something happened to Brother Fong? As soon as Sima Yu heard this, she immediately became nervous and seized Bei Gong Hang's hand. She urgently asked, what's the matter with Fonger? Where is he now? Brother Fong is in his room. He. Bei Gong Hang stopped himself. Sima Yu left him and ran towards Shiman Feng's room. He quickly gave chase. Sima Yu reached Shiman Feng's room. Before she entered, she heard sobs. Fonger. She pushed open the half-closed door and went in. She saw Yinlan and Sang Mu Yu in the room. Their faces were gloomy. A strange man was sitting beside the bed, and Kong Xiang-yi stood by, sobbing ceaselessly. Shiman Feng lay on bed unconscious. When she saw his pale face, she suddenly lost her mind. Yu, sorry, it's all my. What's wrong with Fonger? The strange man on the bed stood up. We were attacked, and Shiman Feng broke his seal. Soon after, he became like this. When Sima Yu heard broke his seal, her body shook. She grabbed onto the door to stabilize herself. Hang, go to the heavenly sect and find Teacher Golang. Please make sure he come here. Okay. Yu, take a look at him. Sima Yu ran to his side. She took a deep breath and her left hand clenched her clothes to let herself calm down. Did you give him a protection pill? I've always been worried about when Feng will break the seal. I heard Jing Wen say that protection pill can be useful to him, I've been keeping it on me. Kong Xiang-yi said. After he killed all those people, I gave him one, followed by one every day. Today is the 4th day. Jing Wen aside stared at Sima Yu with interest. She could tell Shiman Feng ate a protection pill by only checking his pulse. Because after consuming a protection pill, it'll only provide some protection to the heart. Normally, people cannot detect it. He had heard her medical skills were excellent. It seemed she really was. Sima Yu's anger subsided a bit. Protection pills were considered valuable medicine. Each piece was worth thousands of gold. Kong Xiang-yi actually prepared so many. Yu, what is Feng's situation? Sang Mu Yu voiced out Kong Xiang-yi's question. Once the suppressed aura was freed, it devoured Fonger's body crazily. Presently his viscera being corroded. Fortunately, there's the protection pill which protected Fonger's heart so his life didn't end immediately. Sima Yu explained, I'll give Fonger an acupuncture to stabilize the aura. You all go out first. I'll stay and help you. Jing Wen suggested. Sima Yu glanced at Jing Wen and then Kong Xiang-yi. Those invited by her were most likely of the same origin as her. Moreover, there were some places that were inconvenient for her. It was better for her to have the help of a man. Alright, help me take off his clothes. Leave the underpants. Then rub him with this. She handed a green medicine bottle to Jing Wen, and then she prepared her tools. Xiang-yi, if I haven't come out when Teacher Ge comes, let him wait outside for a moment. She looked at the silver needle and said without raising her head. Yes. Kong Xiang-yi was the last one to leave and closed the door. Kong Xiang-yi's tears still hadn't stopped. Yinlan and Sang Mu Yu comforted, Yu's back, Feng will be alright. Kong Xiang-yi gazed back at the door. She was filled with worry. We'll wait here. Yinlan said. I don't know if Yu can cure Feng this time. Sang Mu Yu and Yinlan were quite different in age, but because their children were similar in age and lived together all the time, they had become good sisters. Although I see Yu is worried, she's not in despair. Most likely, he can still be saved. Yinlan said. The child Yu has suffered for 2 years. If anything happens this time, I'm afraid I believe her medical skills. There won't be any problems. Yinlan said confidently. The three waited in the courtyard for a while. Sima Lai entered with 2 people. When he saw them, he asked, why are you here? How is Feng's situation? Yu is back. She's treating him inside. Yinlan replied. Yu is back so soon? Sima Lai was surprised. Though she would wait 2 more days before returning. It said that young Master Yu's medical skill is amazing. Since she has come back, she doesn't need me. The man who came with Sima Lai said. My apologies. Sima Lai cupped his hands to the other party and said apologetically. With young Master Yu, I think the patient will be alright, the sage pavilion steward said. I hope so. When Sima Lai thought of Sima Yu was inside, his heart relaxed. If Shimin Feng was gone, he couldn't imagine how Yu would feel. Since Yu is inside, we can't disturb them now. In that case, why don't you follow me to the living room for a cup of tea? Brother Sima is very courteous. We are also very concerned about the situation inside. Why don't we wait here together? The sage pavilion steward said. That's fine. How about waiting in the pavilion? Okay. Please. Sima Lai brought the two people to the pavilion. Sang Mu Yu prepared tea for the three people, and then went back to the door to continue waiting with Yin Lan and them. At the same time, Bei Gonghang also waited for a long time at the entrance of the sect. From time to time, he glanced inside the sect. When he saw Go Lang figure, he hurried over. Teacher Go. Go Lang was still discussing problems with the students. He was surprised to learn that Sima Yu sent someone to find him. Didn't she just leave? Why did she send someone to find him? However, he guessed that Yu was in a hurry to find him. Something had happened, so he dismissed the students and hurried to the sect's gate. You're that child from Yu's house. Go Lang recognized Bei Gonghang. Yes, Teacher Go. Yu needs you to come over. Bei Gongtang anxiously said. Didn't we agree for tomorrow? What happened? Brother Feng broke his seal. Now, he's on the verge of death. Teacher Go, can you come with me? Yes, we should hurry over. Go Lang naturally know the result of Shimin Feng breaking his seal, so he urged. I came in a beast carriage, Teacher Go. Let's get in the carriage. Bei Gonghang invited Go Lang into the carriage and then drove the carriage out of the gates of the sect. When Go Lang and Bei Gonghang arrived, Sima Yu and Jing Wen hadn't left the room. What's the situation like now? Yu and Jing Wen are still inside and hadn't come out. We don't know what the situation is now. On the other side of Kong Xiang Yi's tears fell even harder. Go Lang was curious about Kong Xiang Yi's identity, but this was not the time to care about it. Creak. The door suddenly opened, and Sima Yu and Jing Wen came out from inside. Both of them appeared tired. Sima Yu walked in front of Go Lang and saluted him, saying, I have urgently called for Teacher Go, please forgive me. What use are for this now? How is your brother now? Fenger has temporarily stabilized, but this is only temporary. I want to ask teacher to see with Fenger's situation, can we still use that method? Okay, let's go in and take a look. Jing Wen thought about it, and followed in. He was only curious about her before, and after a first aid, he idolized her. He couldn't do anything about it, she actually got it with that needle and he had to admit. Teacher Go, I just used the silver needle method to stabilize the aura in his body. You can check his condition. Go Lang nodded, went to the bedside, and sat down. He checked Shimin Feng's pulse, and after a while, said, his condition is better than I thought. This is related to the treatment you usually give him and the protection pill. Yes, the pill that I used to refine for Fenger has improved his internal organs, and Xiang Yi also gave him a protection pill at that time. In this situation, what do you plan to do? Go Lang asked. I want to use that method for him at once. Sima Yu said, since the aura is moving in his body, immersed in his internal organs, now it is impossible to extract it, it is better to let him remove that aura and refine it into his own strength. But he is now completely in a coma, and his consciousness is relatively depressed. I don't think it's not possible for him to refine these powers, but if this power is not cleared out, it will leave a root cause for illness. Sima Yu said, if you let his strength stop here forever, he will collapse. You're so sure, but is there any way to make him take the initiative to refine the power with medicinal power? I'm thinking of putting my consciousness inside him, to awaken his consciousness, and then refine the aura together. What did you say? I know, but I have to do it. Sima Yu said, Teacher Go, it's possible to use your method, can you help me? Go Lang saw Sima Yu's firm, begging gaze, and he nodded, saying, your thoughts are actually similar to mine. But the risk is too great, so I didn't raise it. But if you insist, I will try my best to help you. Thank you, Teacher Go. Shimin Feng was the only relative left in her last life, and she could not lose him anymore. Jing Wen looked at the two people. Shaking his head, he said, since you have decided, I won't bother you here. I'll go out first. Thank you. To do this, she must have someone she trusted at her side. She was uneasy about Jing Wen. Jing Wen went out, and Go Lang looked at Sima Yu's tired look, and said, his condition is not in a hurry at this time, you take a break first, I will prepare those things to you. Sima Yu did not insist. The thing she needed to do required her total concentration. Go Lang went to find Sima Lai and they prepared a barrel and hot. Go Lang prepared these things, and Go Lang was in charge of the medicine part. Shimin Feng felt that his soul was confined in a dark space, surrounded by piercing cold. He crouched down and squatted in the dark space. He would, Fenger. A soft call cut through the darkness, and he looked around subconsciously. Fenger, why are you sleeping again? If you don't get up to cultivate, your mother will punish you. Sister? Fenger, didn't you say we're going to catch the spirit rabbit and roast it? If you don't come out, it will be eaten up by little roar. Sister, where are you? Where am I? Fenger, you are in a dark room. You have to come out of this room. I'll wait for you outside. Sister, this is a room. Why am I here? Fenger, don't worry, listen to your sister. Sister is waiting for you outside, and will always be here with you. Shall we open this black room together? Sima Yu felt that the spirit of Shimin Feng fluctuate greatly. She quickly comforted him. Are you really my elder sister? Of course, who do you want to be your sister besides me? Shimin Feng was about to believe her words, but a scene of Qin Mo taking him to the front of the tomb of Sima Yu suddenly appeared. Your sister is dead. I buried her with my own hand. Qin Mo's words made Shimin Feng irritable. You're not my sister. My sister is dead. Who are you? He attacked all sides. It obviously did not hit Sima Yu, but she spit out blood. The blood ran down the corner of the mouth into the barrel and a blood-colored flower bloomed in the water. Yu? Gulang witnessed Sima Yu spit out blood. He wanted her to stop, but she raised her hand. I'm okay. Fenger, you've forgotten. Sister has been reborn. We met outside of Shandong City. Do you remember? Shimin Feng recalled the meeting. Sister. Fenger, you remember me. Sister, you're hurt? Did I hurt you? Shimin Feng could hear the weakness in her voice. Sister's okay. Sister has been waiting outside for you for a long time. But you won't come out. Sister can't see you. I'm worried. Fenger, do you want to see sister? I want to. Shimin Feng eagerly answered. Sister also want to see you. Can you come out of there? Shimin Feng looked at his pitch-dark surroundings. Sister, I don't know where I am. I don't know the way out. No problem. Sister will lead you out. Sima Yu said. Can you sense sister's position? Yes. Pour out your spirit power and light up the darkness in front of you. Okay. Shimin Feng poured out his spirit power in accordance to Sima Yu. At the same time, the spirit power in his body was really mobilized again, and he swam his whole body along Sima Yu's consciousness. Under the influence of the medicine power, he enclosed, devoured, and assimilated the aura he met. Although it was very slow, it changed the aura in his body little by little. Sima Yu didn't know how long the time outside had passed. She only knows that she must be highly focused on guiding the spirit power of Shimin Feng, and work with him to completely devour the aura in his body and then transform it into his power. Shimin Feng had been fighting against the darkness. By the time he became consciousness, he knew what he was doing and Sima Yu was helping himself. He wanted to do it by himself, but he couldn't. He hadn't left the dark environment completely. A little bit of light, a little more and a little more. When he left the dark environment, he felt that the shackles attached to him were gone, and his eyes seemed to open at last. Sister, when he opened his eyes, he saw a pale face. Fenger, you're finally awake. She let go of Shimin Feng's face, and fainted beside the bath. Sister. Shimin Feng wanted to stand up and help her up, but he was held back. Gulang grabbed his shoulder. Although you're awake, the aura in your body hasn't been completely refined by you. You stay here and continue. She will be fine. Shimin Feng still wanted to struggle. Gulang roared, your sister is so tired that she fainted for you. If you get up, you will lose all your previous progress. Do you want your sister's hard work to be all in vain? Shimin Feng was stunned. Gulang had released him, and he had carried Sima Yu onto the bed. Sitting back down, he clenched his teeth and continued to refine with closed eyes. Gulang was right. He cannot let his sister's hard work to be in vain. Gulang gave a pill for Sima Yu to eat. Then he turned around to watch Shimin Feng. He finally relaxed. Shimin Feng had finished refining the rest of the aura. Then he refined his own aura before pouring it all into his dantian. A great deal of power poured in and he was promoted while inside the barrel. By the end of his promotion, his body was back to its best condition, and his organs, which had been corroded by the dark aura, were quickly restored to their original appearance. Not bad. Gulang looked at Shimin Feng, nodded, and then sat down by the bed with some weakness, took a pill. Shimin Feng got out of the barrel, dressed himself, and saluted Gulang. He said gratefully, thank you for your help. Gulang waved his hand. Don't thank me, your sister saved you. Sister, she. Shimin Feng saw her pale face, and his heart ached. She infused her consciousness in you for half a month, leading you to refine the dark aura. She was hurt by you at the beginning, but it's good that it went well towards the end. Gulang said, well, I've lived for hundreds of years. I've never seen such a desperate action. But thanks to this guy's strong mental power, otherwise you two will have to finish this time. How is sister now? Is there any life danger? Shimin Feng asked. There is no danger, but this time her consciousness is seriously injured. I'm afraid it will take a while to recover. Gulang shook his head and said, when she wakes up, you can tell her that the things she prepared are almost used up because of some changes in the situation. Only the earth psi has a little left. Fortunately, the earth psi was abundant. If it's prepared according to the previous estimate, I'm afraid you're hopeless. Originally it was 8 ounces. The result was Sima Yu bought almost 2 caddy. At last, more than a caddy was used and a little bit was left in the case. Gulang handed the box to Shimin Feng and said, when she wakes up, she must have a good rest for a period of time. It's better to stay in bed for a week and recuperate for a month. Remember to not use divine sense again in this period of time. It's better not to think about things. Well, there's nothing more to explain. I'll go back to the sect first. Shimin Feng accepted the box and bowed deeply. Teacher Ji's kindness today, Shimin Feng will remember in his heart. Gulang waved his hands. Passing him, he left through the large doors. Kong Xiangyi and Jing Wen were still waiting outside. They are both surprised to hear the door open. Seeing Gulang coming out, Kong Xiangyi wanted to go up and ask about the situation of the Shimin Feng. But before she started, she saw Shimin Feng coming out of the house. Feng, you recovered. Kong Xiangyi swooped over and hugged him. Shimin Feng was speechless by Kong Xiangyi's action. His hands were suspended in midair. He didn't push or not push her away. Don't do that, I'm fine, he could not help consoling. I knew that you would save you. Kong Xiangyi cried. But this time it was not a cry of worry and remorse, but a cry of joy. Let me go. I have sent teacher go off. Shimin Feng finally put his hands down and patted her shoulder. What send off? It's not like I can't find my way. I'll go myself. Teacher go, I'll send you. Jing Wen was shocked when he saw Shimin Feng exited. Now that Kong Xiangyi was so happy. He would take the place of his master to send the teacher. Sima Yu felt she had been walking on a little road for a long time, as if the road never had an end. She didn't know where it was taking her. A blank space appeared in front of the road. The road stretched into the white mist. She felt the white mist was warm, so she entered. Suddenly, Mo Sha appeared on the side of the road. He looked at her angrily. Where are you going? Sima Yu felt guilty from his glare. She chuckled, I don't know where I'm going, but this road is endless. Mo Sha pointed at the white mist in front. If you go further, you'll never be able to come back. You'll be forever lost in it. Sima Yu was startled. She retreated and patted her chest. Oh. So scary. Fortunately, you appeared. Come with me. Mo Sha glared at her and held out a hand to her. Sima Yu glanced at him. She suddenly smiled, Mo Sha, do you like me? Mo Sha was stiffened at her words. He murmured, what are rambling about? Hurry up and give me your hand. Sima Yu already knew that this was not the real world. Mo Sha was also mostly illusionary. So she wasn't afraid of him at the moment. She continued with a smile, am I speaking nonsense? If so, why do you always show up every time I'm in danger? You're my contract master. Mo Sha said coldly. But in your eyes, you're worried about me not because I'm your contract master. Sima Yu poked his face. No resistance, it really wasn't him. Mo Sha stared at her. When he wanted to shout at her again, he heard her murmur, I only dare to say those in my dreams. But in fact, I also like you a little. I have been with you when I was reborn again. You stayed with me and taught me to be strong. Although you have a bad temper and would always yell at me, I know you care about me. I believe in you, but I'm also afraid that things in my previous life would repeat and you will hurt my family. I can't bear to be betrayed by a loved one again, I have confirmed it again and again in the devil world. But you surprised me, you swore. Doesn't that mean you care about me? Mo Sha didn't like hearing these thoughts. But when he heard her being betrayed by loved one, his heart hurt. He didn't like her being distressed, he didn't like it. I won't betray you. He said. I'll trust fate's arrangement again. Sima Yu earnestly nodded. But you can't be fierce with me, alright? You can't bully me because you're stronger than me. After we dissolve the contract, if you become the Demon King, you can't become someone I don't know, alright? Mo Sha looked at her with a complex expression, but finally nodded. You actually nodded. It seems you really are a figment of my imagination. Not real. Sima Yu sighed. Mo Sha was rarely gentle. When he heard her words, his expression turned dark. Am I that fierce in your heart? Aren't you always bullying me? Every time, you bully me with your strength. Fortunately, you're not my boyfriend. If my boyfriend dares to do that, I will directly go find his grandma. Boyfriend? What kind of thing is that? It's two parties confirming a love relationship but haven't gotten married. In the world I used to live in, before marriage, people associate with each other for some time. If they feel that things between them are agreeable, they get married. If not, they break up and say goodbye to each other and each will go their own way. What do you want in your boyfriend? Everything is fine, but he must spoil me. If he loves me, he must spoil me. What I say are like heaven's mandate. If I say to eat vegetables, he cannot eat meat. If I say that I like the stars in the sky, he will pick for me without me asking. Of course, I will not make such a request. Anyway, he must be very nice to me. Mo Sha stared at her. She didn't know what he was thinking. Sima Yu saw he didn't respond. She waved her hand, saying, even if I tell you these, you're only a fantasy in my head. Telling you is actually just talking to myself. What a waste of breath. What if I am real? How could you be real? Sima Yu glanced at him. You could listen to me talk so much. I scold you and you wouldn't be mad at me. It's only my imagination. Why won't I be mad at you in your imagination? Because someone I imagine must be nice to me and listens to me. Of course, they wouldn't be angry with me. You hope I treat you this way? Hope is useless, isn't it? Sima Yu pursed her lips. To her, Mo Sha was different from other people. Although he was a spirit and a person of the devil realm, he was the person she had always relied on. After she lost her memory of her last life, she arrived in Yilan continent thinking she had transmigrated. Although she was relatively strong, she still had some fear in her heart about the strange world. And he appeared at the time, to teach her alchemy and faced life with her. Although when he taught her alchemy, he would be fierce and yell at her, she had never seen disbelief in his eyes. Mo Sha extended his hand again. Give me your hand and I will take you back. Look, you're fierce again. When Sima Yu was about to place her hand in Mo Sha's, she heard a soft call. Child, come here. Her hand stopped in midair, and she turned to look. A beautiful woman had appeared beside the white mist. Mother? Why are you here? She cried out in surprise. Sima Yu's hand was a centimeter away from Mo Sha's. Anxiousness appeared in his eyes. He couldn't force her out of here. Only she could place her hand in his palm. But now she didn't move, he was getting anxious. The woman beckoned Sima Yu. Come here, child. When you're here, you'll be relieved. You don't need to think about those things, you can be truly freed. Sima Yu involuntarily took a step forward. Don't go over. If you go, you really won't be able to leave. Mo Sha turned back to look at Mo Sha and then again at her gentle mother. She smiled. Mother, you're already gone. Even if I come, I won't be able to see you. Mother, don't worry. I will take care of Fenger. Oh right, Fenger, I was treating Fenger. How did I end up here? Why can't I remember? Yu. Mo Sha's figure gradually faded. He looked at her in desperation, and there was an inexplicable sadness. His time was up. If she refused to go with him, she would be trapped on this road forever. Sima Yu felt pain in her heart when she saw Mo Sha's eyes. He was sad that she didn't catch him. He was asking her to do this. She didn't want him to be like this, so she grabbed his hand without thinking. Before she spoke, she felt the world spin. Lying in bed, she opened her eyes at the same time. She was happy to see the people by her bed. Junior brother, you finally woke up. Wu Lingyu, who had been standing by the bed, breathed a sigh of relief. Senior brother? Sima Yu's eyes expressed confusion. She heard a voice in the room. She rubbed her temples and asked in surprise. How are you feeling now? Wu Lingyu reached out and rubbed both sides of her brows as he asked softly. Why are you here? I felt something happen to you, so I hurry back. Wu Lingyu poked her on the forehead. Why must you push yourself so hard? In order to save him, you almost gave up your life. What's wrong with me? Sima Yu felt muddy and couldn't recall anything. In order to treat Shimin Feng, you inserted your divine sense into his body and guided him to refine the power in his body. However, you're exhausted your divine sense, and you have been unconscious for half a month. You went to the chaotic world. Your brother has already rebuked himself and is waiting impatiently while blaming himself constantly. Wu Lingyu reproached. I went to the chaotic world? Sima Yu frowned with a headache. It said that those who went there could never return. How did I wake up? Humph, you also know that you can't wake up if you go there. Wu Lingyu was angry at her. I didn't expect that to happen. You haven't told me how I woke up. Mo Sha took advantage of the contract relationship and went in to take you out. Wu Lingyu answered. Because going there will injure his soul severely, he went back after you woke up. Sima Yu started for a while before she said, that was really him. Of course, it's him. If not him, how could you wake up? Wu Lingyu poked her again, almost poking a hole in her forehead. Forcing oneself into the chaotic world will damages one's soul severely. I wonder how is Mo Sha now? Sima Yu was worried about him. He won't die. Wu Lingyu said. He entered by the power of contract between the two of you. Although he's weak now, it won't kill him. Oh. Sima Yu recalled Mo Sha's pale face when he went to the chaotic world. He persisted for a relatively short time. It seemed that the chaotic world could injure him severely. Where's Fenger? I've been here for half a month. I was called out to rest before Mo Sha and I began. Wu Lingyu said. I think he'll be here soon. By the way, your senior brother and sister are also here. What's that little doll's background? As soon as Sima Yu thought, her head hurt. Wu Lingyu quickly stopped her. Never mind, don't think about it. You just left the chaotic world. That's what you asked me. Sima Yu felt aggrieved. Well, I won't ask. Wu Lingyu was helpless. Your grandpa and the rest are all worried about you. Since you're awake, I'll go call them. Thank you, senior brother. She smiled slightly without much strength. Wu Lingyu rubbed her hair before heading out. Sima Yu was lying on the bed. The chaotic world is a state that cultivators were afraid of. It lurked deep in the human brain. Once a person entered that place, if they cannot leave in time, that person would forever remain in a coma. It's very similar to the vegetative state in her previous life, and someone outside could not enter another person's chaotic world. For Mo Sha, who's bound by contract to enter, would lose of his soul. In fact, he could already take the initiative to dissolve the contract. Although the price is a little bit high, there's also a chance of no consequence. Compared to entering the chaotic world, the injury's smaller. If she couldn't wake up, he could cancel the contract now. Unexpectedly, he risked dissipating to go to the chaotic world to drag her back. She felt Mo Sha's soul was extremely weak now, not much better when she met him. Thank you, Mo Sha. Thinking about what she said in the chaotic world, she was a little embarrassed. It was the real Mo Sha, but she. I hope when you wake up, you'll forget it. Creak. The door was pushed up. Who entered first wasn't Shimin Feng, but Han Miao Shuang and Little Seven. Little junior brother, you're finally awake. If you don't, I might cry to death. Sima Yu didn't have the strength to dodge, and she got slammed. You're pushing on her. Sima Yu glanced at Little Seven gratefully. This little guy was reliable. Why are you here? Little Seven said you haven't come back for so long and wanted to find you. Master was annoyed by her, so he asked me to take her with me. Han Miao Shuang said, you're really useless to put yourself in this condition. Little Seven looked at Sima Yu coldly. But you're also great to be able to come back from the chaotic world. How do you know I went to the chaotic world? Master said. He came and looked at you and said you went to the chaotic world. Master came? He glanced at you and left, saying you're lost cause. Han Miao Shuang wasn't summarizing because that was what Su Jin said. Sima Yu curled her mouth. This second master was too direct. Master returned to the sect? No, he said he'll go get that old guy to save you. I don't know where he is now. If I knew you taken the earth's eyes to make yourself like this, I shouldn't have given it to you. Master is probably regretful. Han Miaoshuang also knew Su Jin gave her the earth's eye. She didn't know it was Little Seven who did. When she heard Little Seven, she thought Little Seven was complaining. Aren't I okay now? Sima Yu wanted to rub to Little Seven, but she couldn't move. Originally it wasn't that troublesome at first, but an accident happened to Fenger. I must save him. Is he really important to you? For him, you can even sacrifice your own life. It's something I didn't expect to happen. Entering the chaotic world this time was purely an accident. But if I knew the result from the beginning, I won't hesitate to do it. You don't love your life? Love, I love it too much. I still have a lot of things to do. I naturally don't want to die early. Then why would you still do it? Little Seven, sometimes, there are some unbearable burdens in life. If you compare those things to the lives of your loved one, it's not too important. After Sima Yu finished, the two people in the room became silent. There were unbearable burdens in life, and Shimen Feng was more important than her life. If she lost him, life would become incomplete. Shimen Feng, who was standing in the courtyard, wiped his eyes. He blinked hard to force his tears back and hurried in. Wu Lingyu stood where he was while pondering over her words. Unbearable burdens in life? When did he become the unbearable burden in her life? Shimen Feng entered the room, watching Sima Yu opened her eyes again. He called out affectionately, "Elder sister, Fenger." Sima Yu saw the guilt in his eyes and smiled at him. She motioned him to not take it to heart. Little Seven glanced at Shimen Feng and then at Sima Yu. Her mouth twitched. Why elder sister? Wasn't she younger than him? Han Miaoshuang was also puzzled, but she was more conscientious than her. She knew that Sima Yu and Shimen Feng had something to talk about and dragged Little Seven out. Yu, take a good rest. We'll come back to see you again. Han Miaoshuang did not forget to close the door when she went out. How is Teacher Go? Sima Yu wanted to break the atmosphere they were in and deter. Don't talk. Shimen Feng walked over. Teacher Go is fine. It's you that's not fine. I still. Don't talk. Shimen Feng interrupted and continued. Teacher Go said your situation is problematic and you injured your divine sense. Even if you can wake up, you shouldn't use your brain and to talk less. It's best if you don't say. Just listen to me. Sima Yu watched Shimen Feng's nervousness and self-blame. However, her action caused Shimen Feng to be unable to say the words he wanted to, and the two fell silent. After a while, Shimen Feng started, if this situation happens again in the future. You are not allowed to exchange your life for mine, but you're my little brother and the only relative in my last life. Shimen Feng flared at her mouth, and the latter pursed her lips. This time, she no longer spoke. You're also my only relative. Sima Yu wanted to speak, but seeing Shimen Feng glaring at her, she swallowed her word. Elder sister, since young, you always been protecting me. This time, I even allowed you to encounter such a dangerous situation. In the future, let me protect you. Sima Yu nodded and smiled. She understood Shimen Feng's feelings. Because she understood the feeling of him sacrificing himself for her. That feeling was really uncomfortable. Shimen Feng didn't talk for long before leaving because he saw her weak appearance and asked her to take a good rest and recuperate. Then Sima Lai and the rest of them came to see her, but they all kept her silent. They stayed for a while and asked her to take a good rest. The next day, Go Lang arrived and first examined Sima Yu's body. How are you feeling? Sometimes I feel a headache and don't have any strength. Other than that, everything else is fine. It's good that you can come back. It's somewhat uncomfortable now. You're already lucky. I didn't expect that it would be like this at the time. Sima Yu smiled. Entering the chaotic world is not someone who has exhausted their divine sense will have. My odds are small. Anyway, it's good that you can return. Go Lang said. Do you know how you returned? Sima Yu shook her head. She couldn't reveal Mo Shah's existence to them because of their deep repulsion against demons. If they knew, they would kill him. She couldn't do it. After all, not everyone liked and appreciated Mo Shah like Old Man Devil. It's normal not to know. Go Lang said. Others who entered the chaotic world never wake up. You are a special case. This is not allowed the next time. My old bones can't stand the fright. Sima Yu nodded obediently. I've sent a letter to old Su. He should be back soon. Go Lang said. Okay, I should go back and talk to that group of boys about the illness together. As soon as I get better, I will go to your door and thank you with Fenger. Then you should get better soon. Sima Yu watched him leave. She pondered for a bit and took 2 drops of spirit fluid. Fortunately, with this, she was able to recover to this stage. Wu Lingyu stayed for 2 days and left after she woke up. Even during these 2 days, he would leave the yard from time to time, as if someone was looking for him. Little Seven was a little afraid of Wu Lingyu. As long as Wu Lingyu was here, she wouldn't come. Now Wu Lingyu was gone, she stuck to Sima Yu all day, either lying on her bed or playing in the house by herself. In the end, Han Miaoshuang was attracted over. This guy doesn't care about me other than having me refine her pills. Little Seven, who was lying down, opened her mouth, letting Han Miaoshuang feed her. Han Miaoshuang was with Little Seven these days and had some feelings for her. Although she vented at her, she still hadn't stopped her action of feeding her. Little junior brother, how long are you going to rest? Han Miaoshuang ate a piece herself. What's wrong? Xiao and they wanted to ask. Han Miaoshuang said. These 2 guys really don't want to come see me. They came but when you weren't awake at that time. Since you're okay, they're not here. But every time I go back, they will ask me about you. Smelly, it's best they didn't come. Little Seven rolled over on the bed. Little Seven you. Sima you wanted her educated her about not looking down on her senior brothers. Are you hurt? Han Miao Shuang supported Little Seven. That guy is back. After Little Seven finished, she broke from Han Miao Shuang's hand and ran out. Just when Sima Yu and Han Miao Shuang were puzzled. Previous chapter. Let go of me. There are so many people here. You've gotten real bold after our many years apart. You actually dared to leave the school. Let go of me, let go. Little Seven couldn't beat him, and could only glare at him with greed. This won't work against me. I've already gone through 3 rounds of transformation. I'm powerful now. Little Seven huffed. That's not enough. No way. I want to be with him. Little Seven asserted. Aren't you afraid of getting captured? You should know that many people have set their sights on you. Not at all. I've been here for so long that even the pebbles would recognize me. I want to follow him. You're so certain of yourself? Yuan Shaojia raised his eyebrows with surprise. She feels that she'll be able to go through her 4th transformation if she sticks close to Yu. Oh. Yuan Shaojia placed Little Seven down and said, you want to follow him, but he can't guarantee your safety. I want to try even if it's dangerous. I'll leave it to you then. Yuan Shaojia really placed Little Seven down really quickly. So quickly that even Little Seven was stunned. Su Jin and her blinked their eyes with confusion. He agreed so easily. Su Jin's gaze told her that he didn't understand it either before followed Yuan Shaojia into a. Little Seven remained standing in the courtyard, highly suspicious of Yuan Shaojia's approval. However, she was filled with more joy than suspicion. This meant that she wouldn't have to remain cooped up in the sect anymore. Shi Jin wasn't worried about this, but when he entered the house, he still wanted to ask Yuan Shaojia for his reason why. Why did you agree to her request? When I went out this time, I saw that the world outside has changed. Many people plot against her, but she's not that weak now, either. However, looking at it objectively, she's not strong enough. If she's able to go through her 4th transformation, she'll be much safer. Su Jin stopped walking. Did the outside world truly become that chaotic? The both of them entered Sima Yu's courtyard as Han Miao Shuang stood up to greet them with a bow. Principal, Master. Sima Yu guessed as well that the one who just entered was the principal. However, she had assumed that he would look similar to Old Man Devil. Who would have expected him to look like an old man with a head full of white hair? As if guessing her confusion from her expression, Yuan Shaojia smiled, saying, I look more like a principal this way. A new world had truly opened up for her. Greetings, Principal. She nodded towards the courtyard. The 2 guys have spoken so well about you, so I doubt that they're just exaggerating. Yuan Shaojia said, that's why you have to improve quickly. I have many things I need you to do. Sima Yu was stunned by what he just said. Wasn't this skipping too many steps? He didn't come to meet her, but to make her do things. Furthermore, this was their first time meeting but he had already allocated tasks for her. Why did it feel as if something was off about the way they did it? Although he had already left teaching, his heart was still. Master Uncle gifts you a greeting present. Although he had already left teaching, his heart was still with them. Looking at Sima Yu was like looking at the next generation. Little Seven came in from outside, and was initially sneaky about it. However, when she saw the box placed beside Sima Yu's bed, she gave a loud cry and dashed in. However, she was immediately pulled aside by Yuan Shaojia, who was passing her by. That's my greeting present to you. Don't even think about it. Little Seven was stunned as she drooled over the box. You're so mean. I've thought about it for so long, but you've never given it to me. That's useless to you. Yuan Shaojia didn't let go of her. But it's delicious. Little Seven retorted. It'll be a waste for you to eat it. Yuan Shaojia said, keep that item away. Don't let her waste it. Sima Yu couldn't help but laugh at the comical scene playing out in front of her as she kept the item away into her spirit pagoda. Once the item entered her spirit pagoda, she knew what was inside. She was extremely shocked, but that item was not something she could use right now. What Yuan Shaojia had given her was a soul grass, a medicinal ingredient that could help one to recover their soul. This type of ingredient was extremely effective for healing the soul, and was a treasure within the ranks of the soul ingredients. If she did not have soul fluid, this might most likely be the most precious soul ingredient she had. However, since she did not open it in front of him, she continued to pretend that she didn't know what it was. Principal, you mentioned earlier that there was something you needed me to do? That's not urgent. Let's talk about it once you've fully healed and returned to the sect. Yuan Shaojia said, alright, I've already given you your present, so it's time for me to return to the sect. Old Jean, you should come back with me. I should check on your homework. What about Little Seven? I'm not going back. I'm going to stay with Little Yu. Little Seven continued to struggle, this time letting her break free. The moment she left Yuan Shaojia's claws, she ran over to Sima Yu and clammed up, refusing to talk to him. Yuan Shaojia smiled as he took an apparently suffering Su Jin along with him. Su Jin looked enviously at Little Seven. If he could avoid it, he didn't want to go back either. Once they had left, Little Seven immediately looked at Sima Yu excitedly. Sima Yu petted Little Seven's head, saying, this is something that the principal has gifted me. Also, it's not of any use to you. But it's extremely delicious. Little Seven said. Master, this soul grass has its roots and soil. We can farm it. Little Spirit suddenly told her. Then farm it. Sima Yu ordered. Then, she said to Little Seven, I can give you a little of it, but I can't give you all of it. Okay. Little Seven nodded with shining eyes. Sima Yu whipped out her blade as she looked at the little grass with a few blades growing. She thought for a bit before cutting away the leaves, leaving only the stalk at roots. She gave all the cut-off leaves to Little Seven. Yu, you're the best. Little Seven took the soul grass and gave her a kiss on the cheek before flying away at top speed. Han Miao Shuang saw that Sima Yu had given Little Seven most of the soul grass, and said rather critically, you shouldn't spoil her so much, even if you like her. You shouldn't always give in. But she likes it. Sima Yu smiled, not minding in the least. She kept the soul grass away safely as Little Spirit took it to nurture it. The roots of the soul grass were kept well, so a few more leaves could grow out from there. That was the only reason why she had been big-hearted enough to give it to Little Seven to eat. However, Han Miao Shuang didn't know this and could only shake her head helplessly when she saw her acting this way. Sima Yu took a few days to tend to her wounds, and with the help of the soul fluid, managed to heal up quite a bit. She no longer needed to be forced into bed rest. She just couldn't get it. It was clear that only her soul was injured, so why did each and every single one of them stop her from getting off the bed and insist that she had to stay there? After thinking about how she had lain in bed for such a long time, she couldn't stop huffing about one thing, this was completely illogical. After a week had gone by, she was finally allowed off the bed. She really felt that if she had laid there any longer, she would have gone crazy. Today, with Shimen Feng's support, she was finally allowed out of the room as she walked into the courtyard. Air on the outsider is truly so much fresher. She took a deep breath as she sighed with contentment. Asterisk look at you, you complained that we wouldn't let you out, but you're already huffing and puffing after taking a few steps. I wanted you to stay in bed for 2 more days but you refused. Shimen Feng complained. Dear Feng, if I continued to lie in bed any longer, mold would have grown on my body, okay? Sima Yu sat on a fancy chair in the courtyard while Shimen Feng sat on the floor beside her. Can mold grow on a human body? You're not some sort of weird creature, okay? Because her soul had gotten injured, she was always afraid of the cold. This was why Shimen Feng specially prepared a blanket for her. Oh right, have you seen Xiang Yi recently? Shimen Feng's hand shook subtly as he said in a low voice, she had to leave for something. Is it because of the ambush that happened the last time? Shimen Feng pondered for a moment, but he still decided to answer her honestly, yes. Judging by her reaction, I'm guessing she knows who did it. Yes. Oh. She went even though she knows who did it. Sima Yu cuddled inside her blanket, we're not people who are easy to bully. If I'm irritated, I can just get Little Rock to lead the bird clans over to pressure them. We'll definitely leave a hair behind. Shimen Feng glared at her speechlessly, you've really grown here, haven't you? Isn't it precisely because I have, that I don't want to let them off easily? Sima Yu thought of how she had almost lost her younger brother, and how dear Feng had almost lost her. It filled her with unadulterated rage and she almost couldn't stop herself from killing them off. Relax, I won't let them off. Shimen Feng said through gritted teeth. Dear Feng, have you ever thought of setting up a faction yourself? Sima Yu suddenly suggested. Setting up a faction? Yeah. Although the Kong Valley rescued you, you didn't join under them. So, you're not one of their Kong Valley men. Sima Yu explained, furthermore, we have more than just 1 or 2 enemies. We can't just defeat them on our own strength. You're right. Whether it be the Zhongzhen clan, the Yin Yang Palace, or the Sage Pavilion backing them, which one of them doesn't have a solid foundation? Cough cough dash. Sima Yu coughed a few more times and continued speaking once she was well again, although we have Little Rock, and I am the young Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley, we can't drag them into our personal grudges. The Bird Clans and the Divine Devil Valley have no obligation to join in our revenge. That's why the best way would be for us to set up our own faction. I've thought of this before as well, but it's too hard to set up a new faction. We don't have enough resources. That's why it's always remained a dream. Shimen Feng said. Yeah. You can't just set up a faction overnight. But it's not like we hit a dead end. Sima Yu said, what a faction needs the most is an alchemist, an armament master, an array master and a beast tamer. Apart from having an armament master, we have the rest in the bag. With the spirit pagoda, the other things are not a problem. As for the tools, in any case, I'm free right now. If I have the time, I can research into it in the meantime. Fatty told me before that it's not too tough. Then, have you ever considered letting them join as well? Shimen Feng asked. Sima Yu shook her head, I'm creating this faction for the sake of revenge. If they were to enter, I'm afraid that I would waste their talents. I won't ask them to join, but neither will I forbid them. Actually, it would be better if they joined us. If it were so, we wouldn't be lacking in any occupations. Shimen Feng said. Although I feel the same way, sigh. We'll know once we ask them. Sima Yu said. Aside from specialized spirit masters, there is something else that we lack. Shimen Feng said, the most important barrier to entry is a mine for resources. We don't have that at all. Right now, all the mines that are being discovered go to the sections. We have to find a way to obtain one, and that's easier said than done. Sima Yu wasn't worried at all, saying, have you forgotten my other identity? A seeker spirit master? That's right. She said with confidence, right now, it's fine even if all the current mines are taken. We just have to find one that hasn't been. When she saw that Shimin Feng clearly didn't believe her, she took out a book and flipped it open to the first chapter. Soul Search for the Root? Shimin Feng cried out softly when he saw the title. With this, do you think I, your big sis, would be unable to become a great seeker spirit master? Brat, don't look down on your big sis, you hear me? She kept the book away as she stretched a hand forward to poke him on his forehead. In any case, even if I couldn't, I could just get third MO to help us. Do you think we'll be unable to find it, then? But we haven't been able to locate a mine this entire half a year. Shimin Feng said, even if you were able to find one later on, we still have to get people to join our faction. But a newly formed faction would be hard-pressed to find members, much less those that would die for us? Sima Yu voiced out Shimin Feng's worry. Yeah. Shimin Feng nodded, our group is nothing like what our clan's strength used to be. Our clansmen would naturally be willing to expand effort on behalf of the clan, but the same cannot be said for the others. Even if we gave them pills and spirit tools, when push comes to shove, they may abandon us. That's why we can't use just anyone. Sima Yu smiled. Not just anyone. Shimin Feng was confused. If he pushed it, he could say that he understood what she meant. But he was totally lost right now. Yeah. We can't just use any ordinary person. That means we have to use someone who's not average. Sima Yu said with a smile. Who isn't considered an average person? Those who people want to die but they don't want to. As long as they can keep living, they wouldn't hesitate to give it all. As for us, we'll be their condition for living. Sima Yu said. Shimin Feng finally understood what she meant, you want to make use of fugitives? That's right. Sima Yu nodded, those fugitives who managed to survive up till now will be rather talented. They won't just be able to take on 10 men at once, but 40, 50, 60 or 70 shouldn't be a problem. That is a good idea. But if we're talking about those people, firstly, they may not be willing. Secondly, even the clans that are against them would become a problem for us. Sima Yu had also considered the 2 points that Shimin Feng had pointed out. He was right. These people were fugitives, so it wouldn't be easy to add them to their manpower. More than just accepting them, they had to consider their past issues as well. Let's cross that bridge when it comes to it. She looked at Shimin Feng furrowing his eyebrows and said, actually, it's not like it's impossible to solve that problem. You've already thought of a solution? Shimin Feng looked at her with a hopeful gaze. In the past, no matter what problems they just had to tell her and she would think of something. If we are able to increase our power, we can just expand to the point in which their opponents wouldn't dare to take revenge. Sima Yu said. Shimin Feng's eyes shone as he cried out with a smile, I knew you could think of something. As long as they grew powerful enough, nobody would dare mess with them lightly. Even if their opponents knew where they were, who would dare come and mess with them? At that point, they just had to step out and mediate and those old grudges would be settled. If the grudges couldn't be solved, then they would just take it as it came. Anyway, they could try to kill one person, but who would dare fight the entire group backing them? Of course, who's the older one here? Sima Yu said cockily. Yes, you're the boss. Shimin Feng said with a smile. Since it's been decided, I'll have to start making the proper preparations. Otherwise, they won't have any resources to use for cultivation when they come. Yeah. We can plan this together thoroughly. Sima Yu said, I'm still a student of a sect right now, so I don't have much time. I'll have to leave the rest of the things to you. Relax, I'll settle the things well. Shimin Feng said. I've never worried when it came to your ability. Sima Yu stretched forth a hand to pat Shimin Feng on the head, just like she used to. However, it's better to remain low-key with this. That's why, for the Kong Valley. I know what I should tell them. I'm just afraid that it may be tougher with regards to Xiang Yi. Shimin Feng said. Xiang Yi is a good girl. What are your intentions towards her? If you are interested in her, we should marry her. Although you're the sole survivor of our Shimin clan, but you're just like little rocks in this aspect, you have more than enough to accompany the young miss of the Kong Valley. If you're not interested in her, you should make things clear from the onset. Don't tie the young maiden to you. It'd be a waste of her time. Sima Yu looked at him pointedly. I understand. Shimin Feng replied. What do you mean you understand? You understand how you feel towards her? Or you understand what I mean? Sima Yu beamed at him, tell me, do you like her or not? Sis, what are you asking me this for? We were talking about expanding our influence. Shimin Feng said evasively. It because I'm worried about this, okay? Sima Yu retracted her hand and said, you're the only one left of our Shimin clan. You have the responsibility to carry on our bloodline. Open up the branches and let the leaves grow. It would be best if you could give birth to a whole bunch of babies, and let them do the same. The earlier the Shimin clan can flourish, the better. Sis, you're really not the one who blamed for what happened back then. You're placing too much blame on yourself. Shimin Feng suddenly said. The smile on Sima Yu's face slowly faded away as she leaned on the back of the chair. She let the sun shine on her face as she closed her eyes, letting warm streams of tears flow down her face. If it were not because of me, if it were not because of me. She never stopped thinking about what happened, and was never truly at rest. Even if she could defeat all of her enemies and exterminate the entirety of the Zhongzheng clan and the Yin Yang Palace, she would never be at peace. Because the relatives that died would never come back, and the beautiful lives lost would never return. Sister, if mother and father knew that you kept blaming yourself, they would definitely worry even in the spirit world. Sima Yu suddenly opened her eyes and looked directly at Shimin Feng. Her gaze caused his hair to stand on end. What are you looking at me like that for? Spirit world. You said spirit world. Sima Yu said. When people die, their spirits enter the spirit world. So does that mean that mother and father have also entered the spirit world? Would they be around or not? This isn't that possible. Shimin Feng said with uncertainty. Not that possible, but it might be. Sima Yu said. Maybe. Shimin Feng said, I'm not too familiar with the spirit world. I don't know whether or not spirits that enter there are still living. I'm even less sure whether or not people can enter there without dying. After Shimin Feng said this, Sima Yu's eyes darkened a bit and didn't speak any further. At this moment, a sound suddenly came from the courtyard entrance. The both of them looked up and towards that direction and watched as Kong Xiangyi walked in. Yu, are you feeling better? Kong Xiangyi walked over and dashed right in front of Sima Yu, putting her face close to hers to take a good look. You're so pale, and your eyes are so listless. Why haven't you recovered after so long? People like us who cultivate will find it very troublesome when we injure our souls. At least it's not impossible for our souls to recover. Sima Yu said. You're just comforting me, aren't you? Even if you say this, I'm still extremely guilty. If it were not for us, Feng would not have continued to use his seal. If he were not in such a dangerous position, he would not have ignored his own consciousness and entered such a dangerous place. Kong Xiangyi said remorsefully. It was dear Feng's choice to remove his seal. There is no need for you to blame yourself. Sima Yu said, in any case, aren't we perfectly fine? She had noticed Shimin Feng's reaction just now. With how well she understood him, how could she not have understood what was going on in his head? Since she would be one of their own in the future, and it truly was Feng's decision to remove the seal, there was no way she would blame her. However, Kong Xiangyi didn't feel this way as she clenched both hands into fists and declared solemnly, I, Kong Xiangyi, pledge you my life from now on and into the future. No matter what you want me to do, as long as it does not harm the Kong Valley, I will risk my life and limb. Don't say that. If you really risked life and limb, dear Feng would hate him to death. We'll be a family in the future, okay? Sima Yu teased. What rubbish are you saying? Kong Xiangyi glared angrily at Sima Yu. What? Don't you want to start a family with me or dear Feng? Or are you saying that dear Feng wouldn't hate me? Sima Yu even glanced over at Shimin Feng. Initially, I wanted to wait till dear Feng matured before going to the Kong Valley to ask for marriage. But it looks like you don't want to. Dear Feng, since Xiangyi doesn't want to, I don't think you should chase her. I didn't say I didn't want to. Kong Xiangyi quickly retorted. That means that you want to. Sima Yu laughed out loud when she saw Kong Xiangyi's red-tinted face and beamed with joy. Yu, stop teasing me. I'll ignore you in the future. Kong Xiangyi was embarrassed under her teasing and threatened. Can you ignore me? Then you shouldn't follow after me and call me big sis, okay? If you ignore me, doesn't that mean you don't want dear Feng anymore? Shimin Feng saw that Sima Yu had teased Kong Xiangyi till her mind was running in circles and stood up, going over to carry Sima Yu. You've been outside for a long time today. It's time to go back. Sima Yu was nestled inside Shimin Feng's embrace as she said, Dear Feng, don't forget me when you've married your wife. Kong Xiangyi's face was burning when she heard what Sima Yu said. She never thought that Shimin Feng would help her out of this situation. When she thought of what Sima Yu said, she felt as if she didn't know how to face him anymore. She thought of just leaving for now, but she had come to look for him for something, so she had no choice but to remain in the courtyard and wait for him with her blushing face. Shimin Feng brought Sima Yu directly to the bed and changed her blanket. I know that Xiangyi came to look for you for something. Go ahead. Sima Yu said to Shimin Feng after she lay down. Just now, she had teased her again and again, but Kong Xiangyi, who had left for a long time to check out the news of that situation, would definitely have brought back some news to discuss with Shimin Feng. Shimin Feng guessed it too and helped her smooth out her blanket before instructing, lie down properly. If you want to go out, I can bring you out for some sun again tomorrow. Okay. Sima Yu replied. Shimin Feng walked out and she said to him as he opened the door, if you want to head out, remember to take Little Rock with you. Okay. Shimin Feng knew that if he brought little RCO with him, a whole group of old birds would definitely tag along. Otherwise, he would also be able to find some other bird clan to accompany them. She was truly worried about him. She guessed that the one who attacked him back then was extremely strong, and knew that he would go back for revenge. Since he wouldn't be able to eradicate them at the root, at the very least, he should do something that would cause them to spit blood. Little Rock would not have to step on the battlefield personally, but the same wasn't so for those protecting him. Especially so for that time when something happened to Sima Yu. It was because the opponents had forced Shimin Feng to release his seal. That's why Little Rock and the others wanted to take revenge on Sima Yu's behalf as well. Sima Yu was aware of how Little Rock and the others felt, which was why she said what she did earlier. She thought of how Shimin Feng looked so worried when he left, and let out a soft sigh, my injuries to my soul and consciousness are really problematic this time. She character was one that made it hard for her to sit still, so with her forced bed rest these few days, it was truly torture. Shimin Feng came to the courtyard, and when Kong Xiangyi saw him, her blush that she just managed to get rid of, appeared on her cheeks once again. She's been bored these few days, so she was just joking with you. Shimin Feng unconsciously explained when he saw her acting this way. Then. What do you really think? Although Kong Xiangyi's cheeks were red, she still looked fiercely into Shimin Feng's eyes. They were the only two left behind, and he was already well aware of how she felt, so she naturally wanted to hear his reply as well. If she held any place in his heart, all her feelings these past few years would finally receive their reply. However, if she had no place there, what was she to do? Give up? No. She liked him, and she wouldn't let go of him easily. If he really cared nothing for her, then she would just remain by his side, so that she would be the only one he could see. Maybe then, she would get her wish one day. Although she had already prepared her heart, she couldn't help that it was beating quicker. Would he respond to her? Or would he avoid it like he always did? To her surprise, Shimin Feng raised his hand and tucked a loose strand of hair that the wind had tossed about behind her ear. My current status isn't good enough for you. Kong Xiangyi's heart that had been fluttering about in the skies because of his action fell to the ground in one fell swoop. So it was this kind of answer. However, he had actually tucked her hair behind her ear. This was a vast improvement from the past. She was secretly encouraging herself when Shimin Feng spoke again. Shimin Feng retracted his hand, saying, if I want to be with you, I have to be good enough for you. However, this might take me a long time. Are you willing to wait for me? Her heart that had fallen to the ground, was once again lifted up high to the sky. When she saw his serious gaze, she was suddenly crying tears of joy as she hugged him. She cried out happily, I'm willing to wait for you. No matter how long it takes. Ah, Feng, I'm so happy. I'm really so happy. I thought that you didn't care about me at all. What do I do? I'm so happy I could die. Kong Xiangyi, who was usually arrogant and cold towards others, he who was used to treating her as his master who always had to rein in her anger, when he saw this little girl who was so excited that she didn't know what to do, his icy expression couldn't help but soften. Cough cough. When Jing Wen entered the courtyard and saw the two of them, he coughed lightly and Kong Xiangyi immediately released Shimin Feng. She wanted to stick to Shimin Feng, but she knew that he didn't like being this way in front of others. You guys are here whispering sweet nothings to each other, but have you already finished discussing the main thing? Jing Wen walked over and commented. When he saw how out of it the two were, he knew that they definitely didn't. He knew it. Jing Wen, you're here. Sima Yuyu's voice carried out from inside the house, but it sounded weak as ever. Since you're here, why don't you come here and chat with me? Sure. Jing Wen walked in happily, but before he went in, he didn't forget to turn around to tell them, if you want to continue cooing to each other, remember to finish discussing the main thing first. Since you know that they want to whisper sweet nothings to each other, then why don't you quickly get your ass in here? Sima Yuyu ordered from inside. Aya, aren't I already here? Jing Wei pushed the door open and entered, but he didn't close it behind him. Although he wasn't around often, his relationship with Sima Yuyu had grown quite a bit. That didn't know who Jing Wen was ever since she came back from the sect. However, seeing how he had treated Shimin Feng, she guessed that he was a doctor. Later on, after getting him to act, she confirmed that it was such. After that, when she had woken up, she finally knew that he was the one who had made the protection pill that dear Feng said was effective. He had refined the protection pill personally, which meant that he was a famous alchemist. In the beginning, she thought that Jing Wen was someone from the Kong Valley. It was only later on that she knew that he was a friend of Shimin Feng and Kong Xiangyi, and was someone who was on good terms with them. Since he was a good friend of her younger brother, she accepted him as a friend as well. After she had awoken and Jing Wen had seen her, she casually conversed with him some questions about medical arts and alchemy. Jing Wen was initially in awe of her, and after interacting with her more, it turned into worship. Because he didn't know that she was female, he often came to chat with her. Shimin Feng couldn't say it outright either, so he just said that he wasn't allowed to close the door behind him after going inside the house. Jing Wen felt that his request was rather strange, but he still agreed good-naturedly. Now that he heard that Sima Yuyu had called him in for a chat, it was natural for him to run in without hesitation. After being teased once again, Kong Xiangyi was really beyond herself with embarrassment. Shimin Feng glanced at Sima Yuyu's room before saying lightly, let's talk outside. When he mentioned business, Kong Xiangyi became as she normally was as she followed him outside with a nod. They left Sima Yuyu's courtyard and went to a secluded place, where Shimin Feng finally asked, what did you find out? Kong Xiangyi handed over the item she was inspecting over to Shimin Feng, saying, the ones who attacked me were the Orchid Redlands sect and innumerable Scarlet Cloud sect. How did those two sects end up working together? Shimin Feng was rather puzzled when he saw the item in her hand. Strange, right? Kong Xiangyi said, innumerable Scarlet Cloud sect appears to be on good terms with our Kong Valley, but who would have known that he would have plotted against us like this behind our backs? Yeah. I didn't expect that so many problems would arise for the Kong Valley after news of the ore vein had been leaked. Shimin Feng said, have we found out who was the one who spread the news of the ore vein? We have. Father and the others have already dealt with him. Kong Xiangyi said, the fact that we have discovered that ore vein has really evoked jealousy in others. Did anything else happen apart from this? Shimin Feng asked. Yeah. Kong Xiangyi said, we found out that Orchid Redlands sect's head is leaving the sect today. Do you have any interest in going to kill him? Was he part of the people who surrounded us? Orchid Redlands sect was part of the team he led. When do we head out? Now. Such a rush. We have to set up an ambush first, and Lan Fang's clansmen are about to head out. Alright, give me a moment. Shimon Fong wanted to look for Little Rock. Sima Yu said that he had to take him along if he wanted to head out. However, before he had taken 2 steps, he saw Little Rock walking over with a group of people. Yu said that you would definitely head out, and that we were to go with you. Little Rock said. Shimon Fong was rather surprised when he saw the people by Little Rock's side. Didn't they come from inside the Spirit Pagoda? What were they doing outside? Could it be that the Spirit Pagoda's existence had been revealed to Jingwen? Jingwen stayed in the house for only a short while before Yu chased him away. Little Rock explained. That's good. You guys can come with us. Kong Xiang-yi took out a temporary array and placed it on the ground before activating it. Then, she led the group of them out of the heavenly city. Ima Yu was unable to feel the happenings of the outside, but she guessed that Shimon Fong and the others had already left as she lay on the bed and thought about what Jingwen had told her about just now. He said, you should quickly get better, okay? This way, we can participate in the Great Alchemy Masters gathering in Chime City. She wasn't that interested in the meeting of alchemists, but she was rather interested in what he said after that. It's just a meeting of the alchemists, what are you so excited about? Of course I'm excited. There will be a competition held in the alchemist meeting in Chime City. I heard that many genius alchemists will participate. I don't know those people, so I'm not interested. I heard that many alchemists will come in from the inner regions. You're interested just because they're from the inner regions? Aren't they just regular people with a nose and 2 ears? You just don't understand. Jingwen said mysteriously, the alchemy methods of those from the inner regions are different from us. If they competed with us, we would be able to watch them refine pills. Oh. Sima Yu was still wondering what he was so interested in, but she didn't think that he was just interested in their methods. It was a pity that just being able to watch those methods a few times without someone instructing you made it impossible for you to learn how. You just said, oh. Jingwen was dissatisfied with Sima Yu's response. If this were in the past, I might have been more animated. But now, I think that the most important thing for me is to become stronger. You can take your time to grow stronger, but it's not every day that the alchemist meeting takes place. Especially such an extensive one. Oh. I'm still young, so I can just go take a look at the next one. Sima Yu said, in any case, I'm still a student of the sect. I can't go just because I want to. Heavenly Sect is participating as well. It was only now that Sima Yu became interested. She raised her eyes and glanced at him, saying, you know a lot. Of course. Jingwen said proudly, not only do I know that the Heavenly Sect is participating, I also know who has ever participated and lost. However, the person seems to be very interested in the meeting this time, so I'm guessing they'll join again. Sima Yu thought about it in her heart. This couldn't be the thing that Yuan Xiaojia wanted her to do, right? Could it be he wanted her to join and snatch the title? The more she thought about it, the more she felt like it might be possible. However, it wasn't for sure, so she didn't let it show on her expression. Then, when will the meeting be? It's 1 year away. Jingwen said, that's why, if you want to participate, you have to recover within a year. The mental state is the most important to an alchemist. However, it's also the mental aspect that is the hardest to recover. This isn't something you can rush. Sima Yu said. You're right as well, though. You're still young. If you participate in the next one, you might still be young enough to qualify. There's a restriction on age as well, of course. This is one of the regulations. Those who participate in the meet might are of all ages. However, those who are allowed to compete have to be 200 years and below. Sima Yu appraised him for a moment before saying softly, so you're secretly an old coot. An old coot? Did he look that old? Sima Yu lay on the bed and pondered about whether or not this was the same thing that Yuan Xiaojia was talking about. However, she would never get the answer just by thinking about it. At this moment, Little Seven ran in, so she played with her for a while. Little Seven, why does it seem as if you're deathly afraid of Principal Yuan? Little Seven heard her mention Yuan Xiaojia as she pursed her lips, saying, I can't defeat him, and he always locks me in a black room. I hate the black room. He doesn't allow me to leave the sect grounds either. Up till now, a part of her body was still in that black room. However, she didn't say this because she didn't want Yu to think that she was a weirdo. Lock in a black room? Could it be that the principal was a tyrant? This didn't seem to be the case. Master and Martial Uncle never mentioned that he had this hobby. In that case, was he just protecting Little Seven? Could it be that it was dangerous for Little Seven outside? Although she didn't know what Little Seven was, she guessed that Principal Yuan didn't let her leave the sect grounds because it was too dangerous. However, why did he agree to let Little Seven stay with her outside? She called out a single scarlet bee and said, Little Seven, can you take it with you in the future whenever you go out? Take this little bee. Little Seven took the scarlet bee. She was predisposed towards this kind of spirit bees that could communicate information, and she took it and placed it in her hair. When the scarlet bee held onto her hair and stopped moving, it looked like a hair decoration. This is my bee. I have a contract with their queen, and if you keep it with you, it will be able to notify me if you encounter any dangerous situation. Sima Yu explained. Little Seven was extremely touched. She knew that Yu was really good to her and was truly afraid that she would end up in trouble. Although she guessed that her identity might bring her problems, she didn't ask her to leave. Instead, she had left a bee by her side. She touched the bee in her hair and fully accepted her in her head. If you said that she was initially by her side only because of a secret motive, then now it was because of her loyalty. Little Seven, you can stay in the courtyard and play. Don't go outside. I'm a little tired and want to sleep for a bit. Sima Yu felt a little weary and fell asleep immediately. Little Seven knew that Sima Yu slept a lot more ever since she got injured. This was because she got tired easily after being awake for a while. After thinking for a moment, she climbed down from the bed and stood by the bedside. She bit her finger and let her fresh blood drip into Sima Yu's mouth. 1, 2, 3, she dripped a total of 9 drops inside her mouth until Yu couldn't accept it anymore before she retracted her hand. Inside her dream, Yu felt as if she was trapped inside a cocoon and couldn't move. But suddenly, it was as if she had drunk a type of sweet, fruit juice. It tasted delicious and she hurriedly gulped it down. It was so fragrant that her brain immediately became rather sharp. The cocoon that had trapped her was gone and she immediately broke out of it. Little Seven sat on the stool and watched as Sima Yu advanced in rank. She could sense that her mental state had improved by quite a bit and smiled with satisfaction. Although Sima Yu was in a deep sleep, the advance in rank caused her to wake up. She hurriedly sat up as she crossed both legs, entering a state of cultivation to advance in rank smoothly. When she had finished advancing in rank, she opened her eyes and watched as Little Seven beamed at her from the small stool she sat on. She was confused by what she saw. Did I just advance in rank? Little Seven nodded. It wasn't a dream? Little Seven shook her head. How did I advance in rank? I don't know. You did it while you were sleeping. Little Seven said innocently. She advanced in rank by sleeping? Sima Yu was really speechless. Could a person really advance in rank by sleeping? The answer was definitely no. My mental state has improved a lot. She realized that her mental state was much better. She always felt tired before, but she felt really good now. Of course, this was still a far cry from a complete recovery, but in comparison to her constant dazed state, this was definitely so much better. She glanced at Little Rock. Did she have something to do with her advancement in rank? She would never believe that she could advance in rank just by sleeping. She could smell a light scent coming from herself as she breathed. It was the same smell as the one she smelt in her dream. She guessed that Little Seven must have fed something to her that caused her to advance in rank. Thanks, Little Seven. She said gratefully. Hee hee. Little Seven merely giggled, refusing to admit to anything while denying nothing. She knew that Sima Yu wouldn't force it out of her if she didn't want to say anything. It wasn't that she didn't want to tell Yu who she really was, but she knew that if Yu knew, she wouldn't treat her this way anymore. If she didn't tread around her carefully, she might plot against her. She liked how things were now. Sima Yu really didn't continue to pry. She sensed her current level of power and felt that her speed of advancement was too fast. She stayed in the Ninth Star Ocean for less than a year, and with the help of her adopted father, she raised from the rank of a divine king to the rank of a divine overlord. Right now, only 3 more months had passed before she surpassed the rank of a divine overlord and entered the first rank of a divine saint. This was faster than the speed of a rocket. However, although she increased in a whole rank this time, her spirit beasts didn't. They had just advanced, so they needed a lot more power. A single advancement in rank wasn't enough for them to increase theirs as well. However, they still grew a lot stronger. If Yu were to advance in rank again, they wouldn't be too far behind. First ranked Spirit Saint. She really wanted to go into the Spirit Pagoda to test out her new power as Spirit Saint. However, with Little Seven around, she couldn't actually do it. Sima Lai and the others could sense the fluctuations of her advance in rank as well and they all rushed towards her courtyard. She was hurt, so it probably wasn't her. Shiman Feng and the others had left as well, so it definitely wasn't them. As such, they were worried whether or not someone with malicious intent had broken in. They were worried that the person would harm Yu. However, when they came to her courtyard and saw Sima Yu walking to the front door, they were stunned. That aura that had yet to stabilize, didn't it belong to an advanced Spirit Saint? She had advanced to the Spirit Saint rank? Yu. The one who advanced just now, was you? Lan asked tentatively. Yeah. Sima Yu smiled. How did you advance? Aren't you injured? Sima Yu thought about it for a moment and said, I don't know either. I was sleeping when I advanced. Pfft. Everyone was stunned. She could advance in rank just by sleeping? Ha ha ha, regardless of how you did it, it's great that you did. Sima Lai guffawed, has your mental state recovered? Not completely. But it's a lot better. Sima Yu said with a smile, it needs a bit more, but I just have to nurture it a little more. They knew she had spirit fluid, so her nourishment should refer to that. Great. Great. It's great that it's great. Sima Lai was ecstatic. Sima Yu's previous condition had given him great heartache. She was always weak and listless. It was better for her to be like this now. Lan, Sang Mou and Bei Gonghang were happy for her as well, once they got over the initial shock. Sima Lai was right. Regardless of how she advanced in rank, as long as she didn't use any deviant methods, it was a good thing. The way you are now is truly so much better. You have to be careful in the future. You shouldn't do something so dangerous anymore. Lan saw that Sima Yu was the same as her daughter. She had fallen unconscious from her wounds, causing her heartache as well. I'll take note. Sima Yu said. She would take note in the future not to use so much of her mental energy to enter such a formless place. Initially, whenever her mental energy drained, she only needed a month's worth of rest to heal up. However, because she entered that formless place, she needed around a year and a half's worth of time. She suddenly glanced at a space in the air and felt as if she saw some kind of ripple. Her mental state had yet to fully recover, but she was still slightly more powerful than they were. A ripple that close to her was one that she could still sense. An opening appeared in the air as a group of people walked out from there. When they saw Sima Yu inside the courtyard, they immediately pounced. Sima Yu immediately grabbed Shui Qing Man, who had run over to her, and said with puzzlement, "Mother, what are you doing here? I heard that you were unconscious because of your injuries, so I came over. How are you doing?" Shui Qing Man released Sima Yu and looked her once over. "I'm okay, I'm almost completely healed." Sima Yu knew that she was checking her out. "Mother, it's not yet time for you to come and get your medication. How did you find out that I got injured?" "Because something happened, so I sent some people over to find you. After that, they told me that you were injured when they returned." "But what happened to our clan? Did we fight with another clan?" Sima Yu asked with care. "Indeed," Shui Qing Man said. Yu, since they came to visit you, why don't you head inside the house to continue the talk?" Sima Lai reminded her. Shui Qing Man smiled at Sima Lai. "You must be Yu's grandfather? I am her adopted mother. Based on seniority, I should call you uncle." Wu Laxiu and the others who were standing behind them pursed their lips. Why did their mother just pull their statuses down like that? He came in front of Sima Yu and said, "What's going on with you? When the one who reported came back to us, he told us that you were gravely injured, giving us a huge scare. At that time, Mother said that she wanted to come here immediately, but things were too dire back then and we couldn't make it. It was rather serious back then, but I'm already better now." Sima Yu said, "Did you fight with others? If so, then what are you doing here? With father and eldest and second brother around, it will be fine. Anyway, we're locked in a stalemate, so it'll be fine for us to step out for a moment." Wu Laier said. Eldest bro and the others said that if it were not for the fact that they were caught up in battle, they would have come to look for you as well. Wu Laxiu said. "Let's go. We can talk inside." Sima Yu spoke as she held on to Shui Qing Man's arm and led her inside the house. She introduced them along the way. "Child, tell me what happened back then. Who hurt you? I'll get your brothers to take revenge on your behalf." Shui Qing Man asked as she patted Sima Yu's hand. "Mother, nobody hurt me. I was merely careless and entered a chaotic world." Sima Yu said a little sheepishly. "How did you end up entering the chaotic world? Don't mess with me. I want to know every single thing." "How do I explain this? Back then, when I was making a deal with eldest bro, I wanted the Black Sea cucumber because I wanted to use it to heal my younger brother. You know this, too?" Sima Yu said. "Yes, I've heard your eldest brother mention it." Shui Qing Man said, "What does this have to do with your injuries?" "It didn't at first." Sima Yu continued to explain. "Dear Feng happened to end up in a wrong place and a strange power entered his body, which I sealed away later on. In the past, I was collecting medicinal ingredients because I wanted to exterminate that power in his body. Since it's been sealed away, it shouldn't be difficult to deal with it. How did it cause you to fall in such a dangerous situation?" "It wasn't dangerous in the beginning." Sima Yu said. "However, someone surrounded us. At that moment, things were dire and so he forcefully broke the seal, releasing that power. The situation then turned extremely dangerous. At that time, I exhausted my mental energy to save him, so I accidentally entered the chaotic world." "You really, Sai. There must be a limit to rescuing people. How could you throw yourself into the fire?" Shui Qing Man said. Her accusatory gaze caused Sima Yu to retreat immediately. Yes, I'll take note in the future. It's all because of those people who surrounded Dear Fear. If it were not for them, it wouldn't have gotten so complicated." "Exactly." Wu Laier agreed. "Do you know who those people are?" "Dear Feng has already gone to check it out, so there's no need for us to do anything." Sima Yu said, "What's going on with the people that you told me about earlier? The ones you're fighting with? Isn't it none other than the damned eel clan? In the past, when we were rushing about trying to save Mother, all the clans remained low-key, but that eel clan dared to forget who the boss of the place was. So you guys fought because of this?" "Humph, when we sent you off, we caught a few damned eels. They actually dared send scouts to check out the situation. The previous time when you were advancing in rank, we already caught a few of them. Now that they're back again, father is enraged and brought a few people with him to have a talk with them. However, the tall eventually fell through and they started fighting. You guys have been laying low these past few years, but you didn't really become much weaker. Why can't you defeat the eel clan?" When she was in the Ninth Star Ocean, she got rather familiar with how powerful the Violet Water clan was. The eels were not their opponents at all. It's because they've teamed up with the Water Dragon clan. Wu Laier explained. "The Water Dragon clan is a little weaker than us, but when the two are together, it's still quite hard to defeat them. It's a good thing that you left us quite a few pills before you left, which is why we haven't lost yet. However, we've used up most of the pills already." "Then, how long can you stay this time?" Sima Yu asked. 10 days. Shui Qing Man said. "This was our estimated time, but since you're fine, we might go back earlier." "Mother, since you've come, you should wait for a moment. I'll refine a few more pills that you can take back with you." Sima Yu said. "You haven't healed yet." Wu Laxiu disagreed. "I've recovered most of my mental strength. Although I'm not as good as I used to be, it shouldn't be a problem for me to refine those pills. I'm already at the point where I'm so familiar with it that it comes naturally to me." "Forget it. If you do this, it'll hurt us watching you." "Mother, don't worry. I won't put myself in danger anymore." Sima Yu said, I'm going to return to the sect. I'll find my friends and ask them to refine pills with me so that we can have more of them. Mother, this should be your first time on the continent, right? Just take this place as your own home. You can let Auntie Lan and the others take you around for a walk. Mother, since 10th bro has already said so, we should stay behind. Wu Laxiu said, didn't you say before that you wanted to see how humans lived? We can stay here and take a good look. Alright then, but we can't stay long. Shui Qingman initially worried quite a bit for Sima Yu, but now that she had seen that she was quite alright, she was now worried about the Ninth Star Ocean again. Good. I'll stay home today and accompany you guys, then I'll go back to find help tomorrow. On the morning of the second day, she got Sima Lai and the others to take care of Shui Qingman as she returned to the inner sect. After thinking about it, she headed to Parting Garden first. Sima Yu just entered the courtyard when Su Xiao walked in holding the broom. He cried out desperately, Little Junior, you're back. Have your wounds healed? I'm much better now. Sima Yu said, are you cleaning again? That's right. You didn't see how dirty the courtyard was these few days. It was really unsightly. Eldest disciple and I initially wanted to go and look for you, but master grabbed us and got us to clean. With the principal back home, he wants us to keep things tidy. That's why we haven't had the time to look for you. Su Xiao whined miserably. What has master gotten you all to do? Sima Yu asked. What else? Dealing with Principal Yan's issue. In the end, we hadn't finished before Principal Yan returned, and he failed us upon inspection, which is why we had to continue cleaning. We just finished, so I finally had time to clean up the courtyard. It was really too dirty. Sima Yu saw how angsty Xiao was, and realized that his OCD must have really caused him discomfort. Is eldest senior sleeping? Yeah. He fell asleep the moment we returned. He hasn't had the time to these past few days, so I'm guessing that he'll sleep for a few days. Su Xiao said, Junior, you can wait in the courtyard. You can head in once I've tidied up your room. There's no need to trouble yourself, senior brother. Is senior sister around? I think so. Su Xiao prepared to holler for Han Miao Shuang from across the room, but Sima Yu stopped him. Senior brother, there's no need to shout. I can look for her myself. She said while covering his mouth. Alright then, go ahead. I'll continue to clean up the courtyard. Su Xiao left holding his broom. Sima Yu went to Han Miao Shuang's house. That guy had been dragged back for manual labor the past few days, and was now fast asleep inside. Sima Yu knocked on his door, but Han Miao Shuang ignored her. After thinking for a bit, she took out a roasted chicken drumstick and ate it. The person inside wiggled her nose as her eyes immediately fluttered open. After a moment's hesitation, she ran over to open the door. Ah, I knew you had returned. Whoa, it smells good. Do you have any for me? Sima Yu saw that she was still wearing her pajamas, so she stepped inside and closed the door. We'll talk after you've put on some clothes and cleaned up. Although Han Miao Shuang really wanted to eat it, Sima Yu had declared that she was to clean up. Otherwise, she wouldn't get to eat any. As such, she hurriedly tidied herself. Once she was done, Sima Yu took out another bit of roasted chicken drumstick and gave it to her. Then, she asked, do you have anything on? Han Miao Shuang shook her head, Master won't give us any more tasks for the time being. Then I'll need your help. What do you need help with? Sima Yu took out a pill method and Han Miao Shuang took one glance at it before filling with excitement. This is an ancient pill recipe. How did you get it? Somehow. Sima Yu said, I need a lot of different pills right now. Will you and the other seniors be able to help me? Is this for spirit beasts? Yeah. Sima Yu said, how is it? Will you be able to? I've never done it before, but the rank isn't that high. It's merely at rank 6. It shouldn't be a problem to refine. How many do you need and when do you need it? Han Miao Shuang muttered. 10 days, including today. As for how many I need, the more the better. Sima Yu said. No problem. Han Miao Shuang declared. Sima Yu took out an empty interspatial ring. Inside it was all the ingredients she needed to refine the pill. Eldest senior brother and third senior brother are over there, you can go and tell them. If they're willing, you can show them the recipe as well. Alright. I'll go over to look for them now. Han Miao Shuang went out holding the pill recipe. Sima Yu held on to her, wait a moment before going. Third senior brother said that you just finished your tasks, so he's cleaning the courtyard. He'll feel uncomfortable if he doesn't tidy it up. You can let eldest senior brother sleep a bit more too. Okay then. Han Miao Shuang placed the pill recipe down as she sat down and continued to eat. What about you? I'm going to look for my friends. They know how to refine pills as well, so I'll be with them. Sima Yu said, alright. I've given you the things, and I'll be back in 10 days. Sima Yu left Parting Garden and went to look for Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei. The both of them were not around, so she had no choice but to reach them using the Mother-Sun Stone. The both of them returned quickly. Yu, you're back. We heard that you were injured, are you okay? I'm okay. Sima Yu said, I came to look for you for something. Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei exchanged glances, wondering what it was that Sima Yu needed their help with. I've already prepared a barrier. You guys can follow me in. 10 days later, Sima Yu took the ring filled full of pills and went outside. When she arrived at the array to leave the inner sect, it was the same two people standing guard. She took out Su Jin's nameplate and they let her go smoothly. Once she had left, the two continued drinking, eating, and chatting. He was the one Principal Yan was talking about. Should be Su Jin's disciple. Isn't he the one? The fact that Principal Yen has placed all his hopes on that chap is a little unimaginable. It's normal for the unimaginable to happen with Su Jin's disciple. I hope that he will fulfill that wish. Whether or not he can, we cannot do anything about it. Come, let's continue to drink. Sima Yu returned home where Shui Qing Man was waiting for her. 10th bro, you're finally back. If you took any longer, we would have left. Sima Yu saw how anxious they were and asked, what's wrong? Has the situation on the battlefield changed? Yes. We received news yesterday that the Water Dragon clan has already sent their troops in. There should be a huge battle happening in these 2 days. Wu Laxiu explained, we wanted to leave yesterday, but we thought of how today was our appointed date, so we waited one more day. Since that's the case, I won't keep you anymore. Sima Yu took out the interspatial ring and handed it over to Shui Qing Man. Mother, these are the pills. Take them back. It's just in time for you to use on the battlefield. Shui Qing Man observed the inside and saw that there were thousands of pill bottles as she cried out with surprise, you refined all of these within the last few days? Sima Yu knew that the number would shock her as she explained, I refined this with a few others. You know that there are many alchemists in the inner sect. Thank you, child. Shui Qing Ma hugged her as she opened a portal and left. Wu Laer and the others said their goodbyes as well as they followed her through. Initially, Shui Qing Man had been anxious upon receiving the news. However, she was confident upon her return. She believed that with so many pills, they would definitely survive this calamity. Somewhere in the 9th Star Sea, 3rd Mo was running for his life. Behind him, a few cuttlefish were attacking him with their tentacles. One of their tentacles tried to sneak attack him on the side, but he managed to dodge it before being captured in one of them. Let's see how you escape this time. Release. That long sword was incomparably sharp, as it directly cut the tentacle off. Arg dash, the cuttlefish whose tentacle got cut off started thrashing in the water. 3rd Mo continued to run up. Stop fighting amongst yourselves. 3rd Mo was slow enough underwater. They surrounded him, saying, Brat, hand over that item, and we'll give you a quick and easy death. Since the item has fallen into my hands already, how could I hand it over to you? A few cuttlefish really did shrink back when they thought of their fallen clansmen. When 3rd Mo had stolen the item from their clan, not only did he not fall within their clan, he had even killed a few cuttlefish and managed to escape alive. He was even badly injured back then. Don't let him scare you. He's grievously injured and not a match for us. A cuttlefish cried out, we should take him back quickly. This place isn't too far from the Violet Water clan and the Water Dragon clan. It'll be troublesome if we meet them. If we work together, there's no way we'll fail. That's right. 3rd Mo saw that they were not frightened by his threat. It was so smelly that he almost lost consciousness. The moment 3rd Mo entered the bubble, a wave of smelly air assaulted. He made himself stop breathing before the cuttlefish linked hands and surrounded him. So what if you've killed a lot of our clansmen? Since you refuse to hand the item over, we can only bring you back to torture you. 3rd Mo felt as if he was going to faint from the Su dash. An ice arrow was sudden. The cuttlefish were stunned when they saw, that's the ice arrow of the young prince of the Violet Water. Ha ha ha, looks like you guys aren't that stupid after all. You do recognize who it belongs to. Dash. The 3 cuttlefish who were shot spat out mouthfuls of fresh blood before collapsing lifelessly on the ground. Prince, what do you mean by this? I'm the one who wants to ask you that question. This area does not belong to you, Cuttlefish clan. But this place isn't the territory of the Violet Water clan either. We came here to capture someone, isn't your reach a little too wide, is it? Wu Laxiu aimed the arrow at the cuttlefish who just spoke, this place is at the borders of my Violet Water clan, and it has always been. We haven't been around to protect it recently, and you dared forget this. Did you really think that this area belongs to someone else? When Wu Laxiu finished speaking, he released his arrow as the cuttlefish scrambled to dodge it. However, it was like the ice arrow had eyes and as the cuttlefish was trying to dodge it, it hit him squarely through the heart. The other cuttlefish were scared out of their wits. The prince was actually this powerful. Prince, we were wrong. We'll leave this place now and never enter here again. Wu Laxiu put his bow down and those cuttlefish clansmen secretly heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that he was planning to let them leave. Thank you, Prince, for your forgiveness. We will leave now. That cuttlefish was holding on to 3rd Mo, and didn't even move yet before a water whip coiled itself around him. With a bit of force, the cuttlefish was crushed. That water whip then released the cuttlefish before wrapping itself gently around 3rd Mo, lifting him up from where the cuttlefish were to put him behind them. The cuttlefish slowly turned the heads over to see Wu Laer holding 3rd Mo in one hand and water whip in the other. Beside him stood Shui Qing Man. Didn't you agree to let us go? What do you mean by doing this now? When did I say that I would let you go? Wu Laxiu looked coldly at him, since you've come to our territory, then you might as well stick around. Wu Laxiu and Wu Laer acted together and the entire troop was disposed of in mere moments. 3rd Mo was still giddy even after he left the bubble. However, even though he didn't recognize them, he knew that they had come to save him. Especially when Wu Laer had lifted him gently over to where he was even more certain of their intentions. But why? He had never interacted with them before. Why would they help him? When the cuttlefish had been completely exterminated, the two of them worked together to dispose of the corpses. Queen, mother, they've all been disposed of. Wu Laxiu beamed as he ran back. 3rd Mo heard them refer to him as the prince just now, and now, she was the queen mother. He guessed that they were the royal clan that ruled over the clan just now. He tried to sift through his thoughts as Shui Qing Man greeted him. He was prepared to speak some words of gratitude when he heard Wu Laxiu ask, you should be 3rd Mo, right? Third Mo was secretly very surprised, but he didn't reveal it on his face as he denied, "You have the wrong person." "Wrong person? How could it be? You look exactly like the picture 10th bro gave us. How could we have the wrong person?" Wu Luxiu didn't believe him. "I don't know anyone from your clan, furthermore, I don't even know which clan you belong to. How could I possibly be acquainted with your 10th prince?" Third Mo still refused to admit his identity. At the same moment, he was trying what kind of identity Shui Qingman and the other had. The queen and prince of a clan was willing to step in personally to help him. Wu Laier was familiar with this kind of situations during his time in the continent above, so he knew that Third Mo was unsure of who they were and would refuse to admit to his identity. As such, he explained, "We are from the Violet Water clan. Our 10th bro isn't actually from our clan, but is a human." "A human?" Third Mo immediately starting thinking again. How could a human possibly become the prince of the Violet Water clan? He had even given them his picture. What could his motive be? "You don't have to be suspicious of our motives," Shui Qingman said, "We were merely acting under Little Tenth's request to help you out if you ever encountered any trouble during your time underwater. We have no ill intent. Thank you very much for the queen's care. However, you truly have the wrong person. I am not who you think I am." Third Mo was adamant. This time, he had come to the Ninth Star Ocean very secretly. There were very few who knew about this, especially so for someone from the Violet Water clan. Although he was very grateful for their assistance, the mission he was on this time was too big. "Little Tenth is Sima Yu. Shui Qingman said with a smile, satisfied when she saw Third Mo's shocked expression. Yu? Third Mo was truly stunned. How did he not know that Sima Yu had become the 10th prince of the Violet Water clan? "Based on your expression, you should know our 10th bro, right?" Wu Luxiu said. 10th bro said that we were to help out a person called Third Mo if we ever saw him. Now tell us, are you Third Mo? Third Mo was truly embarrassed as he bowed to Shui Qingman in greeting. "I had no choice but to keep my identity a secret before knowing who you were. I am truly sorry. Little Tenth told us that you might not admit to your identity if we met you, but that you would understand once we said your name." Shui Qingman said. "Thank you very much for rescuing me." Third Mo expressed his gratitude once again. "What are you thanking us for? As 10th bro's friend, you are naturally a friend of the Violet Water clan." Wu Luxiu said, "You're pretty talented, aren't you? You don't have a bit of human aura at all. If it were not because you looked so much like the picture you gave us, we wouldn't have cared at all. Alright, 9th bro, don't delay him anymore." "That's right. We can talk back at the palace," Wu Luxiu said. "You can eat this pill before we go." Shui Qingman took out a pill bottle. "You refined these pills for our clan to eat in order to heal our injuries." Third Mo took the pill and it truly was one that humans could eat. He swallowed it without hesitation. Once the pill landed in his stomach, his internal organs which felt like they were on fire were immediately calmed by a cool wave. He felt a lot more comfortable. "You're really lucky. Little Tenth always told us to carry this pill along just in case. If not for it, you would be hard-pressed to heal." They were smart people. They could tell that Third Mo's wounds were a result of not having treated them for a long time. He probably ran out of pills a long time ago. They brought him back to the clan and the Violet Water clansmen were incredibly curious when they saw him. Especially Wu Lamai. When he saw Shui Qingman talking to him, his expression was extremely dark. He immediately pulled her aside and asked coldly, "Qingman, who is he?" Wu Luxiu saw how jealous his father was being and couldn't help but laugh. "Father, he's Third Mo. He's the one that 10th bro asked us to help if we ever saw him. He's a human. He doesn't have the aura of one. Greeting, Violet Water King." Third Mo came in front of Wu Lamai and bowed in greeting. "I used some methods to conceal my human aura. The two of you take care of him." Wu Lamai didn't like Third Mo as he pulled Shui Qingman's hand and led her out towards the palace. "How was it? Did you meet him? How is Little Tenth? Is he better now? How did he get so injured?" "Yu's injured?" Third Mo heard what Wu Lamai said as he turned to Wu Luxiu. "Yeah. We went back this time in order to visit him. It's because they said that he was unconscious the last time they came back, so we went to take a look," Wu Luxiu said. When he saw how worried Third Mo was, he patted his shoulder. "He's already fine. He was already conscious when we went to visit him. His mental state has already improved a lot. He even refined a whole bunch of pills for us." Third Mo relaxed when he heard that she was already healed. "How did he get injured? Can you fill me in?" "Sure, let's go. In any case, father wants us to take care of you, so we can take the time to chat." After the three had gone to the side palace for a short moment, an alarm suddenly sounded and the entirety of the Violet Water clan started to be on guard. "What's going on?" "The Eel clan and Water Dragon clan are attacking us," Wu Luxiu explained. "You're still injured, so you should stay here. We're going out to take a look." The brothers rushed out in a hurry and happened to bump into Wu Lamai and Shui Qingman who were outside. "Gather the remaining people." Cheng Xiang was already waiting for them outside and knew that they had already returned once he saw Shui Qingman walking over. He wondered whether or not they managed to bring back any pills. If they did, then it would be a lot easier the next time round. "Cheng Xiang, how are things now?" Wu Lamai asked. "The third palace of the Eel clan and another palace of the Water Dragon clan have brought troops along and are now at the borders of our defense. The main palace and second palace troops are currently facing them. Cheng Xiang, we brought back quite a few pills with us this time. First send men to take them to Dear Lu." When Cheng Xiang heard her mention the pills, his eyes lit up as he took them and went outside. "Should we go over and take a look?" "No need to be anxious. We have already sent the princes over to battle, there is no need to go. Wu Lamai said, Dear Lu and the others are enough to deal with them. What I'm worried about is that the Water Dragon clan has been rapidly developing these few years. They have more experts than we do. You don't need to worry too much. They have more people than us, but we have medical pills. Each pill is equivalent to half a person. So, we don't necessarily have fewer people than them. That's true. Wu Lali said. I just took a glance. I'm afraid there are thousands of pills. How did she know that we need so many pills? Wu Lali puzzledly said. She doesn't know. Shui Qing Man rubbed Wu Lali's hands. We only told her when we met. Afterwards, she asked us to wait for 10 days. She went to the sect to find people for help. I heard from Dear Lu and them that humans valued these pill recipes, and Yu said that not many people know this recipe. If she asked people to help her refine this pill, then this pill recipe would be exposed. Wu Lali said. True, Yu is a good child. We won't suffer from adopting such a daughter. I know, you've said it several times already. Our Violet Water clan won't mistreat you. We'll have to rely on her in the underwater world in the future. We really need to let those people know what kind of race we are. These water dragons participated in our battle with the Eel clan in order to suppress us and become the leader of all water dragons. No matter how high these water dragons jump, they will never be real dragons. Sigh, if the divine dragon was still here, how would the dragon race have so many problems? Shui Qing Man sighed. Divine dragon? That's already a distant thing. Wu Lali said. I don't know what happened that year for the divine dragon, divine bird, divine turtle, divine tiger to all suddenly disappear. Since ancient times, the azure dragon of the west, the white tiger of the east, the black tortoise of the north and the vermilion bird of the south managed all the spirit beasts and the beast clans. Everything was peaceful and all had been safe and sound. But unbeknownst when did the vermilion bird, black tortoise, azure dragon and white tiger disappeared from the continent, and the world of spirit beast world gradually turned chaotic. I don't know if the divine dragon can return one day. On one side, the chancellor held the pills and did not find someone to send them over, instead delivered them in person. Wu Lali was discussing a matter with Wu Lalu. A group of Violet Water clan guards were on standby. First Highness, First Highness. Chancellor, why are you here? The Queen has returned from the continent and brought back a lot of pills. The King ordered me to send some over, the Chancellor answered. Imperial Mother and the others have returned? How is 10th Brother's situation? He is fine. The Chancellor answered. How many pills did they bring along with them? I have less than half here. I think there should be thousands of them. These pills came just in time right before the previous stock ran out. Wasn't she going to visit a patient? Why did she have so many pills for us? This subject doesn't know. Give me the pills. Then go back and ask Little Ninth and them about Little 10th situation. Yes, First Highness. The Chancellor does not need to go back to ask. Wu Lali saw Wu Luxiu and Wu Laier swimming over. Then Chancellor can retreat. Yes, the Chancellor left. He met with Wu Luxiu and them and paid his respected before returning to the palace. Eldest brother, second brother, why are you here? We came to take a look at the situation here. I just heard the horn blowing. They sent a group of people over, and we pushed them back. He is fine now. Wu Luxiu and them explained Sima Yu's situation. They also mentioned saving third. With the support of these pills, the Water Dragon clan and Eel clan are waiting to be defeated by us. First Highness, the other party is attacking again. Pass down the order, those without pills should come here to receive. Dispatch them collectively. This time, we have them come without a return. Yes, First Highness. Wu Luxiu folded his hands and cracked his finger. We left for so many days. It's time to meet them today. If we don't teach them a lesson today, I'm afraid they'll never learn. Well then, the two of you shall lead the fight. Don't fight with the strongest. Pay attention to your safety. Wu Lali told them. We know. After Wu Luxiu finished, he left with excitement. Sima Yu was not aware of the situation in Ninth Star Ocean. After she sent Shui Qing Man and the others away, she greeted Sima Lai and sent Little Seven back to the academy. When she went back, Han Miao Shuang and they were still practicing their breath control. For her pill, they never rested, in addition to helping Su Jin do things. They were exhausted. Sima Yu didn't bother them and went to find Sima Yulin. She wanted to see how the team was doing. After Little Seven returned to the sect, she went off alone. Sima Yu wasn't worried for her safety in the sect even though she didn't know where she went. This time she went to the Cultivation Pagoda along the way. She came to the first floor to take a look. A teacher was managing the pagoda. She watched when a student went in, they would give their card to the teacher and then report how many days they would stay. When she stood in the pagoda, she felt the immense spirit power and a rich fragrance. This scent. She was in a daze, this smell, was so familiar. This smell. You're back. Fatty Chu just came out of the tower and ran over. I just returned. When she returned the last time, Fatty Chu was still under close cultivation, and they didn't see one another. I heard you were injured before I went under close cultivation. But unfortunately, we couldn't request for a leave and couldn't go out. Now it's good to see you. I've been back once before but didn't see you. Aren't you here to cultivate? No, I just came to see. I am going to find Big Brother and the rest. Then let's go. A person who had just walked to the square heard Sima Yu's name. His eyes lit up, and he hurriedly looked back. He saw Sima Yu and Fatty Chu walking outside. He subconsciously followed. Sima Yu. Sima Yu stopped when she heard a stranger call her name. Turning around, she didn't see anyone she recognized. You are Sima Yu? Who are you? She didn't seem to know anyone crazy like that. I am He Feng. People call me the crazy guy. Sima Yu raised her eyebrows in surprise. This was the rumored crazy guy from the inner sect. In her mind, someone who liked to battle should be a loud and crazy fellow who was as tall as a horse. She appraised him for a moment. Aside from his nickname carved on the large blade, he appeared very normal. Are you Sima Yu? You have the wrong person. She knew what he wanted the moment she saw him. However, she had no interest in battling him. The wrong person? I just heard someone call you Sima Yu. How could I be mistaken? You heard wrong. Or perhaps someone was calling another person. After a moment, he foam dashed in front of Sima Yu and blocked her way. I know that it's you. You have the wrong person. No possible. How do I do that? Battle me. If you win, that proves that you aren't. I'm a new student, while you're in the top 20. Do you think that it's appropriate for you to pick a fight with me? It is. He foam said, do you agree or not? Sima Yu was defeated by his shamelessness as she said, even if I was Sima Yu, I wouldn't fight you. Why not? Because I have no interest in these kinds of battles. Sima Yu said, furthermore, I'm injured. You wouldn't fight an injured party, right? You're injured? Why can't I tell? My consciousness. Sima Yu said, you should know that an injury to the consciousness severely impacts battle ability. You'll definitely be unwilling to fight a one-sided battle, right? He foam lowered his head and gave it a careful thought before nodding, you're right. You're injured now, so I won't be able to fight you. In this case, I'll come and look for you again. After speaking, he brandished his huge blade again and left. You're in for it now. Why? It's said that people who have been targeted by the crazy guy won't be let off if they don't battle him. He'll keep pestering you until you agree. No problem, he can't enter the parting garden. That's right. You can just go to the parting garden if you can't stand him anymore. He wouldn't dare enter. Let's go. We'll go see what Big Brother and the others are doing. We'll also see how the team is doing. They walked to the outside of the house and saw Sima Yu and the others sitting there deep in discussion the moment they entered the house. What are you guys talking about? You're just in time. Sima Yu said, we happen to be discussing about the team. What's wrong with the team? Did they encounter some difficulty? No, we didn't. These are the people in our team, so we don't have the kind of inside dilemma. Then why do all of you look so solemn? We were just discussing whether or not we should accept a mission. A mission? That's right. Sima Yu said, we've been cultivating inside the cultivation pagoda these past few days, so we're running out of cultivation points. You guys spent it so fast. Sima Yu asked curiously, we've been better off too. Because new students who just come in are guaranteed a minimum cultivation points. Sima Yu said, however, we're not professionals and cannot rely on our products to exchange for cultivation points. That's why we have to rely on it a bit more. Sima Yu explained. I was just saying that the past few times I came, you spent most of the time in closed-door cultivation. Sima Yu said, since that's the case, you really have to find a way to earn more. That's why we were discussing it. Sima Yu said, most teams rely on missions, and we want to take a look to see if any suit us. Found any? Fatty Chu asked. There are a few that aren't bad. Sima Yu placed a few pieces of paper in front for everyone to see. We've shortlisted these few, which aren't that difficult and pay rather well. Sima Yu saw one of them, which wrote about going to the dark forest to retrieve 10 fire eggs for 1,000 points. There were 10 of them, and it was just one single mission, but they would be able to earn around 100 cultivation points. It would be enough for them to continue cultivating in the cultivation pagoda for 3 months. This mission wasn't bad. She took a look at another one which wrote about searching for and killing 10 outlaws. Each kill would give them 1,000 points. Also, the 10 of them were placed in an order, where the very first name listed was worth the most cultivation points. This can be considered as a mission from the sect as well? She couldn't help but ask. Yeah. Sima Yu answered, we've already properly checked out these 10 people. These 10 are beyond evil, they've killed, and kidnapped, those kind of things. There are a few cultivators who rely on absorbing the essence of females to increase their strengths. You can say that each and every one of them are thoroughly evil and nobody would miss them if they died. Sima Yu looked at the ranks listed on the back of each one. They weren't particularly powerful to the point where they couldn't be taken care of. These people don't seem to be very powerful. Why are the cultivation points so high? Because they're too evil, but have many methods of staying alive, so they're not easy to kill. Sima Yu said, furthermore, the mission has been out for too long. There are deadlines on every mission in the sect. If nobody completes them during that time, the value of it will rise. Were there many who tried to accomplish this mission? Sima Yu asked. Many. But none succeeded. In the beginning, the 10th one on this list was only worth 500 cultivation points, but it rose to 100 in 2 years, and now it's worth 1,000. Nobody succeeded in 10 years? That's right. Sima Yu said, furthermore, the students who wanted to act would always find out news regarding that person, but once they left in search of him, they would lose his trail. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Every single one of them is so slippery. Sima Yu lowered her head to look at the name of the 10th person. The first one listed was actually worth 5,000 points, and he was merely a spirit paragon. Every single one is slippery, especially the first one. He's not the most powerful, but he's worth the most. You can also say that he's the most difficult one to tackle. Actually, I'm not too supportive of choosing this mission. The last time they were in the Imperial School, they constantly went to accept missions from there, doing things somewhere or looking for medicines and things like that. If we choose the mission where we want to look for the firebird egg, we can choose this along the way. That's possible. What do you guys think? No preference. Fatty Chu didn't really care about these things as long as he could craft tools, cultivate, eat and sleep well. As long as everyone was together, he was fine with anything. No preference either. Wei Ziqi said. He had earned quite a bit of points on the last 2 beast taming missions that he did, so he wasn't really lacking right now. That's why he was just casually accompanying them. He didn't want to make any decision. Same here. Sima Yu didn't really have any demands of the mission because her spirit pagoda was more powerful. Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong weren't around as they were still going through the transfer. However, if everyone had decided on it, they weren't going to disagree. Then let's decide on it. Sima Yu said, the main mission will be to retrieve the firebird egg, and then we can accept the mission to kill them while we're at it. Alright. Oh yeah, is there a deadline to complete it? Not theoretically. But everyone's deadline pretty much won't be more than the amount given by the mission. Theoretically, think about it. If you accepted a mission and took a year's time, but the returns were only a month's worth of points, it wouldn't be worth it. Sima Yulin explained. That's why people usually give themselves a deadline based on the value of the cultivation point. Sima Yu nodded with understanding. Instead of spending time doing a mission that couldn't be accomplished, it made more sense to choose another one. And those missions that couldn't be accomplished would keep rising in value. Where's the Dark Forest? Have you guys found out more about it yet? The Dark Forest is in the central province. It's in a relatively dangerous place. Similar to the Yilan continent's Pu Luo mountain range. Sima Yulin said, many people who go and never come out. That's why it's called the Dark Forest. Central province, huh, that's a little far. Sima Yu said, since it's been a long time since everyone has come out, why don't we see whether there are any other missions along the way? When we're done, we don't have to run out again. Everyone felt like her suggestion made sense, so they went to look for a mission in the central province. This mission is a little difficult, but it's in the central province. Wei Ziqi found a flyer and passed it over for everyone to take a look. Checking out something strange that happened in the bright red mountain peak recently. Fatty Chu read it out as he said, what kind of mission is this? It doesn't even explain anything. Read what's written below. Wei Ziqi said. The difficulty level is 4 stars. Fatty Chu cried out when he saw the 4 little stars at the bottom, why is it so dangerous? It proves that the place is fishy. I checked this mission out as well. It's because a few students died while accepting it. That's why it's so difficult. The cultivation points increased as well. 10,000 cultivation points. Fatty Chu cried out again when he saw its value. If it's worth 10,000, then each person can get around 1,000. It'll be enough for 3 years. Sima Yu said, not bad, we can accept this mission. Will it be too dangerous? Sima Yulin asked tentatively. It will definitely be dangerous, otherwise, students wouldn't have died. Sima Yu said, however, the reward is good, isn't it? With Yu around, the danger would be greatly lessened. Fatty Chu said. Why don't we give it a shot? Wei Ziqi said. Sima Yu had many ways of keeping them alive. It shouldn't be that dangerous. Sima Yulin thought about it for a bit before agreeing as well. A team can only accept 3 missions at a time. This will be our 3, then. Sima Yu said, does anyone have any objections? None. Once Bei Gong and Ouyang Fei come, we can ask them for their opinion. If they agree, then we can accept it. Sima Yulin said. Okay. When evening came, Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei came out from their rooms. Sima Yu went to look for them to update them about the mission status, and they both had no objections. As such, Sima Yu went to the teacher in charge of the missions the next day to accept the missions. When the teacher saw the missions they had selected, he looked at the team again and asked, are you certain that you want to accept these 3 missions? They are rather difficult for new students. Yes, teacher. We have decided on these 3. Sima Yu said. The teacher saw that he was resolute, so he did not comment any further and noted their missions down before handing him a nameplate. With that nameplate, the school indicated that they had acknowledged that they had accepted the mission. With it, they could leave the inner sect too. Sima Yu took out a mother-son stone and contacted Little Seven. She told her about the mission and asked if she wanted to come along. She also mentioned where they were going and what other missions they accepted. At that moment, Little Seven happened to be with Yuan Shaojia. When she found out she was leaving, she immediately hopped off her stool and wanted to run off, afraid of being left behind. Why are you running away so quickly for? Yuan Shaojia grabbed onto her. I didn't say I wasn't going to let you leave. You agree to let me out? Little Seven looked at Yuan Shaojia with disbelief. Go go go, it'll be useful for your transformation. Yuan Shaojia said, take this with you. If you're in danger, it can take you away. He shoved a box at her and placed it in her clothes. Little Seven kept it away and threw her brain over her shoulder as she left the house to look for Sima Yu. Sima Yu had just put the mother-son stone down before hearing a voice that made her head hurt.